Chapter 981 You have to deal with me, additional update 2. All the heads of the 8 major families listened to the discussion without saying a word. The heads of the various families found these affiliated forces, but they really didn't want them to accomplish anything or give them ideas. I just want to throw some small forces into the target. Now, because of Yuanji's existence, the 8 major families decided to cooperate briefly and find ways to get rid of each other. After all, now that the seal of God has been opened, it is absolutely impossible for them to remain trapped in God. God's resources have been severely consumed in recent years, and its strength has reached a bottleneck, and it can no longer be trapped there. Otherwise, if all walks of life become stronger and stronger, God will fall out of the ranks of the strong. The small forces discussed for a while and gradually discovered that all the powerful people from the 8 major families had been silent. They also fell silent. Then the heads of each family looked at each other and revealed their essence. After getting the hint from his family master, Elder Shangwen took the initiative and said, "The fairy world is getting more and more rampant now. If we really don't go out, it will definitely not work. There is just a problem in going out. I'm afraid we need to work together." I saw someone talking at Shangwen's house. Elder Nangong also said, "We should work together, otherwise we will let the immortal world ride on us. Our young master has suffered a lot in the immortal world. Old man Chankin has died. The only threat to us in the entire universe is Yuanji. Do any of you understand Yuanji?" The head of Bailey family, who was sitting at the top, had a majestic look on his face. The news he said shocked everyone. Does Patriarch Bailey really mean what he said? When did old man Chankin die? Patriarch Nangong asked with joy in his eyes. He hated old man Chankin the most. If old man Chankin hadn't helped Feng Qingwu become the Lord of Heaven, the ancestor of their Nangong family will definitely become the Lord of Heaven. The head of the Bailey family had a deep look in his eyes and did not answer the question of the head of the Nangong family. He looked around and took in Zhu Qiang's eyes. The Bailey family wants to send strong men to leave the sky, not to get some fairyland prize. They want something more precious than fairyland prizes. But now the key to leaving God is to deal with Yuanji. The Bailey family decided to throw out more temptations. Old man Chankin has another level of identity. He is the master of Xuanmen. He went to the fairy world before his death, so the next master of Xuanmen is in the fairy world. This is where we must go. The reason for the fairy world. Xuanmen. Almost all the family heads showed greed at this time. Since ancient times, if you control Xuanmen, you can control the laws of heaven and earth. Controlling the laws of heaven and earth means getting more opportunities and luck. Opportunity and luck are necessary things to become a strong person, both are indispensable. Master Bailey, is the next master of Xuanmen really in the immortal world? Do you know who that person is? Asked the master of Shangwen family. In fact, he wanted to ask, if Xuanmen had already been destroyed, how could he be sure that old man Chankin was the leader of Xuanmen? Under the scorching eyes of everyone, the head of the Bailey family looked threatening and said in a cold voice, "You should investigate Xuanmen matters yourself. What we should discuss is how to leave here." Yes, the Bailey family leader is right, I must find a way to get out of here. The Nangong family leader agreed. Since old man Chankin has died, let the next sect leader repay their Nangong family. This Xuanmen sect master will be the puppet of their Nangong family from now on. The head of the Nangong family began to have beautiful thoughts. This Yuanji appeared so suddenly, I suspect that he is the person who took away the body. He is not the strong man originally born in our God. Seizing the body. If it's a body-seizing person, then use the soul-eating forbidden technique to deal with him. A body will have remnants of its predecessor anyway. As long as we summon the remnant soul, we will have a way to deal with Yuanji. But we don't know at all how, so many, Yuanji's soul is. This person said half of what he said. A figure walked in. I saw that the person who came was slender, with silver hair, and every move showed elegance. When all the family heads saw this, their faces turned pale. Why did this evil god know what happened today? All forces are observing each other, trying to find the person who informed Yuanji. Yuanji walked slowly to the first place. Bailey Patriarch's face froze, and he almost couldn't maintain his demeanor, but after facing Yuanji's pair of dark eyes, Bailey Patriarch still chose to get up and move aside, changing his position on the side. Yuanji waved his long sleeves, and the original chair on the main seat disappeared, and the throne appeared. Yuanji sat up and said, "I heard that you were going to deal with me. Let me listen, otherwise, you are looking in the wrong direction and your efforts will be in vain." Everyone trembled when they heard Yuanji's words. Yuanji obviously did not exude pressure, but he could make them feel the pressure from the soul. It was silent. "You seem to want to leave God." Yuanji glanced at the 8 family heads. The owner of the house didn't dare to move. Yuanji held his head with his hands. "Actually, it's not a problem if you want to leave, but since you occupied the sky back then, and now you dislike this place, how about this? How about I just change a place for you?" The heads of the families stared wide-eyed. "What do you mean?" Yuanji said, "That's what you think. You all move out of God and are not allowed to come back again. How about that? As long as you agree to this condition, I will not stop you from leaving God." "Master Yuanji, we have no intention of moving away from God. We like this place very much." Elder Nangong stood up to smooth things over. "Nonsense. How is it possible for them all to leave God and never come back? In all walks of life, God has the best resources. Moreover, the aura here is also the most abundant and has the most opportunities. With just those ancient secret realms, it would be impossible for them to leave." Yuanji, a small power family leader, stood up. "Ha," Yuanji responded softly. The little head of the family swallowed his saliva, glanced in the direction of Bailey's house, and with a heartbeat, he continued, "You are too domineering. God is everyone's God, not just you. Why should you control us?" If you ignore the trembling voice of the young master, these words are still very powerful. "I just want to control your behavior, what can you do to me?" Yuan Ji said casually. These words are extremely arrogant. But it's the truth. It is impossible for them to use all their strength to deal with Yuan Ji. They were afraid of dealing with Yuan Ji. If the family's strength suffered a serious loss, they would be the next to be dealt with. No one dares to keep their word to other families. After all, this thing only exists among forces of comparable strength. Yuan Ji saw all the changes in Zhu Qiang's expressions and felt it was funny. He suddenly missed those dark ones. They never worry about so much, and they will do it if they don't accept it. No matter who the other party is. As long as the emotion comes, you have to fight to the death. Yuan Ji didn't want these people to be pushed into a hurry. If you want to leave God, it's not impossible, but you must follow the 3 principles I have said. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 982. The evil dragon was tricked. Fairyland. On the test stand. The evil dragon Yuanshan was bound by several invisible chains and roared, Luan Jin. You dare to trick me. The Luan brigade flicked its sleeves, and the blazing fire surrounded the evil dragon spread and burned. The pain caused by the roasting of the soul caused the evil dragon to scream in pain that resounded throughout the world. The evil dragon felt infinite regret at this moment, but still asked unwillingly, Luan Jin, what have you done? Why can the contract law be changed? Want to know? Then tell me, why did you keep your sister's soul? Luan Jin asked coldly. Exilong didn't want to answer Luan Jin's question and fought against the backlash brought about by the contract. Anxious. But despite this, the evil dragon still endured it. Evil dragon really couldn't figure out why it was like this. It used the evil Strid clan's secret method and obtained Luan Jin's blood essence, so it should have successfully controlled Luan Jin and become its servant. As a result, after the formation was completed, it was completely different. The contract it signed with Luan Jin became a vassal contract. If it is a master-servant contract, it can use the evil Strid clan's secret method and find a way to cause certain damage to Luan Jin. But if it's a vassal contract, it can't do anything. The vassal contract represented that he had signed a unilateral contract with Luan Jin. Luan Jin does not have to abide by any laws of heaven and earth at all. In this case, although Luan Jin cannot spy on its soul, it can torture it. Evil dragon must have had a strong person secretly give guidance to Luan Jin. Otherwise, Luan Jin would never give up the opportunity to sign a master-servant contract with it. The evil dragon was in agony from being tortured and said to Luan Jin, don't you want to find Ling Luan? I want to, but there is no truth in your mouth. I won't believe it. Luan Jin used the blazing fire to form a dragon whip and whipped it on the evil dragon's soul. Luan Jin looked at Exilong with no warmth in his eyes. Exilong must have other purposes for leaving his sister's soul behind. Before the goal is achieved, the evil dragon will never destroy her soul. Therefore, she must not show any anxiety at the moment. Luan Jin seemed relaxed, but in fact she was betting that her guess was right. Gambling evil dragon can't do anything about my sister's life and soul for the time being. Luan Jin, stop pretending. You can deceive yourself, but you can't deceive me. There's no way you don't care about Ling Luan. Evil dragon said bitterly. Luan Jin's fingertips trembled slightly, controlling the blazing fire to continue burning the evil dragon's soul power. Next, there was only the roar of the evil dragon in the entire field. Off the field. The scene in the eyes of the spectators in the fairy world is very different from that in the realm. Damn it, the more pink you wear, the harder the fight will be. Look at Luan Jin, he is just beating the Buddha. By the way, haven't you noticed anything unusual? Since Luan Jin and Buddha entered the domain, they have been fighting without any pause at all, which is not in line with common sense. The other contestants in Biluo Palace are so miserable. They are no match for the Buddhas. They have been losing ground. Fortunately, the Buddhas are kind and did not kill them. Hey, you only saw the beauties of Biluo Palace and completely ignored our teams in the immortal realm. These teams in our immortal realm lost miserably. Except for the Chu family and Tongwen Pavilion, the other teams have no fighting power at all. After all, the foundation of the divine world is deeper than that of the fairy world. The teams that entered from the back of the fairy world were crushed as soon as they came on stage. Fortunately, the gods seemed to have some scruples and did not harm the contestants in the fairy world. Miss Chu Xuanyi, our master asked me to tell you something. All gods in the sky and Xuan are respected by Dao Xuan. If you are interested, please go to the Yaoguang Pavilion of King He Tower to talk about it. As soon as Linyang finished the competition and left the fantasy realm, she heard a voice transmission. She looked around but couldn't find the person who sent her the message. A charming smile appeared on her lips. She had already guessed who was coming to find her. Yunhai, Wenren, I'm going to see an old friend. You go back first. After Linyang finished speaking, her figure disappeared. A secret guard hidden in the crowd of spectators took out a transmission order and said, Master, the people have passed. Not long after, Linyang stepped into Yaoguang Pavilion. The aroma of tea overflows in the pavilion. A man was sitting in front of the 8 immortals table, concentrating on making tea. The rising steam of tea made his face unreal. Qi Linyang still recognized the other party at a glance. Linyang changed her charming look before and sat down with a chill in her body. Let's talk. Xuanyi, I know you want to completely sever ties with the Chu family, so I brought her things. Chu Chanji put down the teacup in his hand, and a dark green box appeared in his palm. The patterns on the box are complex, mysterious and mysterious. Linyang's expression suddenly changed, and she forced herself to restrain the surging emotions in her heart. What do you want me to do? Chu Chanji's eyes were filled with neither sadness nor joy, but there was something complicated, Xuanyi, actually back then. Shut up, you don't deserve to mention anything about that year. Linyang roared angrily. Okay, don't mention it. I can give you her things, but I want to know how you ascended. Who is the strong man in the middle who helped you? Chu Chanji asked. He knows better than anyone how difficult it is to ascend to the immortal world from the land abandoned by the gods. And the ancient skills have not been spread to the small world. But now Chu Xuanyi has not only ascended, but he is also practicing ancient techniques. There is definitely someone strong behind this. Chu Chanji, you really make me feel sick as always. Do you want to know if the strong man behind me wants to use Xuanmen tricks to plot against the other party again? Lin Yang was full of malice towards Chu Chanji. Chu Chanji's face darkened, and he said, since you are unwilling to disclose this matter, then change the conditions and pass on the complete inheritance of the Chu family to Chu Beizu. Oh, this is your real purpose, right? Lin Yang looked at Chu Chanji with mocking eyes. Yes, Chu Chanji admitted generously. I promise you, but I not only want what you have in your hands, I also want to cancel the Xuanming contract on me. Lin Yang said coldly. Chu Chanji fell into silence. At this moment, a figure broke into Yaoguang Pavilion. The person coming is Chu Beizu. He looked at Lin Yang with surprise in his eyes and said excitedly, Auntie, I knew you would come back. I saw you playing on the field. Why did you just return to the fairy world now? Where have you been before? However, Lin Yang set up a barrier around her to prevent Chu Beizu from approaching. Chu Beizu was not an insider of what happened between the Chu family and Xuanmen. But Chu Beizu is the beneficiary and the inheritor of Chu Chanji. This was destined to make it impossible for her to get close to Chu Beizu. Beizu, you go back to Chu's house first. Your aunt and I have something to discuss. A dark color flashed across Chu Chanji's eyes, knowing that Chu Beizu's appearance here was definitely not an accident, and someone must have done it deliberately. Now Chu Chanji wants Chu Beizu to leave. There are some things that Chu Beizu is not suitable to touch yet. Father, if I don't leave, my aunt will disappear every time she talks to you alone. This time I want to stay with my aunt. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 983 The Past of the Chu Family. Chu Beizu has never seen his mother since he was born. Chu Chanji was busy with various things and had no time to accompany him. Chu Xuanyi was always with him when he was a child. Chu Beizu clearly remembered that Chu Xuanyi was very kind to him at that time, always smiling and teaching him various exercises. Later, Chu Xuanyi suddenly disappeared. No message was left. He asked Chu Chanji countless times where Chu Xuanyi went, but the answer he got was always that he didn't know. After that, he followed Chu Chanji to the land abandoned by the gods, and met Chu Xuanyi by chance. But Chu Xuanyu's attitude towards him changed drastically. Like a stranger. After a brief meeting, Chu Xuanyi disappeared again. So in order to find Chu Xuanyi, he traveled almost all over Juzhou, but he failed to see her again. Therefore, Chu Beizu did not want to let Chu Xuanyi go at all this time. He had many questions to ask Chu Xuanyi. Chu Beizu was a young man with a handsome appearance, and his brows were a little calmer. He looked at Lin Yang and said, Auntie, is there any misunderstanding between you and your father? We are all from the Chu family, why do we have to make it to this point? Lin Yang's charming face showed a mocking smile, and she looked at Chu Chanji silently. Chu Chanji's whole body was filled with pressure. Father, don't try to force me to leave. I won't leave until my aunt returns to the Chu family, Chu Beizu said forcefully. The relationship between my aunt and my father used to be very good. But after my aunt disappeared, my father was not in any hurry to find her, which was very abnormal. So there must be a misunderstanding between father and aunt. Chu Beizu was completely immersed in his conjecture. Since you don't want to leave, I will pass on the Chu family inheritance to you. In this way, the relationship between me and the Chu family will be completely severed from now on. Lin Yang said coldly. I don't want the inheritance of the Chu family, aunt. I don't want to be the heir. You do it, Chu Beizu said eagerly. Lin Yang's red lips curled up slightly and she said, if you really don't want it, then just destroy it. Lin Yang couldn't help but sneer in her heart. Chu Chanji really knew how to take advantage of people's hearts. He wanted to use the clueless Chu Beizu to force her to relent. He really does everything he can. It's a pity that Chu Chanji will be disappointed this time. She can no longer be soft-hearted to anyone who is not related to her. When Chu Beizu heard Lin Yang's words, he felt aggrieved inexplicably. Auntie, is it really going to be like this? Otherwise, what do you want? Lin Yang asked funnily. The misunderstanding between you and your father hasn't reached the point of life and death, right? Why can't you reconcile? Chu Beizu didn't understand. They were all Chu family members, so why should they be tit for tat? Are you sure you want to know? Lin Yang said while observing Chu Chanji's reaction. Sure enough, when Chu Chanji heard her words, his face suddenly changed. Xuanyi, you give him the inheritance, I will give you something, and it will be written off from now on. I don't want inheritance, Chu Beizu said firmly. Lin Yang felt better after hearing this. The little guy who followed her back then has really grown up now. Thinking of this, Lin Yang stopped smiling instantly. She shouldn't have feelings for the descendant of a shameless person. Chu Chanji, it's better to tell him the truth directly, otherwise I'm afraid he won't be able to inherit the inheritance of my Chu family. Lin Yang pointed out. Aren't we all from the Chu family? Chu Beizu asked in confusion. Lin Yang sneered, you are half of the Chu family, and he is just a shameless person who stole the Chu family's inheritance. Back then, the Chu family's status in the immortal world was equivalent to the Jiang family's status in the divine world. Strong men from all walks of life need the magic weapons refined by the Chu family. In her father's generation, the only heirs to the family were her and her sister. Neither of them were good at refining weapons, but preferred magic. So the family directly let one of them get married and have children. Then let the children you give birth to inherit the Chu family's weapon refining heritage. So the Chu family chose Chu Chanji. After Chu Chanji entered the Chu family, he performed very well at first, and the ancestor of the Chu family also liked him very much, so Chu Chanji learned a lot of the Chu family's weapon refining skills. But after all, he was not of the Chu family's blood, so the ancestor decided to save it. Instead of passing the inheritance to Chu Chanji, he decided to leave the inheritance to Chu Beizu. Later, Su Exingheng became the emperor of the immortal realm, and things began to change from this time. Several masters of craftsmanship in the Chu family died unexpectedly one after another, and no abnormalities were found. The Chu family's masters of refining weapons also had accidents one after another. At this time, her sister had already died because of giving birth to Chu Beizu. She was not good at refining weapons, and Chu Beizu was still young. Chu Changji is the only one left in the Chu family who knows how to refine weapons. So Chu Changji naturally became the new head of the family. She didn't have any objections at first, but later she found out that Chu Changji and Su Exingheng had close contacts, so she started to investigate. After all, when the elders of the Chu family died unexpectedly, it was definitely related to Su Exingheng. During her investigation, she discovered a lot of things, especially about Su Exingheng. A majestic emperor of the immortal world is actually just a puppet. The identity behind Chu Changji was also discovered. People of Xuanmen. How could the Xuanmen need to be adopted by the Chu family? So they must have a purpose in sending Chu Changji to the Chu family. But before she could investigate the purpose behind this, Emperor Su Exingheng attacked her. Su Exingheng killed her, erased her memory, controlled her reincarnation, and sent her to the land abandoned by the gods. In this way, she became the lady of wonderful sound who could be bullied by everyone. Also became a chess piece. In fact, sometimes she would rather never remember the memory of being in the Chu family, so that she could ignore the hatred. But she happened to regain her memory. He also unexpectedly discovered that the Chu family inheritance has always been with him. Almost everyone in the Chu family has been replaced by Chu Changji. The Chu family today is no longer her Chu family. She didn't want the Chu family to be polluted by Chu Changji. As for the true inheritance of the Chu family, it is even more impossible to give it to Chu Beizu. What she wanted to give to Chu Beizu was the share left by her sister. It can also be regarded as the inheritance of the Chu family. How is it possible that my father is not from the Chu family? Chu Beizu said in shock. His surname is Chu. Your mother is the one who truly has the blood of the Chu family. He was just a dog raised by the Chu family from beginning to end. Lin Yang said in a very unkind tone. Chu Changji's eyes flashed with anger, but he didn't say anything after all, which seemed to be acquiescing to Lin Yang's words. Looking at Chu Beizu's stunned expression, Lin Yang decided to give another piece of news. He is not from the Chu family, but he has a very powerful identity. He is a member of Xuanmen and the heir of Xuanmen. Chu Beizu stared at Chu Changji blankly, as if he had been struck by lightning. No matter how powerful the people of Xuanmen are, they will be hated by others, and people of Xuanmen cannot inherit the power of two families. Unless that force becomes Xuanmen. So now my father wants to take away everything from the Chu family and turn the Chu family into a Xuanmen force. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 984 Xuanming Mark. Father, are you really a member of Xuanmen? Chu Beizu wanted to get a negative answer in his heart. But reality is always cruel. Chu Changji's next words made Chu Beizu even more unbelievable. Chu Changji said in a deep voice, I am the current Xuanmen sect leader, Beizu. You are the chosen next Xuanmen successor. The Chu family can conceal your true identity, so you must inherit the Chu family. Chu Changji deliberately told the truth in front of Lin Yang. But Chu Beizu couldn't accept that Chu Changji wanted to protect Xuanmen and plot against the entire Chu family. Chu Beizu said sternly, Father, when did I become the heir of Xuanmen? I don't want to be the heir of Xuanmen, I just want to keep the Chu family. Chu Changji heard this and said coldly, you already have the mark of Xuanming on your body. It is your mission to inherit Xuanmen. After you open Tianzi, you can practice Xuanmen magic. Beizu, you don't have time to continue. The willfulness has gone down. Those chosen by Xuanmen will have Xuanming marks on their bodies. This mark will be used to unlock heavenly wisdom after passing the assessment. Only disciples who have unlocked Tianzi can practice Xuanmen techniques and learn ways to deduce the past, present and future. Those who have never been chosen by Xuanmen can refuse Xuanmen. Except Chu Xuanyi. Chu Changji looked at Lin Yang opposite with dark eyes. What Xuanming mark? Chu Beizu said with an angry face, Father, the mission you call is the mission of Xuanmen and has nothing to do with me. I am Chu Beizu of the Chu family and will not become the successor of Xuanmen. Not now, and never in the future. When Chu Beizu spoke, his tone was firm, and there was also his own unruliness in his brows. Lin Yang was in a good mood watching this scene. It was really interesting. Chu Changji could attack her because she rejected Xuanmen before, but what about this time? Those who reject Xuanmen are those connected by his blood. Can Chu Changji still be able to do it? Beizu, sit down first. Chu Changji's face was serious, but his eyes were as neither sad nor happy as ever. Chu Beizu's back became straighter and straighter, and he faced Chu Changji stubbornly. Chu Beizu, sit down. Lin Yang picked up the teacup in front of her and took a sip. Don't tell me, Chu Changji's tea is really not as good as Feng Qingren's. When Chu Beizu heard Lin Yang's words, he immediately sat next to Lin Yang with a complicated expression. He was still confused at the moment. My father is the master of Xuanmen, and he also controls my aunt's family. In order to avoid Xuanmen, my aunt actually wanted to abandon her family and him. He really didn't know what to do. Seeing Chu Beizu's expression, Lin Yang's long eyebrows slightly raised. She really looked like her silly sister. Thinking of that face that didn't understand the world. Lin Yang glanced at the box in Chu Changji's hand, stood up immediately, and planned to leave. Chu Beizu stood up again and asked, Auntie. You deal with the internal conflicts within Xuanmen first, and come to me after it's settled. I'm not interested in this matter. Lin Yang raised her hand and pushed Chu Beizu down to sit down. Then, before Chu Beizu could say anything, Lin Yang had already stepped out of Yaguang Pavilion. But she did not leave Qinghe Tower. Instead, he chose to go to another attic. Come in. As soon as Lin Yang stood outside the door, a voice came from inside. Lin Yang pushed the door open and said with a smile, "Can I ask Miss Feng for a cup of tea?" "Okay, sit down," Feng Qingbran responded. Lin Yang walked over and naturally sat opposite Feng Qingbran. Feng Qingbran took out the tea set, quickly made a cup of tea and handed it to Lin Yang. "Miss Feng, do you still remember the first time we met? By the way, at that time, why did you dare to take out Tianyuan fruit and Lingyuan fruit? Aren't you afraid that I would kill people and seize the treasure?" Lin Yang asked curiously. "Don't be afraid, I will never do anything I'm not sure about," Feng Qingbran said confidently. "Ha ha ha." Lin Yang smiled charmingly and continued, "At that time, in my territory, you were just a chi refining monk. Why were you confident that you could escape unscathed? I haven't figured it out all these years." Feng Qingbran said, "You will know this later." "Who did you learn this from?" Lin Yang shook her head helplessly, flipped her wrist, and the letter floated in front of Feng Qingbran. Feng Qingbran caught the letter. Lin Yang explained, "Miss Feng, please give this letter to Bailey Wenyu. It is good. Miss Feng, are you interested in hearing the Chu family's story?" "I'm very happy." A glimmer of light flashed in Feng Qingbran's apricot eyes. She only found out that Lin Yang was Chu Xuanyi not long ago. Lin Yang's expression was calm, as if she was lost in memories. Then he slowly said, "The story of the Chu family is not complicated. We had no intention of getting involved with Xuanmen. But when I was a teenager, a strange old man appeared. He told me that I was very suitable to become a member of Xuanmen and asked me if I would like to join Xuanmen. Of course I'm not willing. My wish is to travel all over the world, and becoming a member of this Xuanmen requires a lot of responsibilities. I don't like it, let alone want to. But I didn't expect that Xuanmen would be so domineering. He wouldn't even give me a chance to refuse. He put the mark of Xuanmen on me without authorization and said he would come back when I figured it out. Since then, I have begun to investigate Xuanmen matters. If I don't investigate, I won't know. Once I investigated, I discovered many secrets of Xuanmen. Xuanmen's method of finding disciples is very special. It is the kind of person who never forgets those who see Xuanmen, and can have the opportunity to become a disciple of Xuanmen. The reason why I was chosen by the old man is because I have met him several times and have not forgotten him. Anyway, the more I understand Xuanmen, the less I like Xuanmen. I don't want to join the Xuanmen even more. I started to want to get rid of the Xuanmen mark on my body, but there is no way. The ancestor has used many connections, but has not succeeded. Finally, I decided to tell the old man that I refuse to be the heir to Xuanmen next time I see him. My several rejections did not make the old man give up, but instead caused disaster to the Chu family. When my generation comes to the Chu family, there are only me and my sister. And what's very strange is that neither my sister nor I are good at refining weapons. Although we were born into a family of refining weapons, we seem to have a natural hatred for weapon refining. No matter how hard we try, it doesn't work. In the end, my ancestor had no choice but to let my sister and I give birth to an heir to the Chu family. At that time, I vaguely realized that this matter might be related to Xuanmen, but I couldn't do anything. My sister Chu Xuanjuo understood my ambition, so she took on the task of getting pregnant and giving birth. In this way, Chu Chanji was rescued by members of the family. Chu Chanji was very handsome, with an aloof aura about him. Xuanjuo was immediately dazzled by the beauty and chose him to be the husband-in-law of the Chu family. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 985 Do What You Want. After Xuanjuo was selected, the elders of the Chu family tested Chu Chanji again and made sure that there was nothing wrong with him, so they felt free to marry their sister to him. I can't say I hate Chu Chanji, but I definitely don't like him. However, for Xuanjuo's sake, he and I are quite friendly on the surface. Not long after Chu Chanji came to the Chu family, the elders' expressions of sadness disappeared and they liked him very much. His talent for refining weapons was better than that of all the younger members of the Chu family. Later, Xuanjuo became pregnant and gave birth to Chu Beizu. After Xuanjuo gave birth to Chu Beizu, she encountered a strong man who broke into the Chu family. She died to protect Chu Beizu. But I always feel that the cause of her death is related to Xuanmen. But this time, I didn't find anything. I suddenly realized that everything I said and did was under the control of Xuanmen. The reason why I was able to find out about Xuanmen back then was because the other party did it intentionally. I will make up for the guilt I felt towards Xuanjuo on Chu Beizu. However, Xuanmen doesn't seem to be planning to let go of the Chu family yet. Su Exingheng appeared in the immortal world, and the Chu family also changed owners. At this moment, the master of Xuanmen appeared again and asked me if I would like to become the successor of Xuanmen. He also told me Chu Chanji's identity. Chu Chanji and I are both the chosen heirs of Xuanmen. If I agree, I can take back the Chu family and regain my ability to refine weapons. How could I agree at this time? I rejected Xuanmen again. When Lin Yang said this, she looked at Feng Qingbran and asked self-deprecatingly, "Do you want to ask me why I don't leave the Chu family? Or do you pretend to agree?" Feng Qingbran shook his head. "Xuanmen wants to control you, you can't escape." Lin Yang's eyes glowed, as if someone finally understood her. Lin Yang said bitterly, "Actually, I tried to leave the Chu family midway so that Xuanmen would not target the Chu family, but once I left the Chu family, Xuanmen sent me a warning. And if I agree to become the successor of Xuanmen, I must make a contract. I also need to erase many of the bad parts of Xuanmen in my memory. From now on, I will never be able to escape from Xuanmen. I'm even more afraid that after I agree to join Xuanmen, the entire Chu family will be eliminated." Feng Qingbran looked at Lin Yang's painful look with deep eyes. "The Chu family is your family in the previous life. For cultivators, the cause and effect disappear after death. You are now Lin Yang in the land abandoned by the gods. There is no need to treat yourself like this. A heavy burden." Lin Yang's hands shook when she heard Feng Qingbran's words. "I also want the cause and effect to disappear after death, but I have the true inheritance of the Chu family, and what my sister wants to teach Chu Beizu. Because of this, the Chu family has become in this way. I can't let the Chu family disappear. She wanted to find an opportunity to remove the Shranming mark on her body, and then completely break away from Shranman. Only in this way can she have a chance to revive the Chu family. As for seeking revenge from Shranman, she didn't dare to think about it for the time being. She couldn't fight Shranman. Linyang, since you don't want the Chu family to disappear, why do you want to give the Chu family to Chu Chanji? Feng Qingran asked. I don't want the Chu family that Shranman has touched. Feng Qingran's lips curled up slightly and she smiled brightly. Do you want to take revenge? Miss Feng also has a grudge against Shranman. Linyang changed her previous frustration and her eyes became colorful. Correct. Linyang became excited and showed a seductive smile again. As far as I know, the Shranman we see are all placed on the surface by Shranman, and the Shran and Shranwai that were destroyed before are just the edges of Shranman. Power. The real Shranman is hidden very deep. They're scattered among the 8 major families of heaven. And the master of Shranman also has a secret door and a main door. For example, if Chu Chanji is the master of the main sect, putting it on the surface will attract hatred. It seems that the ancestor of Shranman has offended a powerful person. This main sect leader exists just to make that powerful person eliminate his hatred. The master of the secret sect has learned the true secret art. What the secret sect masters learn is actually not just deduction techniques, they also learn luck-stealing techniques, forbidden techniques, heaven-defying techniques, etc. In short, they learn whatever is harmful. Shranman saw that I insisted on rejecting him, so they killed me, erased my memory, and sent me to the land abandoned by the gods. They just wanted to take away my luck after I was reincarnated and when I was weak. Actually, I was supposed to die in the Qin family, but when I was about to die, a woman in red appeared, saved me from fire and water, and sent me away from the Qin family. She also helped me restore my spiritual roots and gave me the space to practice. Use materials and treasures to enhance your strength. I always thought that woman was arranged by Shranman. After that, I established Tongwen Pavilion. After investigation, I found that she had nothing to do with Shranman, but I could no longer find any trace of her. Shranman's luck-stealing technique is so silent that no one can detect it. No one with strong luck who is targeted by them can escape. Linyang only told Feng Qingran the news, but she did not intend to tell Feng Qingran where she got the news. After Linyang finished speaking, she stared at Feng Qingran. To be honest, in her memory, when the woman in red rescued her, she didn't see the other person's appearance clearly at all, but only vaguely saw his outline. It turned out to be somewhat similar to Feng Qingran at the moment. After listening to Linyang's words, Feng Qingran connected many things together unconsciously. The person who saves Linyang must be someone who has enemies with Shranman. But there was one thing that Linyang didn't seem to investigate. There is a hidden rule in Shranman, that is, Shranman heirs are only allowed to have descendants, and are not allowed to have Taoist companions. They must leave the father and leave the son, or leave the mother and leave the son. Therefore, Chu Xuanzhuo's death must not have been an accident. Miss Feng, do you think our every move now is under Shranman's surveillance? Linyang asked half-jokingly. No, Feng Qingran said firmly. Shranman is no longer qualified to spy on her actions. Listening to Feng Qingran's confident answer, Linyang also breathed a sigh of relief, and then asked in confusion, Miss Feng, if you were me, how would you handle your relationship with Chu Beizu? Linyang couldn't help but feel touched that Chu Beizu was her sister's bloodline. And see how Chu Beizu refused to become a member of Shranman. Linyang couldn't help but think of herself. At that time, she tried to escape from the abyss many times, but always failed, and she could not find anyone to help her. That feeling of being alone is not a good one. Linyang still felt compassion for Chu Beizu because of Chu Xuanzhao. As you wish. After Feng Qingran finished speaking, he changed the subject and said, your Tongwen Pavilion also won a game. Are you going to bid for a spot in the semi-finals? Fluck lied laughed. Chu Chanji did not tell Chu Beizu all the truth. As for why he entered the Chu family, he said it was to hide his identity. In order to hide your identity, you implicated the entire Chu family, right? And my mother's death was also related to Shranman, right? Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 986 Compromise. Chu Beizu never thought that the truth was so cruel. This father whom he admired endlessly also had many dirty sides secretly. But everything my father did was for Shranman. Not for selfish reasons. This Shranman is a scourge. If Shranman ceases to exist, will my father and aunt be able to get back together? A glimmer of hope burst out in Chu Beizu's eyes. Maybe he could agree to become the successor of Shranman first, understand everything about Shranman, and then find a way to destroy this so-called Shranman. But he couldn't agree too quickly. Beizu, the living beings in the world today are in such a grand state because they're favored by Shranman, so it is natural for them to sacrifice for Shranman. Besides, their sacrifices are just to exchange for Shranman to protect more living beings. When Chu Chanji said these words, his face was expressionless and his eyes were cold. In his view, everything in the world is subject to reincarnation of cause and effect, with one ebbing and the other ebbing. Some sacrifices are just for the sake of longer-term development. The rebels of the past are an excellent example. Without the sacrifices of the ancestors, there would be no prosperity for all races. Have you ever asked the person who was sacrificed if he was willing? Chu Beizu only felt that Chu Chanji opposite him was becoming more and more unfamiliar. Chu Beizu looked at the indifferent Chu Chanji and continued, have you never thought about this problem? Maybe this problem is not within your scope of consideration. In your eyes, you only need to follow Shranman's orders, right? If the protection itself is obtained by sacrifice, then it is not another kind of killing. Therefore, Shranman is not that great at all. Its protection is full of blood and darkness. Father, is this kind of Shranman really worth doing so much? Chu Beizu still tried to wake up Chu Chanji. If possible, he didn't want to be on the opposite side of Chu Chanji. What's wrong with sacrificing a few lives to save the majority? Chu Chanji asked coldly. Chu Beizu always slandered Shranman. Chu Changji was unhappy, but since the other party was the successor chosen by Shranman, he still had some patience. Chu Beizu asked rhetorically, "It is wrong to compare the number of lives. It is wrong from the beginning. Do you think it can be used as a guide?" Chu Changji fell into silence. However, he was not thinking about Chu Beizu's words. He was observing Chu Beizu. Chu Beizu is his chosen successor to Shranman and is also his bloodline. In fact, Taoism does not allow using blood as a link to select successors. And he just broke this rule. After becoming the sect leader, he still couldn't figure out why he broke this rule before. But after listening to Chu Beizu's remarks, he suddenly realized what he had been thinking before. I was afraid that I wanted to use Chu Beizu to overthrow Shranman. However, at that time, I had not received the inheritance of Shranman, and I did not understand that becoming the leader of a sect required emotional separation and that I would be completely loyal to Shranman. Therefore, the current Chu Beizu is not suitable to be the successor of Shranman at all. But it doesn't matter. After Chu Beizu inherits Shranman, you won't have so many ideas. And when Chu Beizu met Chu Changji's eyes again, Chu Beizu finally realized what was wrong. It seems that since then, his father's attitude towards him has always been indifferent and distant. Although my father's eyes didn't have so many emotional changes in the past, there was warmth in his body. The way his father looked at him now was devoid of any emotion. "Are you still my father?" Chu Beizu asked tremblingly. "Yes." When he heard the affirmative answer, Chu Beizu was not happy, but became calmer. Chu Changji is his father, but not his father. For his father to become like this, something must have happened during the inheritance of Shranman that he didn't know about. Chu Beizu clenched his fists. "I am willing to become the successor of Shranman." At this moment, Chu Beizu no longer wanted to negotiate conditions, because he was not qualified to negotiate any conditions. Once you enter Shranman, unless your body dies and your soul disappears, you will be bound to Shranman forever and ever. Chu Changji said clearly. "Okay," Chu Beizu said firmly. When Chu Beizu finished speaking, Chu Changji was already in front of him. Chu Changji said calmly, "Don't resist, I will unlock the Shranming mark and heavenly wisdom for you, and give you a part of the inheritance that belongs to the heir." Chu Beizu had no time to respond. He only felt a force pouring into his sea of consciousness, which invisibly put a layer of shackles on him. At the same time, another loft. Lin Yang, who was chatting happily with Feng Qinggran, stood up suddenly, her face gloomy. "Lin Yang, what's wrong?" Chu Beizu chose to join Shranman. Lin Yang regained her composure and sat down pretending to be relaxed. Feng Qinggran's eyes flashed slightly. Her subconscious reaction could not be deceived. Lin Yang still cared about Chu Beizu after all. When the two talked again, Lin Yang was obviously restless, but she didn't realize it. Feng Qinggran put away the tea set, stood up and said, "If you're worried, just go and have a look. Just go with your heart and you might get some unexpected surprises." Chu Beizu's nature is not bad, he just didn't get good guidance. Moreover, Chu Beizu should care about Lin Yang, his aunt, otherwise she would not have thought of the reason why Chu Beizu and Su Yanran would confront each other. Thinking of Su Yanran, Feng Qinggran's lips curled up slightly. It was time to resolve personal grudges in the next competition. Lin Yang watched Feng Qinggran disappear from the spot, her thoughts racing. Then she seemed to think of something, shook her head and said with a smile, "It's just that I thought too narrowly, there are always two sides to everything." Lin Yang stepped into Yaguang Pavilion again, and she lost the hatred she had before. She stepped into it with ease. "Auntie." Chu Beizu looked at Lin Yang with red eyes, guilt surging in his eyes. It turned out that the Chu family had suffered so many unreasonable disasters, all because of his father. He had no shame in asking his aunt to return to the filthy Chu family. With a smile on her face, Lin Yang walked over and patted Chu Beizu on the shoulder. "Remember, your mother's name is Chu Xuanjuo. She is a very good person and loves you very much. She hopes that you can choose a future you like without being influenced by others." Object bondage. Chu Beizu's expression was dull and his eyes were still red. Lin Yang's eyes turned to Chu Changji and she smiled mockingly. "People from the Shren sect have no surnames, so Master Changji sect, please don't bear the name of the Chu family in the future, okay?" "Yes, as long as Beizu gets the complete inheritance of the Chu family, I will have nothing to do with the Chu family in the future." Chu Changji agreed. "Give me the stuff." Lin Yang raised her hand and said. Chu Changji put a box into Lin Yang's palm, saw her put it away, and handed another thing over. "This is something that the ancestors of the Chu family want to give to their old friend. My old friend is in Lingyun sect. If you give it to Miss Feng, she will know who to give it to." Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 987 The Visitor from the Immortal Realm. Lin Yang lowered her eyes and looked at the small and simple box in her hand. Just taking a glance, Lin Yang felt a mysterious, ancient, and dangerous atmosphere rushing towards her face. So how precious are the things in here? Lin Yang searched for the memories in the inheritance. The Chu family seemed to have nothing to give to their old friends. The ancestor of the Chu family didn't like to cause trouble to the Chu family. The Chu family never saves anything for the deceased friends. Therefore, the thing that Chu Changji took out was probably not what the old friend wanted to give to the Lingyun sect, but what he wanted to give to the Lingyun sect. He gave something to Lingyun sect for no reason. Lin Yang's eyes darkened as she recalled what happened when she came to find Chu Changji. Could it be that he was looking for her just to lend her hand to deliver something to Lingyun sect? After all, if Chu Changji delivers it himself, Lingyun sect will definitely be on guard. In an instant, Lin Yang figured out a lot of things. The reason why Chu Changji was so patient in negotiating terms with her was just to confuse her. Figured everything out. Lin Yang calmed down and asked casually, "When did this thing fall into your hands?" Chu Changji said calmly, "What I got when I opened the Chu family ancestral hall, there is a trace of the ancestors' thoughts on it." Liliang concealed the coldness in her eyes and put away her things. You go out first, I want to pass on the Chu family's inheritance to Chu Beizu. Chu Chanji didn't say anything and disappeared into the house. Fairyland. Above the sky. A huge space-time rift suddenly appeared. As the cracks unfolded, the terrifying pressure followed and descended on the fairy world. The cultivators felt the pressure and panicked instantly. They knew very well that this must be someone from God. Yi Exingchen just wanted to fly forward. Several beams of light suddenly lit up, and the formation appeared, trapping those who stepped into the cracks in time and space. The next moment, one of the comers was seen gently flicking his sleeves, and the formation was shattered. Yi Exingchen's sharp eyes darkened slightly. They were not sent by God. God could not be so strong. The number of visitors was not many, only 5. However, the 5 people who clearly exuded a terrifying aura before now looked like they had no aura at all. Yi Exingchen met the eyes of one of the visitors. In an instant, Yi Exingchen felt that his soul had nowhere to hide and no secrets could be hidden. The visitor looked at Yi Exingchen and said with a smile on his face, "Fellow Taoist, I'm sorry. We have no ill intentions and we will not interfere here. This is a sincere apology. I hope you will accept it." As he finished speaking, a storage ring came to Yi Exingchen. Next, they disappeared simultaneously. Yi Exingchen immediately spread the power of his spiritual consciousness to look for their traces. But he searched every corner of the fairy world and couldn't find them again. Yi Exingchen's eyes flashed slightly, and he picked up the storage ring and checked it. There were tens of thousands of time gems inside, as well as dozens of Tao fruits. Yi Exingchen's originally solemn expression was slightly cracked. Such a generosity. It seems that this group of outsiders is not simple. But that guy Tianyu is too useless. Such a powerful person broke into the plane, but no information was given. Just when Yi Exingchen was about to leave Kangqiong, Lord Tianyu came in a hurry. "Exingchen, there are 5 outsiders with terrifying strength who have entered the plane. The formation did not stop them. I think they seem to have come to the fairy world. Have you seen them?" "Yes," Yi Exingchen responded. "Where have they gone?" Tianyu Divine Lord was a little nervous. Outsiders heading straight to the immortal world for no reason was not good news. His daughter is still in the fairy world. Yi Exingchen said with a serious expression, "I don't know." After hearing this, the Sky Moon Goddess unfolded the power of the domain to find their location. Soon, he sensed the aura of the outsider. Okay. Those 5 should not be so weak. Uncertain. Lord Tianyu sensed it again. There was only a breath of outsiders. This breath was threatening and evil, moving towards Lingyun sect. Divine Lord Tianyu didn't say much to Yi Exingchen, and just flashed to Lingyun sect. A woman was handing something to Feng Qingran. The breath of outsiders comes from within that thing. The aura of Lord Tianyu changed from gentle to domineering, and he was about to rush forward and destroy the thing. Without waiting for him to make a move, several afterimages rushed towards her daughter. "Phoenix Master. Xiao Qingran, don't touch the thing. Master is dangerous." Ellipsis. Several anxious voices sounded at the same time. Lord Tianyu froze in place. Below. Feng Qingran took a step back and said with a smile, "Dongji, little box, Juyu. I'm fine. Master, it can't be opened. It's best to send it back to the rift in time and space." The small box still warned worriedly. Dongji looked at Liniang, with a cold air flashing in his dark eyes. "It's just an insect king cultivated by the power of darkness. There's no need to worry," Feng Qingran said, taking out a scepter. The aura overflowing from the scepter is extremely dangerous. Feng Qingran can control them very well. Seeing this scene, Lord Tianyu turned around and left, his back looking slightly desolate. And when he left, Feng Qingran calmly raised her eyes and looked in the direction he left. Although she couldn't see anything, Feng Qingran had a feeling that a kind look had appeared there. At the same time, within a certain field, the 5 old men all lowered their heads, looking like they had made a huge mistake. One of the old men said, "Master Mo, we were wrong. We came here because we were really worried about you. Just go back with me. The immortal realm needs you." Mo Jinggong's breath was cold, his starry eyes were unfathomable. "Where is Qi?" "Master Qi has gone to the Chaos Realm. He asked me to bring you a message, don't interfere. He has nothing to do with the immortal realm." The old man's head was obviously lower. "Who did Qi see when he returned to the immortal realm?" Mo Jinggong asked in a deep voice. The old man glanced at Mo Jinggong with a guilty conscience. "Qi first met the Lord of the Universe in Biawang, and then left in a hurry. When Lao Ling realized something was wrong, he tried to stop it but it was already too late. So we used Ling Tianyun to get your location and rushed here immediately. Lord, in fact, that child Xiaoyun is simple-minded and doesn't know anything about this matter. It's all because Taishu is too cunning. He actually used Xiaoyun's trust in him to make lies. However, Xiaoyun never revealed your information from the beginning to the end. Taishu used the formation to deduce it." The old man stared at the pressure and finished all the words. "Taishu can be punished, but Ling Tianyun, whom they loved and grew up with since childhood, is innocent. Therefore, all must be pushed to Taishu." The old man quickly winked at the other old man and motioned for him to go up and intercede with Ling Tianyun. Another old man spoke respectfully to Mo Jinggong. "Lord, in the years since you left the immortal domain, the Chaos Realm has caused many harms to the universe. Lao Ling has stopped it many times, and every time it has been extremely dangerous. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore." Chapter 988 The location of the immortal domain. Mo Jinggong glanced at the old man who was speaking. It had been so long, but he still liked to tell lies with his eyes open. The old man noticed Mo Jinggong's gaze, and his words stopped abruptly. He had a feeling that if he continued talking, he might be in trouble. Hey. It's no wonder that Xiaoyun has such a calamity in his life. There was only so much he could do. What else happened in the immortal realm? Mo Jinggong asked in a deep voice. It was just Chi's matter that was not worthy of Ling Yuanluo sending 5 Taoist masters to look for him. The 5 old men looked at each other, but none of them wanted to speak first. Mo Jinggong's eyes fell on one of the old men and said, Gu Ming, tell me. Gu Ming was brought back to the immortal realm by Mo Jinggong himself. Gu Ming before meeting Mo Jinggong was almost a nightmare in every universe. Gu Ming loves fighting. Every time he goes to a universe, he will turn the entire universe upside down before giving up and leaving. But those lords of the universe couldn't defeat Gu Ming. He could only let Gu Ming toss him around, and then leave on his own initiative when he was satisfied. There are also many universe masters who have joined forces to deal with Gu Ming, but they have not succeeded even once. If it was just like this, Mo Jinggong would not care about Gu Ming. But Gu Ming's actions gave those who were willing to take advantage of it. Some predators followed Gu Ming and attacked these universes. In a short time, countless living beings suffered. So every universe thought that Gu Ming had colluded with the predators. When the predators were implicated, Mo Jinggong took the initiative to deal with Gu Ming and the predators. Unexpectedly, when Gu Ming saw Mo Jinggong, he immediately became happy and wanted to return to the immortal realm with Mo Jinggong. As for the universes that suffered due to Gu Ming, there are actually only a few. Those universes that were actually persecuted by the predators turned out to be Gu Ming's intentional actions, because those places were no longer the land of living beings. This is how Gu Ming was brought back to the immortal realm by Mo Jinggong. Then, Mo Jinggong discovered that it was true that Gu Ming loved fighting. There was a time when Gu Ming single-handedly caused chaos in the immortal domain. However, with the appearance of Ling Tianyun, Gu Ming suddenly no longer loved fighting and fell in love with raising children. From a strong man who loved fighting, he turned into a fairy-like existence. Later, just to take advantage, Ling Tianyun was asked to call him Grandpa, directly transforming him into a kind-hearted old man. Gu Ming was one of the few who took the initiative to join the immortal realm. Gu Ming was originally standing at the end, and when he heard Mo Jinggong call his name, he pretended to be profound and touched his beard. Lord, the location of the immortal domain has been exposed by the Chaos Realm. Although it is not a specific location, you can definitely find the immortal domain by following that location. There is another thing that Lao Ling asked me to tell him. He said he didn't know whether he should care about it or not. It is that the places where the predators and the decayers are merging. They seem to have reached some kind of agreement and want to attract the darkest one to join them. After Gu Ming said this, he was silent for a moment and said, Lord, another thing I discovered during this trip is that the strange creatures in the sea seem to be more violent than before. They are actively hunting the strong people passing through it. The immortal realm imprisons many extremely vicious people. In order to prevent them from escaping or being rescued, the location of the immortal domain had been hidden by Mo Jinggong. Without special guidance, no one can find the immortal realm. Even if they are in the immortal domain, they don't know the specific location of the immortal domain because of the existence of restrictions. They left the immortal realm and wanted to go back, relying on the mark to guide them. Now that the location of the immortal domain is exposed, it is definitely not a good thing. The location of the immortal realm was exposed in front, and the looters and rotten ones gathered behind it, and even the strange creatures in the boundary sea moved. These things must be related. After all, those extremely evil people once dominated a universe, and the things they held in their hands were enough to make many strong people take desperate risks to save them. So even if there are rumors about how terrifying the immortal realm is, there will still be countless powerful people who choose to stand on the opposite side of the immortal realm for the sake of profit. Of course, the matter may have nothing to do with the detainees, they may just be a cover. The person behind it, planning everything, is probably targeting the immortal domain. You guys should go back to the immortal realm first. Mo Jinggong thought for a moment, his deep voice sounded like a jade. Lord, let the 4 of them go back first, shall I stay here with you for a while? Gu Ming said with a smile. Mo Jinggong's eyes were like an ancient pool, no need. Gu Ming understood instantly and his mind was seen through. But he really wants to see their future domain lord's wife. Don't look at Ling Tianyun and think that he didn't say anything. In fact, during the conversation between Ling Tianyun and the old man Taishu, all the secrets could not be hidden. Of course, the old man Taishu did not expose Feng Qingren's existence. However, the immortal domain is full of old monsters, and anything can be detected by them if they are not careful. Coincidentally, Gu Ming was one of the people who understood the old man Taishu. After several attempts, he found out everything that old man Taishu had discovered. Ling Yuanluo asked the 5 of you to come together so that you can go back together safely. Mo Jinggong said. There are many dangers along the way from the immortal realm to here. Even those coming out of the immortal realm must be handled with caution. Under the strength, there are many invisible and dark methods. If you are not careful, the Taoist master may also capsize in the gutter. Especially now that many forces are eyeing the immortal realm, they must be careful of dark means. Gu Ming glanced at the 4 remaining old men with a rather disgusted expression. One of the old men rolled his eyes. Do you think we are willing? If Lao Ling hadn't been afraid that if you saw an injustice again, you would draw out your sword to help, which would waste time, and nothing would have happened to us, okay? Gu Ming is the type who hates evil as much as he hates it, and does whatever he doesn't like. Only if they work together can they hold Gu Ming back. Gu Ming stared back instantly. If you are as strong as me, you don't need to pull me at all. As soon as you speak, I will listen. The old man's eyes twitched and he didn't want to pay attention to Gu Ming. Lord, how about I just take a look? Gu Ming said secretly. No, this plane also hides the law enforcer from the Chaos Realm. Your appearance will expose her. Mo Jinggong refused. He wasn't sure how many Chaos enforcers were left on this plane. This was the reason why he rarely appeared next to Feng Qingren after coming to the fairy world. Some things should not be left to chance. And it was even more impossible for him to take risks with Feng Qinggran. What? Chaos Law Enforcer? Then we must protect the wife of the Domain Lord, otherwise we can take her back to the Immortal Domain, where no one can hurt her. Gu Ming said in a message. The Chaos Enforcers are a tough bunch. The methods were sinister, and even he almost fell into the leader's scheme. This plane is even more vulnerable to a blow from a Chaos Law Enforcer, so staying here is the most dangerous thing. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 989 Refining the Soul-Eating Goo. Mo Jinggong's eyes became dangerous. Don't let me hear such words next time. This plane is where Feng Qinggran lived and grew up. If he takes Feng Qinggran to the Immortal Realm, wouldn't he ask her to give up here directly? Of course he didn't mind Feng Qinggran following him to the Immortal Realm. But missing Feng Qinggran would definitely be a disaster for this place. Even if he had taken action back then, he had repelled the group of law enforcers in the Chaos Realm, giving him a certain degree of shock. But how long can this shock last? Sooner or later, the Chaos Realm will come back and attack here again. And as he recovered from his injuries, he gradually saw some hidden memories. It was no accident that the Chaos World focused on this place. There was something crucial to the Chaos World hidden here. However, since Qi went to the Chaos Realm, they must not be able to care about it for a while. Mo Jinggong decided to return to the Immortal Realm first to deal with the matter of the plunderers and the rotten ones. The contract he made with Dareding back then has expired. But before leaving, there are still some things to take care of. After Gu Ming heard Mo Jinggong's words, he immediately understood that the Territory Lord had not captured the person yet. Gu Ming's eyes showed strong interest. What kind of girl could actually reject the Domain Lord? No. What should I do if I get more curious? Gu Ming decided to activate his special skills, rushed to Mo Jinggong, knelt down on his knees, grabbed the corner of Mo Jinggong's clothes, and said miserably, Lord, I really don't want to leave you, I haven't seen you for so long. I really want to be with you. Mo Jinggong always knew who Ling Tianyan learned from. Stand up. No, Territory Lord, as long as you let me follow you, I guarantee that I will be absolutely invisible and no one will notice my existence. As for the four of them, just let them wait for me outside the plane. I will only take a look. Gu Ming gave full play to his shameless strut and would not give up until he achieved his goal. Mo Jinggong's eyebrows pounded. Are you not sure? Gu Ming looked innocent. Lord, I will give you a greeting gift, and I promise not to reveal any secrets. What about you? Mo Jinggong's eyes fell on the other four old men. The four old men shook their heads at the same time. We don't want to stay, we can wait in front of the plane. They're still very self-aware. Gu Ming dared to rely on something like this, but they didn't. Mo Jinggong looked away and said to Gu Ming, Get up, I agree, wait for me here. Gu Ming got up immediately. Mo Jinggong always had the final say. Since he agreed, all he had to do was wait here. Between moments, Mo Jinggong's figure appeared in the 19th level of hell. Seeing Mo Jinggong, Duo Yan rushed over excitedly, Master, you are back, and the soul-eating goo has just been completed. However, this Ling Tianyan has been in retreat since he left, and I don't know when he will wake up. Mo Jinggong glanced at Ling Tianyan, raised his hand, and a space-time rift opened above him. A figure fell out from inside. To Ling Tianyan, Duo Yan widened his eyes and said in shock. Ling Tianyan, who was still in the state of cultivation, immediately woke up and merged with the other Ling Tianyan. Region Lord. Ling Tianyan lowered his head and said, since Mo Jinggong knew everything, he naturally did not need to explain. Mo Jinggong nodded, turned around and stepped into the time formation. In an instant, the soul-eating goo sleeping in the formation flapped its wings, and a terrifying power overflowed from its body. Buzz buzz. The golden soul-eating goo flew up, staring at Mo Jinggong, waiting for an opportunity. Mo Jinggong felt the power of the void exuding from the soul-eating goo, and a faint light flashed in his cold eyes. The goo could be so powerful. It was not surprising that the gods would fall. With the existence of this soul-eating goo, Qi should be able to take revenge. At this moment, the soul-eating goo rushed towards Mo Jinggong. Mo Jinggong gently raised his hand, wrapping the soul-eating goo with a layer of power, and then a golden seal was submerged into the soul-eating goo. Soul-eating goo immediately showed a surrendering attitude. Mo Jinggong took out a transparent box, and the soul-eating goo obediently folded its wings and flew into it. Mo Jinggong added a restriction on the box, put it away, and exited the formation. When Ling Tianyan saw Mo Jinggong coming out, he walked forward with a smile and said, Lord of the Territory. Well, come with me. Grandpa Gu Ming, Grandpa Tagan, Grandpa Zhu Ji, how did you get here? Ling Tianyan looked at the five old men and shouted in surprise. They're here to take you back to the Immortal Realm. Mo Jinggong spoke first. The eyes of the five old men flickered and they felt slightly guilty. Still Gu meditated that he wanted to stay, so he said cheerfully, Xiaoyun, we just want to take you back to the Immortal Realm. Lao Ling misses you. Ling Tianyan obviously didn't believe it. Did something happen in the Immortal Realm? Otherwise, why did you come to take me back? When Gu Ming heard this, he immediately showed a sad face. Xiaoyun, actually we want to come here to protect you, but since you know, I won't hide it from you. The current situation of the Immortal Domain is indeed not good. In order to protect the Immortal Domain, Lord Qi, gone with the law enforcers from the Chaos Realm. Taking the initiative to find the law enforcers counts as following them. What he said was not a lie. The other four old men looked at Gu Ming silently. What about old man? However, it would be nice if Ling Tianyan could follow him back. After all, it was very dangerous outside now, so they didn't plan to explain more. Seeing this, Ling Tianyan thought a lot again. Qi and the Chaos Realm had a blood feud. If the Immortal Realm hadn't encountered a catastrophe, Qi would definitely not have been able to go to the Chaos Realm. Those law enforcers definitely used Qi to threaten the Territory Lord. Ling Tianyan said eagerly, then what are you waiting for? Let's go back and save Lord Qi now. Gu Ming showed a pleased expression and patted Ling Tianyun on the shoulder. Xiaoyun, you have really grown up. Qi Duo will definitely be very happy if he knows your intentions. Mo Jinggong and the other four old men just watched. Anyway, Gu Ming had fooled Ling Tianyun many times. The strange thing is that Ling Tianyun believes it every time. In short, when Gu Ming was cheating, his words were half true and half false. When he reacted afterwards, he couldn't find anything wrong. Okay, Xiaoyun, let's leave immediately. You don't have anything else to deal with here, right? We go back to the immortal realm, and we may not have the chance to come back again. Gu Ming reminded. This, Ling Tianyun hesitated. It really does. Ling Tianyun said vaguely, Grandpa Gu Ming, I have found several people with particularly good qualifications who are rare. I originally wanted to invite them to practice in the immortal realm. If I leave now, I will not be able to bring them with me. They are. With the strength of the Lingyun sect, there is no way to cross the boundary sea. Still need their protection. Traveling through the sea is inherently dangerous. The more creatures you bring, the more power you consume, and the easier it is to be discovered by the weird creatures inside. What kind? Tell me about it. Gu Ming became interested. After all, someone who can make Ling Tianyun feel that he has good qualifications must be more than good, and he must have unparalleled qualifications. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 990 The Great Cause and Effect. Ling Tianyun looked at Shang Gu Ming curiously, but did not speak immediately, but subconsciously looked at Mo Jinggong. Mo Jinggong's eyes flashed slightly, and with a flick of his sleeves, Ling Tianyun, Zhuo Yan and the other four old men disappeared. Gu Ming watched the few in front of him being sent away, and then looked at Mo Jinggong. Are you afraid of being contaminated by the karma of the Tao? Mo Jinggong asked in a deep voice. As long as it is not a major cause and effect that reverses the world, the old man is not afraid. Gu Ming said confidently. The cause and effect of Tao will affect your own luck and opportunities. But at his level, luck and opportunity can be said to come easily. The only thing he has to worry about is the kind of big cause and effect that requires reversing time and space. Ordinary cause and effect will only interfere with him in one time and space. The big cause and effect is different. The big cause and effect will not only affect him in this time and space, but also affect him in countless time and space. If there are too many big causes and effects, it will change his growth trajectory. In that case, all his destiny trajectories would have changed, and he might not have achieved what he has achieved now. Generally, the situation that is most likely to produce big cause and effect is to travel through the long river of time and change things that have been a foregone conclusion in the past time and space. Or, rescuing some existence that has disappeared from the long river of time. Or, go to the long river of time to destroy some threatening existence in advance. Tao emphasizes letting nature take its course and going with the flow. If we act in the opposite direction, we will encounter dire consequences. Of course, as a Taoist master, he could barely afford one or two major causes and effects. Gu Ming thought this and said it. After hearing this, Mo Jinggong said, there is no need to be contaminated by the great karma. Chaos law enforcers invaded here before and completely destroyed the ancient inheritance and techniques here. Even if they have preserved some of their skills before, they're limited after all. The skills you practice are the most comprehensive, so I would like to ask you to teach a few people. When Gu Ming heard Mo Jinggong's words, his doubts were answered. I said, how can this road be smooth and smooth? It turns out that it is like this. I wonder who the territory lord needs me to teach. Gu Ming had a vague hunch that the people Mo Jinggong mentioned were probably the ones Ling Tianyun mentioned. Mo Jinggong took Gu Ming directly into Lingyun sect. Although there is still a month before the next Fairyland competition, using the time formation method is enough for Ling Tianyun and the others to grow up. Is this here? As soon as Gu Ming entered Lingyun sect, his eyes lit up. There were one step at a time, and each formation had its own mystery. Anyone who breaks in by force will definitely encounter a killing array. Those who can arrange such a formation must have extraordinary attainments in the formation. Ling Yunzong. When Mo Jinggong finished speaking, Gu Ming moved and stood in front of Mo Jinggong, staring at one spot with interest. The next moment, a figure descended to where Gu Ming was staring. Jinggong. Fang Qingren's eyes fell on Gu Ming's face and she was speechless. She always felt as if Gu Ming's eyes were almost seeing through her. Gu Ming. Mo Jinggong's warning voice came. Gu Ming had a smile on his face, as if he had seen through everything, and stepped aside. Well, I'm just curious. Lord Mo, don't worry, I didn't do anything. Mo Jinggong stepped forward and sent a message. Ran, his name is Gu Ming. He is proficient in formations, alchemy, talismans, etc. He also has many good treasures in his hands. He can teach Liu Kanglan and the others some ancient things. Exercises. Received a message from Mo Jinggong. Fang Qingren's almond-shaped eyes were slightly curved, and she smiled knowingly at Mo Jinggong. Then she looked at Gu Ming and said with a smile, Fang Qingren, I have met the venerable Gu Ming. Gu Ming chuckled and said, Miss Qingren, you are polite. I am just a Taoist master and cannot be a venerable person. By the way, Miss Qingren, who arranged the formation of your Lingyun sect? Me and senior brother, Fang Qingren said matter-of-factly. I just feel that Gu Ming and Ling Tianyun in front of me are similar in every way. I wonder where Miss Qingren and your senior brother learned from each other. Gu Ming blinked his eyes, smiled wildly, and tried his best to appear amiable. He had no idea how vulgar he looked now. Gu Ming's question made Fang Qingren fall into silence. Where did you learn from him? Is Yi Wenshan considered their master? Forget it. But where is the teacher? It refers to the master who teaches carefully. This person is definitely not Yi Wenshan. When Gu Ming saw Fang Qingren's hesitation, he immediately understood everything. He was probably not a real master yet. Such peerless talent, without a master, is simply a waste. Gu Ming's eyes flashed, and he was very excited. He glanced at Mo Jinggong, and then quickly looked away. This person seemed to be the future wife of the domain lord. If he accepts the other party as his disciple, wouldn't he also be regarded as the domain lord's master? Just thinking about it makes me excited. Gu Ming stared at Fang Qingran with burning eyes and said, Miss Qingran, I really want to find an outstanding apprentice like you to inherit the inheritance of my Taoist master. What if you don't worship me as your teacher? After Gu Ming finished speaking, he showed a troubled expression, took out a storage ring, handed it to Fang Qingran, and continued, I was too impatient and wanted to find an apprentice. I was so presumptuous, so this is an apology. Of course, if Miss Qingran wants to become a disciple, I can do it at any time. On the one hand, Gu Ming showed his eagerness to recruit disciples, and on the other hand, he showed his full respect for Fang Qingran. You accept what he gives you, Mo Jinggong said solemnly. It is good. After Fang Qingran thanked Gu Ming, she accepted the storage ring. Now that she knew Mo Jinggong's purpose in calling Gu Ming here, she naturally wanted to take this opportunity. Fang Qingran and Mo Jinggong sent Gu Ming to Lu Kanglan and let Ling Tianyun and others pass. She and Mo Jinggong left quietly and went to Mozhu Peak. Ran, you haven't recovered your memory at all, right? Mo Jinggong asked warmly. You discovered it. When did you discover it? Fang Qingran did not remember Mo Jinggong, but she knew that he was the very important person whose memory was missing. Mo Jinggong's starry eyes shone like bright stars, and he said warmly, when I accompany you to the land abandoned by the gods. Fang Qingran took out a painting and opened it. There was a hibiscus tree painted on it. Fang Qingran said directly, I don't know why I painted this painting. I was just eager to remember something at the time, but I always felt that this was not the first time I was fascinated by the painting. However, the moment I saw you again, I remembered this painting. I thought that the painting I drew must be related to you. The color of ink enters the painting, and at a sudden glance, it is Mo Jinggong. And I will forget you, definitely not to turn against you. Later, I remembered the Xuanmen people have a characteristic of forgetting when they see it. Maybe you are a Xuanmen person. But after I went to the land abandoned by the gods, I am sure that you are not a member of Xuanmen. There are many blank spaces in my memory of my previous life. This part of the missing memory should be related to you. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 991 The Constructed Memory of Traveling Through Books. I will forget you, you should do it on purpose. Because you are not from this plane, and your own strength is already at its peak. If there is cause and effect between you and me, I will be the only one who suffers the backlash, and it will be an extremely serious backlash. That's why you chose to disappear from my and other people's memories, right? Fang Qingran looked at Mo Jinggong very seriously. After becoming a 5th level Taoist, she completely remembered her past with Mo Jinggong in Lingyun sect through the painting in front of her. She also found the reason why she didn't want to call Yan Miyu 7th senior brother. Because Mo Jinggong is the 7th senior brother of Lingyun sect. Mo Jinggong was not surprised that Fang Qingran could guess this. This is one of the reasons, and the other is because there are chaos law enforcers hidden in the upper world. If they find out that you are involved with me, they will definitely deal with you in advance. Take action. After Mo Jinggong finished speaking, he handed the brewed teacup to Fang Qingran. The aroma of tea is overflowing. Fang Qingran picked it up and took a sip. She felt that the power she had gathered earlier became more solid. The tea this time was different from before. Tao Tree tea can enhance your own Taoism and is suitable for you now. Mo Jinggong introduced. It is good. Fang Qingran's eyes were complicated, and she hesitated to speak several times. Mo Jinggong's eyes were filled with smiles. I want to know about my time in the book and my rebirth. Fang Qingran said. Mo Jinggong calmed down and said, your memory of traveling through books was constructed to give you hints. I once visited a blue star field, and there are many stories about traveling through books there. And you have been reborn several times. Because you have no memory, you will always fall into the trap set. So I made up a book based on your previous encounters and constructed it into your memory. This is how you have the memory of traveling through the book. When I first met you, you were already dead. You had the soul-eating goo in your body, which attracted me, so I sent you to be reborn. When Mo Jinggong said this, some pictures flashed in his mind. A woman lay in a pool of blood, her soul full of resentment. Although he was extremely weak, he still had to fight for the chance of survival with the soul-eating goo in his body. What was his mood at that time? He just looked at it indifferently and walked over. There was no thought of stopping at all. After all, everyone in this world has his or her own destiny, and everything has its own cause and effect. The world of immortality is inherently dangerous, and tragic deaths are not uncommon. Therefore, as long as it does not subvert the entire plane of life, he will not interfere without authorization. However, when he was about to leave, Fang Qingran's soul burst out with strong unwillingness, and she was about to die with the soul-eating goo. It was at that time that the aura of the predator emanating from soul-eating goo made him pause. A goo has the aura of a predator. This kind of thing shouldn't happen here at least. It shouldn't appear on a woman who has no cultivation. So he investigated Fang Qingran's past, and this investigation made him interested in Fang Qingran. Fang Qingran's birth seemed to bring great luck. Unfortunately, her good fortune did not guarantee smooth sailing for her, but instead made her the target of a conspiracy. As she grew up, wherever she went, there were people spying on her luck. What made him even more curious was that Fang Qingran only had this past life and no other past or reincarnation experiences. As for the future, there is even less that can be seen. He suspected that Fang Qingran was born at the same time as him. But if Fang Qingran was from that period, why did he end up like this? There are many things that I can't figure out. He decided to send Fang Qingran to be reborn and investigate again. These thoughts flashed through Mo Jinggong's mind, but only for a moment. He paused for a moment, then continued, when I send you to be reborn, in order to hide it, I did not give you a memory, so that the eye that covers the sky would not notice anything unusual about you. In this life, I followed you. You were eliminated in the spiritual root test and met Su Yanran. She invited you to join the Tianjian sect with her. However, you actually refused the opportunity that everyone in the world dreams of. However, you eventually joined the Tianjian sect. I found that as long as you stand next to Su Yanran, your luck will automatically flow to her, or you will be suppressed by her. And after you meet Su Yanran, you will always be a little confused, and some of your behavior will be unpredictable. After Mo Jinggong said this, he observed Fang Qingren's face and saw that there was no fluctuation in her expression, and he breathed a sigh of relief unconsciously. After you entered Tianjin sect, your cultivation resources were low, but when Su Yanran came to you and cried, you gave her all your resources and went out to find resources for her. Later, I discovered that you didn't want to give resources to Su Yanran, you were forced to give her resources. In short, your life is either sending resources to Su Yanran, or searching for resources for her. You have no cultivation resources at all, and there is no way to refuse to find resources for her. Invisibly, there is a line pulling you forward. I have been observing for a long time and finally discovered something strange. Su Yanran clearly has cultivation and countless resources, but she seems to be holding on to you. No matter how dangerous the secret realm is, or she is going to participate in any competition, she must take you with her. And you are also weird. You have no cultivation, but you can avoid danger every time and get many treasures from heaven and earth. Although everything fell into Su Yanran's hands, this is enough to prove that Su Yanran seems to know that you have great luck, or that your tragic death is related to her. However, she definitely didn't plan it. There is someone behind it. When you were with Su Yanran, there was no good person around you. They were all pointing to Su Yanran. No matter how hard you tried to change, there were always no surprises and you were still stuck in the quagmire. However, there are also people who are not on Su Yanran's side. In a secret realm, you and Su Yanran accidentally separated. If you were chased by a monster, you should die. Degu Jianye appeared at this time and saved your life. Su Yanran appeared after Degu Jianye rescued you, but Degu Jianye was not attracted to Su Yanran. He nodded to you and turned around and left. This is considered an accident. Sure enough, Degu Jianye ended up dying tragically, very similar to your previous life. From here on, I understand that you will probably make the same mistakes again in this life. When Mo Jinggong said this, his expression did not change, but he actually felt a little regretful in his heart. When he was reborn in Fang Qingren's second life, he was completely a bystander. At that time, he regarded Fang Qingran as a being born during that period. He wanted to see when Fang Qingran would reveal her true strength. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 992 Return to Nature. Fairyland. Ling Yunzong. Gu Ming put his hands behind his back, looking extremely majestic. But when his eyes swept across Liu Kanglan and the others one by one, his eyes suddenly burst into light, surprisingly bright. When Liu Chanjue saw this scene, a dark light flashed in his eyes, and he sent a message to Liu Kanglan, elder brother, where did you invite this old man? Why does he feel like he wants to eat us? Liu Kanglan's expression did not change and he said through the message, junior sister came here and said she wanted to teach me the exercises. For this reason, the sex schedule has been changed. How many years is this time? Liu Chanjue felt a little helpless. The time formation is easy to use, but it can't be used all the time. I don't know, but it will definitely take longer than last time. Liu Kanglan said in a message. After seeing the qualifications of Liu Kanglan and others, Gu Ming was very satisfied. They were really a bunch of monsters. How great it would be if... After seeing the qualifications of Liu Kanglan and others, Gu Ming was very satisfied. They were really a bunch of monsters. How great it would be if we could bring all of these back to the immortal realm. Unfortunately, the domain owner would not agree. Gu Ming was originally going to teach Liu Kanglan and others some good skills, so he gave up. Now he has changed his mind. He wants to fully tap their potential and let them go further. Gu Ming's aura changed. He smiled kindly, waved his hand and said, you two use your strongest skills to attack me together. Senior Gu Ming, are you sure? Bailey Wenyu asked with raised eyebrows. Yes, you all come together. Hey, no, let's add 3 more. Gu Ming said, waving his sleeves. Luan Jin, Dongji, and Goddess Qingqiong appeared in front of Gu Ming in an instant. Gu Ming's eyes fell on Dongji first, the surprise in his eyes flashed, and he quickly looked away and looked at Luan Jin with an expression of appreciation. Not bad. The unparalleled bloodline of Shenluan. Gu Ming was in a surging mood, and it was indeed the right thing to stay shamelessly. Gu Ming finally looked at Goddess Qingqiong, and suddenly his expression became numb. Why are the descendants of Empress Nu were also here? Gu Ming's eyes wandered over Bailey Wenyu and Goddess Qingqiong. One is a descendant of Nuwa and the other is a descendant of Fuxi. These two seem to be unfamiliar to each other. Bailey Wenyu was furious at being stared at by Gu Ming, and he sent a message to Ning Xiyu beside him, 5th senior sister, why is senior Gu Ming looking at me with such a weird look? Ning Xiyu blinked her eyes and said through the voice, it is probably what I said just now that caught his attention. 5th senior sister, can you see the strength of senior Gu Ming? Bailey Wenyu asked, still feeling a little nervous. Ning Xiyu observed Gu Ming and said through a message, there is no aura on his body, and I can't tell whether he is a cultivator at all, but judging from his demeanor, he must be a cultivator. He is very similar to the kind of person who has returned to his original nature as the master said. The master said that the strength of the person who has returned to his original nature has reached the level. The master said that The master said that the strength of the person who has returned to his original nature has reached a level above all the way nature, as the master said. The master said that the strength of the person who has returned to his original nature has reached a level above all the ways. A random thought can destroy the endless world. When encountering this kind of existence, life and death are only in the opponent's hands. In one thought. So when you give up your resistance, whatever Senior Guming wants to do to you, you can only passively bear it. After Ning Xiu finished speaking, she gave Bailey Wenyu a wish for blessing look. Bailey Wenyu. Guming glanced at Ning Xiu and returned to his original nature. It seemed that her master was not simple either. He doesn't want to go back to the immortal realm. Guming expanded the realm of gods and said, I have suppressed my realm to the level of true immortal. I give you half an hour. You can use all your strength and methods to deal with me. As long as you can make me move even half a step, you will win. Liu Kanglan and others looked at each other with hesitation in each other's eyes. Only Dongji was eager to try, and a layer of faint black mist appeared in his palm. Guming glanced at Dongji and said through a message, Dongji Yuming, there is no need for you to take action. This is the world of the younger generation. Dongji's expression froze, and he glared at Guming with dissatisfaction, and said through a message, Guming, I am no longer the Dongji I used to be. Now I am just an ordinary Ming emperor. Also, I am very young. Also belongs to the younger generation. Oh, you are as shameless as ever, Guming said sarcastically. Both each other, Dongji Wushuang said. Having said that, Dongji still stepped aside. He was indeed not suitable to participate in this battle. Guming obviously wanted to teach Liu Kanglan and the others. Therefore, Dongji decided to postpone the time of reminiscing with Guming. Senior Guming, can we use contract beasts? Ning Xiu asked with a smile. She didn't think they could defeat Guming if he suppressed his cultivation to the level of a true immortal. The painting scholar once said that after reaching a certain level of strength, the physical body can be sanctified. In this way, when fighting, the enemy can be injured by the strength of the physical body alone. Yes, no matter what method is used, Guming said kindly. Swish. Ning Xiu took out the Lingyao Divine Ghost Hammer and said, Senior, I have offended you so much. The next moment, Ning Xiu swung her hammer and hit Guming. Boom. The sound of power breaking through the air sounded. Guming raised his hand and blocked the oncoming hammer with one finger. Ning Xiu used all her strength, but the hammer couldn't move any further. Liu Kanglan and others looked solemn when they saw this. It seemed that they had made things simple. Ning Xiu swung her hammer with all her strength, and the power she unleashed made it easy to fight across two realms. But Guming could easily deal with Ning Xiu's attack with only his true immortal cultivation. In this way, we can see how terrifying Guming's own strength is. Bailey Wenyu saw that Ning Xiu had been in a stalemate with Guming, so he took out the Fushi Chin. The piano sounded. The sound of Fushi Chin can break through the physical defense barrier. But the result disappointed Bailey Wenyu. His piano music could not pose any threat to Guming at all. Bailey Wenyu immediately put away his Sichin, raised his sword, gathered his strength, and attacked Guming. Unexpectedly, Guming didn't react at all to his attack. Zhang. Bailey Wenyu's sword buzzed. Then cracks appeared on the sword. Boy, don't take out ordinary magic weapons, it will be a waste. Guming reminded. Ordinary magic weapon. Bailey Wenyu twitched the corner of his mouth. This sword was a divine weapon. If this can be called an ordinary magic weapon, shouldn't it be called garbage under the divine weapon? For a moment, Bailey Wenyu fell into deep thought. Apart from Fushi Chin, he really had no high-level magic weapon. Guming didn't care what Bailey Wenyu thought at all. He looked at Ning Xiu and praised, little girl, you have good endurance. Senior, thank you. Since Senior is so strong, I won't be polite. Ning Xiu raised her other hand and threw countless talismans towards Guming. Bang bang bang. One after another, explosions sounded. Deafening. The smoke dispersed. If it weren't for the surrounding barrier, the power of these talismans would be enough to level the entire fairy world. Ning Xiu thought that even if these talismans could not harm Guming, they could at least make him embarrassed. Obviously Liu Kanglan and the others thought so too. However, when the smoke dissipated, Guming, dressed in robes, unstained by dust, remained motionless. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 993 Arrange the battle. Guming held the talisman and commented, little girl, this talisman is well drawn, but the telepathy is not enough and the power is not enough. After Ning Xiu was shocked, she asked, Senior, are you proficient in drawing talismans? It's quite proficient. I had a disciple before, but unfortunately, he died young and my inheritance was cut off. Guming sighed. Mu Chanjue looked at Guming's relaxed look and sent a message to Liu Kanglan, elder brother, is this old man Guming not from our plane? They can fight one or two against the powerful men in heaven who are feared by all walks of life. But this Guming can no longer be described as strong. His strength is beyond their understanding. Even the ancestor of Nangshuan whom they met when they went to the battlefield of the gods couldn't compare with Guming. Liu Kanglan sent a message, Chanjue, do you remember Ling Tianyun? Remember, he accidentally revealed before that he is actually an outsider, so. This Guming is also an outsider, Mu Chanjue said in a determined voice. Guming and Ling Tianyun were obviously very similar in the dress, speech and behavior. Chanjue, we must find a way to win this competition, Liu Kanglan said gently. Liu Kanglan could guess where Guming came from and had no ill intentions towards them. But because of this, they have to find a way to win. Liu Kanglan looked around, and his eyes met with Ning Xiu's for a moment. Liu Kanglan knew that it was unrealistic to set up formations to deal with Guming, so he decided to use formations to enhance their own strength. Luan Jin, Jian Yi, and Mo Yu, the three of you form a group and attack Senior Guming's rear. The three of them nodded slightly when they heard Liu Kanglan's message. Liu Kanglan glanced at Goddess Qingqiang, Qin Hanyan and Mu Chanjue, and said through a message, Goddess, Hanyan, Chanjue, you attack Senior Gu Ming from the left and right. Goddess Qingqiang, Qin Hanyan and Mu Chanjue control the highest level of alien fire among them. The three of them plus Ning Shiyu were able to distract Gu Ming's attention. Wenyu, you withdraw and use Fushi Qin's enhanced formation and everyone's strength. Liu Kanglan sent a message to Bailey Wenyu, who was in a daze. Bailey Wen wanted to fight together more and more, but unfortunately he didn't find a suitable magic weapon. Helpless, Bailey Wenyu could only go to Liu Kanglan's side and said through a message, Senior brother, with our combined efforts, we can't break through Senior Gu Ming's defense, right? I don't know, Liu Kanglan replied. Liu Kanglan really didn't know, but since Gu Ming was willing to suppress his strength to the level of a true immortal, he must have given him a chance to win. It's just that winning this requires a certain method. Liu Kanglan quickly arranged the Tianyan star formation and then activated the formation. Ning Shiyu suddenly felt that the power in her body had increased several times. But even so, Gu Ming still withstood the hammer without changing his expression, with a leisurely posture. So Ning Shiyu stepped back and stood beside Qin Hanyan in front of Qin Hanyan. Next to Qin Hanyan were the Goddess Qingqiang and Mu Chanjue. Gu Ming saw Ning Shiyu's four positions and smiled. He could advance, attack, retreat or defend, which was very good. Let's look at the formation arranged by Liu Kanglan. Gu Ming's eyes lit up, and with a little guidance, his achievements would surely reach a high level in the future. The remaining Bailey Wenyu, a descendant of Fuxian with the bloodline of the Chaos Nine-Tailed Fox, should have been the strongest here, but he was the weakest here. I don't know who gave Bailey Wenyu this seal. It has completely suppressed the other party's growth. If it continues like this, it may affect its foundation. However, this seal is now extremely overbearing, and Bailey Wenyu still needs to lift it himself. Compared with Bailey Wenyu's misfortune, Goddess Qingqiang, a descendant of Nuwa Empress, was not much better off. She was cursed, but fortunately she contracted a kill an auspicious beast, so the curse never worked. If this curse continues to exist, her cultivation path will stagnate under the sun and she will no longer be able to improve. At this time, Liu Kanglan and the others all revealed their auras, and under Gu Ming's investigation, he found out all their backgrounds. Gu Ming stopped talking and waited for them to show the true strength. I saw Ning Shiyu flying towards Gu Ming, then holding the hammer and hitting Gu Ming's head. When Qin Hanyan saw this, he immediately moved. The talisman was contaminated with strange fire and he threw it at Gu Ming. Then he made a seal with his hand and countless fire dragons rushed towards Gu Ming. Goddess Qingqiang discovered that Ning Shiyu and Qin Hanyan had used all their strength to summon Kilin, and the two exerted their power together. A majestic flame force formed. Goddess Qingqiang did not fight immediately, but was waiting for an opportunity. Mu Chanjue also took out his cauldron, and smashed the cauldron filled with strange fire at Gu Ming's feet. Ah. Just move half a step and they win. Mu Chanjue thought that there was nothing wrong with his attack. Ning Shiyu's hammer and Mu Chanjue's cauldron were about to land on Gu Ming, but Goddess Qingqiang still didn't move. Gu Ming flicked his sleeves with great interest, and Ning Shiyu flew out together with the important hammer. The fire dragon around him has disappeared. Then, Gu Ming caught the tripod thrown by Mu Chanjue. Yes, in Gu Ming's eyes, the attack speed of Mu Chanjue and others was very slow. Gu Ming scanned the runes on the tripod and saw clearly what was carved on it. A moment of fear flashed in his eyes. It turned out to be the kid. Fortunately, the cauldron was asleep, otherwise he would have been embarrassed today. Gu Ming raised his hand and threw the tripod to Mu Chanjue. Mu Chanjue's previous words flashed in his mind. Understandably, the Chaos Law Enforcers may have destroyed not only the ancient techniques here, but also must have done something to this plane. So the cause and effect he wanted to be contaminated this time was not to teach them the skills. Instead, he had to find a way to get them to change the laws that restricted the growth. After all, no matter how powerful the skills are, they cannot change the upper limit of the rules of this world. Only by changing the rules can higher level skills be practiced. Luin Jin, Degu Jianyi and Yan Miu saw this scene, looked at each other and set off. Bailey Wenyu sat cross-legged with Fu Sichen on his lap, waiting for Liu Kanglan's arrangements. Luin Jin is a ferocious beast. He didn't use any weapons and only used his own strength to attack Gu Ming. Degu Jianyi is a sword transformed from qi, with several sharp swords lingering around him, giving him a powerful aura. Naturally, Yan Miu was not used to using weapons. The dark energy he cultivated was destined to be difficult to find a suitable magical weapon. The three of them launched an attack on Gu Ming together. At this moment, Gu Ming's expression obviously changed. He was not as relaxed as before, but he was not nervous either. Goddess Qingqiang saw Gu Ming's expression and immediately knocked out the power of the flames. The power of Goddess Qingqiang's strange fire is obviously much stronger than that of Qin Hanyan. The attacks of the three behind him were much stronger than those of Ning Shiyu. Gu Ming looked at the oncoming flame power cautiously, and the power around him was moving. It was difficult for Gu Ming to concentrate enough to take the power of the flames that Goddess Qingqiang was attacking seriously. After all, he is the descendant of Nuwa. It's just an ordinary attack, but it also contains endless laws. However, these alone cannot hurt him. Gu Ming's eyes flashed as he looked at the celestial goddess Qingqiang and decided to give the other party a little hope of victory so that they would not be discouraged. After all, he gave half an hour of fighting time. If they lose hope of winning from the beginning, it won't be fun next time. Gu Ming turned sideways, grabbing the oncoming flames with one hand and clamping the sword with the other, his expression more serious. Seeing Gu Ming concentrate on dealing with the attacks of Degu Jianyi and Qingqiang goddess, Luin Jin and Yan Miu attacked Gu Ming from the left and from the right. The two were instantly blown away by a force. At the same time, Gu Ming's figure shook slightly, as if the protective barrier was broken. There was a slight panic on Gu Ming's face. He crushed the sword with one hand and tried to destroy the power of the flame with the other. Whoa. As a result, the flames failed to completely destroy him, and several of his beards were ignited. When Bailey Wenyu saw this scene, his fox eyes suddenly became bright. Ha ha ha. Goddess King Cheong is so good. Immediately, all eyes on the court were focused on Bailey Wenyu. I noticed a lot of strange looks. Bailey Wenyu's laughter stopped abruptly. Why are you all looking at us like this? Goddess King Cheong's attack actually came close to Senior Gu Ming. Isn't this the hope of victory? Liu Kanglan's eyes were gentle and he smiled like a spring breeze. Sixth junior brother, Ling Yun sect is lucky to have you. Hey, senior brother, you don't need to praise me, I haven't made a move yet. Bailey Wenyu said proudly. If it was Fu Xichen who cooperated with him just now, Goddess King Cheong may have burned half of Gu Ming's beard. Mu Chanjue gave Bailey Wenyu a thumbs up. Sixth junior brother, we are really lucky to have you. Fourth senior brother, don't worry. When I reach the realm, I will definitely use Fu Xichen to bless you. Bailey Wenyu said cheerfully. Ning Xiu shook her head. Wenyu, have you observed the weaknesses of Senior Gu Ming? Weakness. Bailey Wenyu thought about it. I didn't see the weakness, but I saw it. It's ineffective for us to attack together. How about we have a wheel-to-wheel battle and attack one by one to exhaust the strength of our seniors? Okay, I'll go first, Luin Jin said. In fact, when dealing with a being like Gu Ming, it doesn't make much sense for them to attack in groups. Their strength is estimated to be less than % of Gu Ming's. The difference in strength is too great. All their combined full force attacks were unable to affect Gu Ming at all. Wheel fighting is a good way to weaken Gu Ming's energy. Liu Kanglan nodded slightly when he heard Luin Jin's words. He stepped forward, took Luin Jin's hand, and drew a talisman on her palm. With this mark, the formation can enhance your own strength several times. Elder brother, I want it too. Bailey Wenyu sat not far away and shouted. Snapped. Ning Xiu slapped Bailey Wenyu on the back of the head. You want everything, why do you want the mark? You just stay in the formation, you don't need it at all. Gu Ming was outside the formation. When Luin Jin fights against Gu Ming, it is obvious that he has to leave the formation, and the formation will not be able to play its maximum role. And after having that mark, as long as it doesn't exceed the range, the formation can always assist Luin Jin in fighting. Fifth senior sister, Bailey Wenyu called softly, feeling aggrieved. Didn't he see them being too serious and livening up the atmosphere? Sixth junior brother, you are really amazing. Mu Chanjue narrowed his peach blossom eyes and smiled meaningfully. After Bailey Wenyu made such a fuss, the charming atmosphere between Luin Jin and Liu Kanglan disappeared in an instant. Luin Jin withdrew his hand and said to Liu Kanglan, thank you. Liu Kanglan remained silent and glanced at Bailey Wenyu. For the first time, he felt that he didn't want this sixth junior brother. Luin Jin walked up to Gu Ming and saluted respectfully. Senior, please forgive me if I offend you in any way. Luin Jin raised his hand and laid down a layer of isolation barrier. The sound inside cannot be heard outside the barrier. Make the first move. Whatever you want to know, I will tell you if I know it. Gu Ming said. Luin Jin has always been absent-minded since he first appeared, and Gu Ming can naturally see it. Thank you, senior. Luin Jin knew better than them all that Gu Ming was invited by Mo Jinggong, so Gu Ming was very likely to know her life experience. It is good. The more Gu Ming looked at Luin Jin, the more satisfied he became. Who wouldn't like a humble and polite junior? With a movement of Luin Jin's hands, a dagger appeared in each hand, and a fierce aura emerged from her whole body, making her originally delicate face take on a bit of cold energy, and her body felt a bit more oppressive. She invoked the power of the beast. Then, Luin Jin's body was seen like lightning, holding the dagger, and launched an attack on Gu Ming. Luin Jin's attack was indeed so fast that he couldn't even see the afterimage. But Gu Ming dealt with it very easily. Every attack she made was easily neutralized by Gu Ming. Finally, Luin Jin turned the dagger in his hands, and the dagger flew out with the power of the majestic beast. Swish! Gu Ming waved his sleeves and the dagger flying behind him was knocked to the ground. Gu Ming looked at Luin Jin with satisfied eyes. It's great that you can grow to this level on your own. If you activate Shenluan's bloodline again and get a complete inheritance, you will one day reach my level. Luin Jin hesitated and said, Shenluan bloodline. But now I am a ferocious beast. Gu Ming touched his beard and said, you are a ferocious beast. What does it have to do with your awakening of the Shenluan bloodline? There are only two kinds of beasts in this world that can transform into ferocious beasts without any harm, and one of them is the Shenluan clan. Not all beasts can be transformed into ferocious beasts. The ferocious beast clan can be said to be the strongest among the beast clan. All ferocious beasts can be unscrupulous and not restricted by small causes and effects. Therefore, there are always many beasts who will take desperate risks and want to transform into ferocious beasts. Unfortunately, there are only two bloodlines that can successfully transform into ferocious beasts. Luin Jin, do you have a sister? Yes, Luin Jin nodded. No wonder you can't awaken the Shenluan bloodline. The Shenluan bloodline in you is not complete. It's only %. The other % is probably in your sister. Only by fusing that part of the bloodline can you awaken the Shenluan bloodline. Gu Ming's expression became somewhat complicated. In the beast tribe, there are very few twins. Generally speaking, if there are twins, most of the time they will only choose to keep one. The numerological connection between Luin Jin and her sister has almost ceased to exist, and her sister is feared to be dead. Everything in this world cannot escape cause and effect from the beginning, but it is not impossible to change. After Gu Ming said this, he waved his hand and sent Luin Jin out of the barrier. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 995 Heresy. Luin Jin was outside the barrier, his eyes flashing slightly and he was thinking a lot. Could it be that Evil Dragon already knows about Shenluan's bloodline? That's why I chose to keep my sister's soul. In this case, my sister's bones were probably kept by the Evil Dragon. The Evil Dragon wanted to threaten her sister with her soul. The purpose is naturally for percent of her bloodline. Neither Lu Kanglan nor the others disturbed Lu and Jin's thinking. Gu Jian nodded to Lu Kanglan and entered the barrier. After Gu Jian completed his salute, he turned his sword into energy without a moment's hesitation. The sword is magnificent. Sword intent is surging. It seems like it can kill everything in the world. Seeing this, Gu Ming said, "Boy, if your ancestor knew that Taishu's sword body asked you to use it like this, the coffin board might not even be able to hold it down." Gu Jianyi's offensive did not stop because of Gu Ming's words. Gu Ming showed a helpless look. The sword cultivator really had a bad temper. Gu Ming chose to recite the sword formula directly. Awesome sword energy, Taishu is revered, thoughts about the universe, harmony with the way, and execution. Gu Jian paused for a moment. After listening to Gu Ming Nian's sword skills, his sword practice became somewhat looser. Does the senior really know his ancestor? With this thought in mind, Gu Ming easily resolved the sword strike. It's obvious that you have a master, but your master probably doesn't know that you have a Taishu sword body, otherwise he wouldn't teach you this kind of sword technique, Gu Ming said. Although Gu Jianyi's attacks are straightforward, they have their own rules and methods, and they are obviously under orthodox guidance. A sword attack like Bailey Wenyu's can be seen as wild at a glance. In other words, I practiced according to the exercises myself. Gu Jianyi's attacks eliminate the complex and simplify, and hit the point directly, which is very similar to his taciturn temperament. The Taishu sword body is a unique physique. If you refine a real sword body, you still have to wait for some time to gather the power of the sword before attacking. Gu Ming's eyes were filled with distress and pity. How could such a good young talent become a master? Never mind. Gu Ming sent Gu Jianyi out of the barrier. Gu Jianyi still needs to train his body. He must train his body to a certain level before he can exert the maximum power of Taishu's sword body. Next, Qin Hanyan entered the barrier. However, Qin Hanyan hasn't taken action yet. Gu Ming glanced at Qin Hanyan a few times and nodded with satisfaction. He was the soul of the Holy Yuan and the natural alchemist. Gu Ming looked at Qin Hanyan and said, "Alchemist, yes, your soul has received powerful nourishment, and your cultivation path is very stable." After saying that, Gu Ming sent Qin Hanyan out of the barrier. He could already tell that Qin Hanyan did not have a master to guide him, so he had hope of accepting a disciple. Mu Chanjue quickly stepped in front of Gu Ming. Mu Chanjue first circled around Gu Ming. "Does senior Gu Ming know me?" "I don't know," Gu Ming denied. He didn't know Mu Chanjue, but he had heard of the companion tripod. "Senior's eyes tell me that you know my tripod." Mu Chanjue held up the tripod and stood in front of Gu Ming. The tripod almost hit Gu Ming's face. The corner of Gu Ming's mouth twitched. At this moment, he was extremely sure that Mu Chanjue must be the person's child. This kind of naughty temper is really the same as hers. But he will never admit it. After all, he didn't want to talk about the experience of being beaten anymore. Gu Ming raised his hand and slapped Mu Chanjue and Ding Quan flying out. Be caught off guard. Gu Ming's eyes were filled with excitement. If you can't fight the big one, you can bully the small one. And that person has long since disappeared, so there is no need to worry about the other party coming for revenge. Mu Chanjue stood up in confusion and looked at Gu Ming with resentful eyes. "Senior, you are really out of character." Gu Ming said angrily, "Feng Feng, your cauldron almost hit my face. How can I not know what you are thinking?" Mu Chanjue smiled nonchalantly. "Senior, you must know Xiao Ding. In this case, you also know my identity, right?" "I don't know." Gu Ming waved his sleeves and sent Mu Chanjue out of the barrier. If it weren't for this temperament and Ding, you would have actually recognized who Mu Chanjue was. After all, Mu Chanjue looks nothing like her. Ning Xiyu stepped into the barrier again. This time, she did not take out the hammer. "Little girl, where is your hammer?" Gu Ming asked with a smile. "This one looks much more pleasing to the eye than Mu Chanjue." "Senior, I have changed my approach this time." Ning Xiyu's eyes moved slightly, and she threw the things in her hand towards Gu Ming one by one. Talismans arrived in droves. Gu Ming. Is this really a good waste? Even if the immortal realm had no shortage of resources, they would not use talismans like this. This thing needs to be painted by a talisman master. One is surprisingly expensive. If the talisman drawn by Ning Xiyu could hurt him, and he threw the talisman like this, he really wouldn't know how to respond. The next moment, Gu Ming felt a strange aura break through his protective barrier and enter his body. This is. It seemed as if something was swallowed up by the blood. Poison. Gu Ming raised his palm, his strength floated, and he caught some weird aura. It's really poisonous. Since he entered the path of monasticism, he has never encountered poison again. Because ordinary poison is ineffective against practitioners. A special poison that is extremely difficult to refine. Even if it is refined, it may not poison the opponent. It is really laborious and thankless. Therefore, few people would go to great lengths to deal with ascetics with poison. Gu Ming felt the poison in his palm. It was strange that the poison could ignore his body's defensive barrier and blend directly into his blood. If we were to find some more poisonous poison to refine this poison, it is really possible to harm some cultivators. Vomit. Gu Ming was still thinking when he smelled an extremely overbearing stench. Soon, Gu Ming realized that the stench was coming from his body. He immediately needed it, but the smell was still there. Gu Ming was a little confused. He had never been like this since he washed his essence and cut off his marrow. And he is already immortal. There's no way you should have this kind of smell on your body. Gu Ming seemed to have thought of something, raised his head, destroyed the talisman, and looked at Ning Xiyu. Ning Xiyu had a successful smile on her face. "Senior, I am no match for you in terms of strength, so I can only play some tricks." "What did you do?" Gu Ming asked. "Senior, you can take a guess." Gu Ming frowned and retracted his previous thoughts. The little girl was not cute at all. Your talismans and poisons only attract my attention. Yes, a medicine I researched after becoming a Taoist. As long as it is swallowed by blood, the body will emit a strange smell. To remove this smell from the blood, one must call on the power of a true immortal. That's all. Gu Ming's eyebrows twitched. He really didn't expect it to be like this. Now he can bear it until the end of the appointed time. Otherwise, he can only break the agreement in advance and use the power above the true immortal to remove the smell from his body. Gu Ming, this should be considered a heretical technique, right? Ning Xiu smiled brightly and waved her hands. Senior, I'm going out first. I still have a stick of incense left before I can give you the antidote. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 996. Senior Gu Ming, don't worry, this poison won't hurt you. Ning Xiu turned around and left the barrier with a smile. Gu Ming looked at Ning Xiu's leaving figure, his beard twisted with anger. So when Yan Miyu and Goddess Qingqiang entered the barrier, they were sent out by Gu Ming before they could take action. The loss he suffered from Ning Xiu made Gu Ming more wary of Yan Miyu. After all, both Yan Miyu and Dongji came from the underworld. Gu Ming was really afraid that Yan Miyu would plot against him like Dongji did. In terms of strength, Dongji is definitely no match for him. But sometimes, if you want to win a battle, you don't have to rely entirely on strength, especially when facing Dongji. You must have 10,000 minds and be careful to avoid being tricked so miserably. Gu Ming shook his head and sighed, really wanting to end it quickly. The smell of him was really unbearable. As for Goddess Qingqiang, Gu Ming also didn't want to give the other party a chance to attack him. Although Goddess Qingqiang looks upright and majestic, as the saying goes, those who are close to vermilion are red, and those who are close to ink are black. She has already been associated with the Lingyun sect, so Gu Ming decided not to take the risk. Gu Ming decided that next, whether they attack him together or alone. He was kicked out of the barrier directly. No longer give them any hope of winning. Soon, half an hour was coming to an end, and Gu Ming didn't move at all except that he smelled bad. Lu Kanglan and the others were helpless against Gu Ming. Dongji, who had been watching the battle, smiled strangely. Bailey Wenyu, who was sitting cross-legged, saw Dongji's expression, and his fox eyes turned with a cunning light. His eyes swept across the group of people who had exhausted their strength, and then looked at Gu Ming who was in a state of embarrassment. Finally, his eyes fell on the golden hairpin in Ning Xiu's hair. In the blink of an eye, Bailey Wenyu's figure flashed and arrived at Ning Xiu's side. Fifth senior sister, I can lend you the gold hairpin. Ning Xiu didn't speak yet, she just felt her hair falling down. Bailey Wenyu held the golden hairpin and rushed towards Gu Ming. Gu Ming relaxedly waved his sleeves, and a strong force headed towards Bailey Wenyu. Bailey Wenyu flew out without any surprise. At this moment, Gu Ming suddenly felt a chill coming from behind him, something broke through his protective barrier, and he carefully felt the level of the magic weapon. Gu Ming's face suddenly turned livid. No matter what the magical weapon behind him was, the part it wanted to attack turned out to be. Gu Ming dodged and left the place where he was standing. Immediately, he gritted his teeth and looked at Bailey Wenyu. This boy who seemed naive at first turned out to be the most like Dongji. After Gu Ming read Bailey Wenyu, his eyes instantly stared at Dongji. If Bailey Wenyu dared to attack his chrysanthemum, without Dongji's guidance, Gu Ming wouldn't believe it. Dongji looked at Gu Ming and smiled mischievously. You lost, I didn't interfere, it was all their doing. Pooh. It's really more shameless than him. Gu Ming really wanted to open his mouth and curse. However, considering that he has already lost, wouldn't it appear that he cannot afford to lose if he causes trouble with Dongji at this time? Gu Ming chose to ignore Dongji, and it would not be too late to settle the score in the future. At this moment, Gu Ming mobilized his strength to clean up the smell that had been integrated into the blood. Several times in succession, black mucus still oozed out of the skin. It was obvious that the toxins had not been cleaned out. Right now. Ning Xiu came over and handed Gu Ming a pill bottle. Senior, this is the antidote. After taking it, all the toxins in the blood will disappear. Gu Ming took the elixir bottle, checked it, took out one elixir and drank it. In an instant, all the smell on his body disappeared. Gu Ming looked at Ning Xiu and said, Little girl, what kind of poison are you talking about? Senior, can I return my gold hairpin? Ning Xiu asked without answering. She would not tell others about such a useful poison. After all, this thing can only be used unexpectedly. At this time, Gu Ming made a secret and regained his immortal appearance. Looking at the golden hairpin in his hand, it was this thing that made him capsize. It turned out to be a spiritual treasure at the chaos level. He remembered that the magic weapons in the Lingbao category were classified into elementary Lingbao, mid-level Lingbao, upper-level Lingbao and innate treasure. The chaotic level spiritual treasure in front of me is a kind of innate treasure. This magical weapon is derived from heaven and earth, contains the power of laws, and is called an innate treasure. Since innate treasures are too precious and rare, there is no specific distinction between high and low magic weapons in the innate treasure category. An innate treasure like this will exert greater power as its owner's strength increases. If this thing had been in Dongji's hands just now, he would have probably suffered. Gu Ming swept through the golden hairpin. There is a totem engraved on the hairpin, which exudes a mysterious and dangerous atmosphere. How to Empress's thing? Gu Ming asked curiously. Yes, Ning Xiu admitted generously. Gu Ming handed the things back to Ning Xiu with both hands and said solemnly, It is better to keep the things left by Empress Hao and other magnificent sages and do not use them in this kind of attack. Gu Ming glanced at Bailey Wenyu as he spoke, indicating something. Ning Xiu suppressed a smile and took the gold hairpin with both hands. Senior Gu Ming, don't worry, there is no unexpected situation, it will definitely not happen. To be honest, Ning Xiu was just expecting Bailey Wenyu to succeed in his sneak attack. HMPH, Gu Ming snorted coldly, almost wanting to give up. Seeing Gu Ming's anger, Bailey Wen took the initiative to step forward and said, Senior, I don't blame 5th senior sister, it's my fault. I only thought about winning, so I used such a trick in a hurry. When Gu Ming saw Bailey Wenyu approaching him, his face instantly turned green again. Boy, you are far behind your ancestors, Gu Ming said. What an upright being Fushi once was. And attached great importance to love and justice. There are countless followers. It's a pity that in order to revenge his tribe, he exhausted his cultivation and longevity, and later died. When Bailey Wenyu heard Gu Ming's words, his expression suddenly changed. His ancestor. He received a letter from Bailey Yuanmo, which wrote down his origin. He is not the young master of the Bailey family. It was just Bailey Yuanmo who picked it up from outside. When he was picked up and brought back to Bailey's house, he didn't have any tokens on him, only a pair of strange purple pupils. Those purple eyes can see through the reincarnation of the world. Of course, the prerequisite for seeing through someone else's past is that he is stronger than the other person. Besides, there is no more information about his life. Those purple eyes were also delivered to his hand along with the letter. However, he did not choose to fuse purple pupils. The purple eyes are so unbelievable that they can see through the past reincarnations of others. If they are not careful, they may lead to endless disasters. Until he is not strong enough, he will not choose to fuse the purple pupil no matter what. Now I heard Gu Ming mention his ancestor. Bailey Wenyu was very excited. Maybe he would be able to find his own clansman without fusing the purple pupil. We really can't roll anymore. Chapter 997. You don't want to either. Bailey Wenyu immediately apologized to Gu Ming with an extremely sincere attitude. Gu Ming's face softened a lot. Bailey Wenyu breathed a sigh of relief, so he sent a message and asked, Senior Gu Ming, are you my ancestor? I know, don't you have the inheritance of Fushi? Why don't you accept the inheritance? Gu Ming found that the more Bailey Wen had the inheritance, the more he refused to accept it, and the others were similar. It's like having treasures of heaven and earth in your arms but not using them. My ancestor is Fushi, Bailey Wenyu asked in shock. After he left the land of the gods, he searched everywhere for the whereabouts of Fuxi's descendants, and it turned out that he was a descendant of Fushi. How can this be? Ha ha ha. Gu Ming was amused by Bailey Wenyu's silly look. It's really pitiful that Fuxi's descendants have gotten so mixed up. So Gu Ming planned not to care about Bailey Wenyu's dirty tricks against him. Gu Ming patted Bailey Wenyu on the shoulder and said through a message, You are Fuxi's descendant for who knows how many generations. It's just that you have returned to your ancestors, so the power of blood in your body is not weak. In this way, you can accommodate Fuxi's inheritance. When Gu Ming said this, he paused for a moment and said, That's not right. You are not contracted to Fu Xichin. How can you not know your life experience? Can Fu Xichin only make a contract with Fu Zai's descendants? Bailey Wenyu asked puzzledly. Gu Ming stroked his beard and said matter-of-factly, Of course, Fu Xichin is a spiritual treasure of the prehistoric level. What if the person who contracts Fu Xichin uses this Qin to harm the people? Fu Xi will never tolerate such an accident. What he left behind, and his descendants, are not allowed to do anything that harms the living beings in the world. And the only thing he can guarantee is that his descendants will not do anything harmful to the common people, so this Qin can only be contracted with his blood. During Gu Ming's conversation, he unconsciously showed his respect for Fu Xi. Senior Gu Ming, just. Bailey Wenyu hesitated, not knowing how to ask. Boy, do you want to ask why Fu Xi is so sure that his descendants will not harm the common people? Gu Ming said in a message. Exactly. Gu Ming narrowed his eyes, flashed his eyes, approached Bailey Wenyu mysteriously, and said in a very low voice, You have to guess this yourself. Bailey Wenyu. Boy, let's see. Some actions always have to pay a price, it's just a matter of time. After Gu Ming finished speaking, he looked at everyone present. Gu Ming looked at Bailey Wenyu and Ning Shiyu emphatically. These two must be taken good care of. The hardships of cultivation are countless. Let them taste thousands of them. After various methods flashed through Gu Ming's mind, he was satisfied. Then he stopped smiling and became serious. Gu Ming said in a loud voice, I am also entrusted by others to teach you some skills. If you are willing to accept the skills I give you, you can stay. If you are not willing, you can leave. Of course, if you want to accept the skills I teach you, you must complete the test I give you. Would you like to? Gu Ming asked very seriously. Preaching, teaching, and solving doubts are all about fate. Senior Gu Ming, I don't want to. Goddess Qingqiong was the first to speak. She has her own inheritance, but is limited by the current rules of heaven and earth and cannot open them all. Moreover, the techniques of foreigners are not applicable to her. Okay, Gu Ming knew in his heart that with the temperament of Nuwa, the things she would leave to future generations would definitely be good. Gu Ming glanced at the rest of the Lingyun sect, as long as they didn't withdraw. Wrong. Gu Ming looked at Dongji and said seriously, You don't want to either. Then, Gu Ming flicked his sleeves and sent Dongji directly out of Lingyun sect. He didn't want to teach an old Yinbi. The rest of Lingyun sect didn't even realize what happened. Dongji disappeared. When Dongji found out that he was outside Lingyun sect, he was not angry and turned around to find Dawu. Go Xiaowu, do you know who I saw? Dawu gave Dongji a blow in the eye. Dongji seemed to be unable to feel the chill coming from Dawu, and said proactively, Xiao Wu, I saw an old monster that existed before the dawn of time. Guess who he is? Dawu remained silent. After a while, Dongji couldn't help but said, It's Gu Ming. He suddenly disappeared. I thought he died. Who would have thought that he actually went to the immortal realm? Gu Ming, Dawu asked doubtfully. Dongji nodded, yes, he is the one who always sends some treacherous and evil people to the underworld when the Empress is here. He has eliminated many scourges in the universe. The reason why he was so jealous of evil at that time was related to the death of his apprentice. I heard that his apprentice was a man who valued love and justice. Because of this, his apprentice was tricked and killed by a group of villains. After that, he took action, specializing in killing evildoers, wanting to revenge his apprentice. Dongji remembered the first time he met Gu Ming. It's really unreasonable to explain. Gu Ming noticed that he had a dark aura on his body and found that he was killing people, so he took it for granted that he was a treacherous and evil person. I have chased him through countless universes. Just refused to let him go. As a result, he was almost lost in the boundary sea. So he had no choice but to use special moves against Gu Ming and escape Gu Ming's pursuit. Finally, when he returned to Queen Haotu, he met Gu Ming again. They fought fiercely again. Fortunately, the Empress took action in time to clear his name. Otherwise, Dongji couldn't imagine how wonderful his future life would be. Dongji admired Gu Ming from the bottom of his heart, otherwise he would not have repeatedly given in and used the power of darkness against him. It's him. Daewoo also remembered who Gu Ming was. However, the number of times he saw Gu Ming was very few, because Gu Ming didn't trust anyone except his Empress. When Gu Ming catches evildoers that he cannot deal with, he will only send them to his Empress. Daewoo didn't want to think about Gu Ming's affairs at this time, so he talked about Shuanman's affairs. Dongji, I discovered another sect master of Shuanman. Another sect master. Dongji said coldly, yes, Shuanman is divided into a main door and a secret door. The owner of the main door is Chu Chanji. To be precise, he is not the Chu family at all. He became the head of the Chu family just to protect Shuanman. The identity of the sect master. And the secret sect master is a hidden member of the Shuanman. This sect master controls the most complete things, and he is also the one protected by the Shuanman. After the secret sect leader came into contact with Chu Chanji, he went to heaven. They wanted to attack the 8 families in heaven. Dongji, I want to see God. Daewoo originally wanted to go by himself, but considering his own strength and insurance, he waited here for Dongji. Xiao Wu, Chu Chanji is innocent realm. Were you discovered when you were inquiring about the information? Dongji looked at Daewoo's situation and asked with concern. No, I have my own way. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 998 Chaos in Heaven. God. The East Pole and Earth 5 are located above the clouds, giving a clear view of the entire heaven. The lower part is divided into 8 territories. Every place has clear boundaries. The size of land boundaries varies from place to place. The largest one occupies almost half of the sky and is located in the east. Inside, the fairy mist is lingering, and the mountains are green and beautiful. Among them, there are high platforms, pavilions and magnificent palaces, all in good order. Dongji noticed that there were several powerful auras hidden in the deepest part of the palace. Dongji said, this should be the territory of the Bailey family. I really didn't expect that the most humble family would eventually become the biggest winner in the Battle of the Gods. Before the War of Gods began, the Bailey family was the most inconspicuous family in the world. You can only survive by relying on other strong people. Now, it has become the largest family in the world. The aura of the secret master of Shuanman is in the Bailey family. Daewoo said coldly. It turns out that I hugged the right thigh. It's not difficult to understand. From this point of view, this Bailey family is not a good person. Dongji's eyes were dark. A family that is associated with Shuanman may have been exchanged for blood. Thorough. After all, the Chu family is the best example. Daewoo looked at a boundary in the west and asked, there is killing there, and many powerful men from the sky have died. Do you want to go and take a look? Dongji felt the atmosphere of that place and nodded. We have to go. We came to God to stir up trouble. We must find a way to cause trouble, otherwise Xiao Qingran and the others will not have time to grow up. Anyway, Chizu's body is very useful. Before he knew it, he reached the realm of the Holy Lord. This cultivation level is in the hands of God. Although it cannot do whatever it wants, it is enough to suppress these strong men who are out and about. As for those old monsters in seclusion, if they dare to come out, he has a lot of ways to deal with them. The entire plane, except for those skeleton-level beings who have been hiding in the folded space. The most people left who can come out to deal with him are those at the peak of the Saint Realm. Dongji had figured out all the situations, but he never thought that the person causing the trouble was not from this plane, or to be precise, he was not a human being. When Dongji and Daewoo came to the Western Realm, the aura of killing rushed towards them, and many spirits could be seen wandering here. Dongji waved his sleeves, and a special barrier protected him. Xiao Wu, there is a dark atmosphere here. You should stay inside until the matter is resolved. After listening to Dongji's words, Daewoo asked seriously, can you handle it? Dongji shook his head, I'm not sure, but I can't suffer any loss. Immediately, Dongji picked it up casually, and a soul appeared in front of him. The soul still maintained its human form and said in a trembling voice, don't destroy me. I won't go to the fairy world. I promise I will never go to the fairy world again in this life. Dongji's eyes darkened slightly. What are you going to do in the fairy world? I'm not going. Don't hand me over to Yuan Ji. Shenhan was still desperately begging for mercy. The coercion spread around Dongji, controlling his soul, and threatened with a smile, answer the question honestly, or I will make your soul fly away now. The soul seemed to finally realize something. You are not from God, are you? Take me away from God quickly. I will tell you everything when you leave here. You are not qualified to negotiate terms. As Dongji spoke, a trace of dark aura appeared, entangling his soul. Do you choose to disappear now, or do you want to tell the truth? Shenhan felt the aura of extreme danger and instantly understood that Dongji was a ruthless character and would probably not give in to Yuan Ji. Shenhan realized this and immediately said, I confess, you must not do anything. I am attached to the power of the Bailey family. After the seal outside the heaven was lifted, the 8 major families wanted to send strong men to the fairy world. Unfortunately, Yuan Ji refused to let us go out of the heaven. But several of the disciples of the 8 great families have suffered losses in the immortal realm before and are unwilling to let it go. They want to go down and take revenge on the practitioners in the immortal realm, but together they cannot defeat Yuan Ji. So the Bailey family united all forces and came here to denounce Yuan Ji. But before we could come up with a plan to deal with Yuan Ji came over. The 8 families shouldn't defend Yuan Ji openly, so they can only let us affiliated forces come. We are also afraid of Yuan Ji, but because of our subordinate status, we must obey the requirements above and provoke Yuan Ji and ask him to let us leave God. Therefore, Yuan Ji went on a killing spree against those of us who spoke. With our strength, how can we resist Yuan Ji? We can only seek protection from the families we depend on. However, instead of protecting us, each family joins Yuan Ji in attacking us. Yuan Ji killed us, only to destroy our physical bodies, but also left us a glimmer of hope. Every family is trying to destroy us physically and mentally. In their eyes, we subordinates are nothing more than grassroots, not worthy of their sympathy at all. They are afraid that if we are alive, we will expose something to Yuan Ji, so they want to kill them all. Your Majesty, please take me out of here. I have said everything. The emotions in his soul were very complicated at the moment. Fear, unwillingness, resentment, sadness, etc. were intertwined together. He seemed to be eager to live, but also afraid to survive. After Dongji listened carefully, he understood that there was a reason why God did not go to the fairy world. Dongji asked, which family are you attached to? Nangong. Who is Yuan Ji? What is his strength? Why doesn't he let you go to the immortal world? Dongji asked 3 times in a row. Shenhan was stunned for a moment and said, Yuan Ji suddenly appeared in the sky. I don't know who he is. In short, he is very strong. The ancestors of various races joined forces to destroy him, but unfortunately they were all beaten by him. I don't know why he doesn't let us go to the fairy world. Yuan Ji himself said that he can stand us and wouldn't allow us to go to the fairy world together. Not only can we not go to the immortal realm, but all races combined, the total number of strong men who can leave the heaven cannot exceed 50, and their cultivation level must be below that of the 9 heavens and 10 emperors. The soul noticed that although the aura on Dongji was dangerous, it had no murderous intention towards him. Shenhan wants to explain more, so that his chances of survival will be greater. Yuan Ji, he's quite interesting. Dongji's smile was strangely excited at this moment. It really surprised him that an outsider could turn the world upside down. However, outsiders are not so nosy. There is a reason why Yuan Ji will do this. And Yuan Ji's idea of trapping so many strong men in the sky may not be too good. Dongji looked at the soul. I am very satisfied with the news you told me, so I decided to give you a chance of life. Do you want to be reincarnated again, or do you want to keep your current soul to seize the body? Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 999 Yuan Ji, I am very kind. Shenhan originally just wanted Dongji to let him go. As a result, he unexpectedly got the opportunity to be reincarnated. Cultivators who embark on the path of cultivation will easily not get the opportunity to be reincarnated. Now having the opportunity to reincarnate is simply a God-given opportunity. As for seizing the house, Shenhan is also thinking about it. In this life, his cultivation level is that of the co-master of heaven and earth. If he seizes a new body, it means that after he seizes the body, the upper limit of his cultivation level can only be the co-master of heaven and earth. This is the law reflected by the Great Tao, and it cannot be changed without unexpected circumstances. Choose reincarnation. The future holds endless possibilities. Likewise, there are more dangers. Seizing a body is associated with memory. Even if there is an upper limit to his cultivation level, in the realm of co-ownership of heaven and earth, as long as he concentrates on it, his lifespan is endless. He has no meritorious deeds in this life, let alone great achievements, and his family relies on him behind him. If it weren't for the chance to enter an ancient secret realm and become the co-lord of heaven and earth, I would have become a pile of Lois. Will he still be so lucky in the next life? The soul thought for a while and decisively chose to seize the body. With the memory, he could also find some of the treasures he had hidden, which was at least no worse than reincarnation. After thinking about it, Shenhan respectfully said to Dongji, Your Majesty, can I follow you from now on? I am not familiar with this world, but I can recognize of the powerful people from all directions, and I can also identify their weaknesses. I can know something. After hearing what Shenhan said, Dongji's eyes met with Dawoo's. Earth 5 had no reaction to this. Dongji quite likes the cleverness of the soul. The awareness of current affairs engraved in the soul must be good to use. As for betrayal, Dongji would never consider this. With the Dongji Ju, the master-servant contract between him and Shenhan was established. You can follow me from now on and I will choose a suitable body for you later. Remember, I am Dongji Netherworld. Don't admit it wrong. Dongji's voice seemed to knock into the memory of the soul, leaving the soul stunned for a moment. After the soul reacted, he immediately said happily, Honorable sir, don't worry, I will be loyal from now on. If there is any betrayal, I will die. After the soul swore the oath, a purple thunder dragon flashed in the air. The Brontosaurus disappeared in a flash. So fast that I can barely catch its afterimage. Dongji was even more satisfied now. He and Daiwushu finally had someone who could take care of things. The underworld is no longer the original underworld. There are very few forces that the Earth 5 can call upon. Especially after knowing about the Book of Life and Death, they no longer want to return to the underworld. A place that existed through the sacrifice of Queen Mother Earth. They didn't destroy it just because of the Empress's sake. It was probably impossible to go back. No matter how Yanmayu controls the underworld in the future, they will never interfere again. Earth 5's feelings towards the underworld are much more complicated than those of Dongji. The only person loyal to Dongji is How to Empress. Because the underworld is the place created by the Empress, Dawu decided to wait for Yanmayu to completely take over the underworld before withdrawing from the underworld completely. If you don't go back, you won't go back. But at least it was the place where the Empress put her heart and soul into. If it was allowed to decay, Daewoo would not be able to stand it. Dongji was well aware of Daewoo's thoughts, so he did not stop Daewoo. However, Dongji also has his own considerations. Since he wants to leave the underworld, he must have his own subordinates. It is still very tiring to have them come forward for everything. That's why Dongji gave the soul a choice. Reincarnation or seizing the body. Since ancient times, those who have entered the Imperial realm can be reincarnated to experience tribulations and then return to their own bodies. But not many people are willing to reincarnate and rebuild. After all, I have experienced the thrill of controlling the world and manipulating the rules. Who would be willing to sink into the dust again? But seizing the body is different. Seizing a body is just a matter of changing a body. With the memory and training experience of the previous strong men, you can also find the treasures left behind, why not? Dongji took his soul into the space, took Daewoo through the barrier, and came to a dilapidated palace. The sky is full of blood. From time to time, broken limbs fell from the sky. Dongji looked up at the melee above, and his eyes fell on a special existence. There was fighting everywhere. Only that man was leaning on the throne, his silver hair behind him shining with dazzling luster. A strange smile appeared on the man's handsome face, and his eyes were as dark as an abyss, with no white at all visible. Dongji was suddenly shocked. This was the abyss demonic eye. Those with such pupils can control all kinds of greed of living beings and amplify them infinitely. Even if he is facing this person, he still needs to be careful. How can any living thing be without greed except for those who are extremely pure? Xiaowu, don't look into his eyes, Dongji said via voice transmission. Just as Dongji finished transmitting the message, Yuanji turned his head and looked at him. Yuanji's voice reached Dongji's ears. I'm really surprised that you are still alive. During the war between the gods, Empress Haotu was the most feared existence by the law and forces of chaos. Therefore, Haotu and Dongji and Daewoo around her were the first to suffer the persecution. Yuanji quietly went to the battlefield of the gods at that time, but he had no intention of becoming an enemy of the chaos law and forces, let alone saving anyone. So naturally I took a few glances and left. Yuanji, Dongji said. Are you coming here to seek revenge from me? Yuanji asked with a smile. Dongji turned his eyes slightly. Do you have a grudge against us? The corners of Yuanji's lips raised, and a look of interest appeared on his brows. I can't say whether there is any grudge or not, but there should be some grudge. If he and Mu Dao hadn't plotted against Feng Qingwu back then. Maybe Feng Qingwu would be able to detect the arrival of the chaos law and forces as soon as possible, so the losses to the powerful powers from all walks of life would not be so tragic. But who knows? After all, the Jiang family has predicted the battle of the gods. But no one believed it. So if we know it sooner or later, what can we change? You participated in the war of the gods. Dongji's voice was somewhat cold. No, but I have seen all the actions of the invaders. You are not weak, you can escape from this plane and change places. Unfortunately, you seem to love the common people more than you love yourself. Yuanji is still there now. I don't understand the meaning of this kind of protection. Yuanji's eyes returned to normal. Dongji looked at Shang Yuanji, unable to figure out what the other party was thinking. Dongji asked, what are you doing here? What, do you want to make the decision for them? Yuanji asked meaningfully. No, but you must be clear about your purpose. As you said, we love the common people more than ourselves. I want to ensure that you will not harm innocent creatures on the plane. Dongji said bluntly. Yuanji shook his head. Don't worry, I am very simple and kind. You see, in order to prevent them from going out to harm other living beings, I let them fight, so that they would have no time to think about other things. Dongji was speechless for a moment. Am I like a fool? Kind. A Dark One talks to him about kindness. Does he really think he doesn't understand the nature of the Darkest One? Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1000 Complete Soul. You don't seem to believe me. Yuanji asked casually. The corner of Dongji's mouth twitched. It doesn't matter whether I believe it or not, the key is that you did a great job, so can I stay and watch the show? When Yuanji heard this, he smiled and said, no. Dongji was speechless again. Yuanji said with a hint of coldness in his voice, you can go wherever you want, just don't stay here. Yuanji had already felt the power of darkness on Dongji. It is the nature of the darkest to devour its own kind. The power of darkness in Dongji happened to make Yuanji regard him as a member of his own race. If Dongji stays with Yuanji for a long time, Yuanji will become uncontrollably bloodthirsty and violent, until he completely swallows the power of darkness in Dongji. Of course, the reason why Yuanji didn't attack Dongji was not because he was kind. It's because he can't swallow the power of darkness for the time being. Dongji took a deep look at Yuanji, his eyes were deep, and he said through a message, Yuanji, you are very different. If one day you no longer want to be the Darkest One, you can come to me. Dongji threw a talisman to Yuanji and was about to leave. Just look carefully and you can see that he didn't leave quickly, as if he was waiting for something. Yuanji held the talisman thrown by Dongji, stopped Dongji, and said through a message, you don't want to be the Darkest One, what do you mean? Of course I will become a normal person, Dongji said with a smile. Human, if that's all, I would rather be the Darkest One forever. Yuanji responded. Dongji shook his head in disapproval and said, humans are the leader of hundreds of spirits. What's wrong with that? When all races transform, their first choice is the human form. Yuanji sneered lightly, his face getting colder. Dongji Netherworld, the human race, and the god race are all a group of selfish and hypocritical guys. Although becoming one of them has many benefits, various disasters will follow one after another. 2. When Yuanji said this, his face suddenly changed, and the darkest power above his soul surged. Yuan Ji, you shouldn't look at the problem so superficially. You should understand that what you want is not a human identity, you want a complete soul. After Dongji finished transmitting the message, he took the Wu with him and disappeared in front of Yuan Ji. Yuan Ji's expression was slightly stunned. Dongji's last words echoed in the sea of consciousness. The reason why the darkest ones cannot break away from certain constraints is because they cannot possess complete souls. An incomplete soul means that the soul cannot be cultivated. There is no trump card against Tao. But if he becomes a human race, he will have to start training from scratch. During this process, it is still unknown whether he can grow to this point again. The darkest ones must guard against being devoured by their own kind. The human race will not be much better. After all, in terms of strategy, all races must be willing to be inferior to the human race. Dongji Netherworld really took control of his weaknesses. Yuan Ji's eyes flickered slightly, and his eyes fell on the 8 family heads again. They had completely lost their minds and were fighting in a black and white way. Seeing this, Yuan Ji snapped his fingers. Time stands still. Ju Chang froze in midair. Yuan Ji beat them all down and restored time. People from all races looked at each other with horror as if they suddenly woke up. Why were they fighting uncontrollably just now? After a moment of silence, they looked up at Yuan Ji above. Yuan Ji looked down at them. Quite a look of disdain. It makes them look like a swarm of defeated ants. The heads of the clans looked embarrassed. When had they ever received such an insult? God respects strength, but they're backed by ancient families. Even if some powerful people want to take action against them, they will be wary of the forces behind them. But now Yuan Ji treats all the families like monkeys. They can't swallow this breath no matter what. They could tolerate Yuan Ji being strong and overpowering them, but they could never allow Yuan Ji to control them. Yuan Ji, you are too domineering. Do you want to turn God into your one-spoken hall? Bailey family master said first. When you control God, why don't you say you are domineering? Yuan Ji asked with interest. The head of the Bailey family suddenly froze. Could it be the same? Since the War of the Ancient Gods, heaven has been controlled by the Bailey family, and they have always been born in heaven, which is naturally different from the outsider Yuan Ji. When the head of the Nangong family saw that the head of the Bailey family had come to Yuan Ji for an explanation, the head of the Nangong family also spoke. Yuan Ji, we didn't confront you before because you didn't do anything harmful to God. But now that you have killed so many living beings in God, we naturally want an explanation. The head of the Wanchi family laughed and said, Yuan Ji, we don't understand why you want to stop us from leaving God, but you shouldn't treat us in this way. Yuan Ji, no matter how strong you are, there is only one of you. If the 8 of us work together, you may not be able to get a good result. Do you have to make a fight to the death? Yuan Ji, why are you obsessed with trapping us in the sky? Ellipsis. All the 8 major families threaten Yuan Ji with every word they say. It can be seen that they are extremely angry towards Yuan Ji. But in the end, he was afraid of Yuan Ji's strength and tried to use verbal threats to make Yuan Ji give in. Yuan Ji glanced at the speaker's expression carelessly. It seems that your heads are still not clear enough. Do you want to fight again? You know your purpose of leaving God, and I will not allow it. He and old man Chankin made a contract before. Therefore, he will not let them invade all walks of life before the time is up. Don't even think about it. Anyway, he can make them kill each other without even having to do anything. In this case, there is nothing to say. Yuan Ji, let's fight. The head of the Bailey family said seriously. How do you want to fight? Yuan Ji asked indifferently. The heads of each family looked at each other. Why can Yuan Ji be so arrogant? Why should they swallow their anger? Can't beat it. The heads of each family have ceased their activities, and they really cannot defeat them. So we must find a way to deal with Yuan Ji. The head of the Jewish family, who had been silent before, stood up. The head of the Jewish family is the weakest among all the family heads, but no one dares to look down upon him. The head of the Jewish family was able to reach his current position entirely due to his own strategy. Before he came to power, Jewish was at the bottom of the 8 major families. But after Jewish Song became the head of the family, the power of the Jewish family grew rapidly and instantly climbed to 5th place. This is already the limit of the Jewish family. After all, the Jewish family lacks a son to sit in charge. If it goes further, it may be counterproductive. Jugasong is smart, progresses in a measured manner, is never greedy, and is very trustworthy, so even though he is not strong enough, he still receives a lot of respect. Jewish Song bowed to Yuan Ji and said, Master Yuan Ji, we can follow your request and not leave God, but we have been closed for a long time, and we cannot always stand still. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1001 Communication Competition. As Ju Song spoke, he observed Yuan Ji's expression. Ju Song saw it more clearly than other family heads. Although Yuan Ji was moody, Yuan Ji did not kill innocent people indiscriminately. Continue. Yuan Ji found Ju Song quite pleasing to his eye. Juga Song said humbly and politely, we want to hold an exchange competition just like the fairy world, and invite strong people from all walks of life to come to heaven to participate. The winner can receive generous rewards. As long as those contestants stay in our heaven and do not leave the prescribed range, the 8 of us will be responsible for their safety. In order to ensure the fairness of the competition, the contestants must be at the same level of strength. Even if they are not at the same level, they must suppress their realm to the same level. We guarantee that this competition will be fair and just, and we will never pressure others based on their status. In addition, we will open an ancient secret realm for all contestants to explore, and the treasures they obtain there will belong to them. This competition will start after the competition in the fairy world is over. It will not delay their schedule. Ju Song finished speaking seriously. Yuan Ji's eyes narrowed slightly, feeling a bit like inviting you into an urn. The other family heads were shocked. The secret realm of the Jewish family is shared by them. Shouldn't they ask for their opinions when opening it? However, whether it should be said or not, Ju Song's proposal really won their hearts. Why didn't they think of it? Okay, as long as you don't think about leaving God, I won't interfere with the rest. Yuan Ji suddenly looked forward to this competition. God invites all strong men to come, and it has nothing to do with him. After all, he made an agreement with old man Chang'an to prevent them from leaving God without permission. Yuan Ji gave Ju Song a meaningful look and turned to leave. As soon as Yuan Ji left, the other family heads looked at each other and looked at Ju Song. Opening a secret realm is a big deal. Does Patriarch Juge have a secret realm of his choice? Patriarch Bailey said seriously. Ju Song shook his head. We still need to discuss these together. A sinister light flashed in the eyes of the Woomer family leader. Juge family master, you have decided to hold a competition. This will not require the efforts of all our families, right? The head of the Shangwen family also continued. Yes, we have to provide a secret realm, give them treasures, and protect their safety. This simply makes them think that we, the gods, are easy to bully. Really? Ju Song asked softly, then smiled and said, if you don't agree with this competition, just pretend that I didn't propose it. Anyway, Yuan Ji won't really care whether the exchange competition is started. Everyone, don't act like a good boy just because you're getting an advantage. I'm going back to Juge's house first. Ju Song literally walked away without stopping for a moment. Even if Ju Song is not strong, he still has his own pride, so naturally he will not be subject to such unwarranted coercion. When all the family heads saw that Ju Song was really gone, they were speechless for a moment. Just leave as soon as you disagree. Why is Ju Song so arrogant? Probably because of the unparalleled protective formation in the family land. The head of the Juge family has a large formation that can keep out the Sun realm. It is said that the formation was set up by ancestor Juge. As long as it is activated, it can ignore the attacks of all saints. Master Bailey, what should we do next? Asked the family leader. The head of the Bailey family looked bad and did not speak. The Bailey family could not compete with Yuan Ji, so if they wanted to leave God, they really needed this communication competition. Do you remember the 9 Nether Secret Realm? Fairyland. The semi-finals were held as scheduled. This time the competition was held directly in the square. Spectators also arrived early. I heard that 20 teams entered the semi-finals. It seems that all the places in Qinghe Tower have been taken away. You didn't go to see it at the time. The scene was simply spectacular. I felt like I was seeing the world for the first time. There are so many talents and treasures just for one spot. The Lingyun sect stole the show in the last game. I wonder what will happen this time. Hey, I only regret one thing now. I didn't take part in the competition. Even someone like Tongwenj could advance to the semi-finals. No matter what the spectators say. Neither changes anything. There are still 6 areas in the square, but there's an empty space in the middle. Yi Exingchen glanced in the direction of Lingyun sect before announcing the rules. After not seeing each other for a month, he could no longer see through their strength. Feng Qingren's aura on him was restrained, and he could even ignore their existence without looking carefully. Those spectators mentioned Lingyun sect from time to time, but none of them looked in the direction of Lingyun sect, as if they could not find where Lingyun sect was. The existence that should be dazzling makes people ignore its existence. This is terrible. In particular, his apprentice Dagu Jianyi has changed the most. At this moment, the Dagu sword looks like a sword with its sharp edge hidden under the scabbard. Yi Exingchen thought about the upcoming competition, looked away, and announced the rules of the competition. Everyone, this semi-final is about climbing the Heavenly Sacrifice Tower. As Yi Exingchen finished speaking, a huge tower appeared in the center of the square. The top of the tower reaches into the sky. The tower exudes a mysterious and chilling atmosphere. The Heaven Sacrifice Tower has 9 floors in total, and each floor has countless tests. Any team that enters the 7th floor or above can participate in the finals. You have 3 days to challenge the tower. Since everyone's cultivation level is no longer afraid of the dangers on the 1st level, 18 teams can start climbing directly from the 2nd level. Except Lingyun Sect and Biluo Palace, the other teams can go to LDE to draw the 1st level to enter the tower. As Lingyun Sect and Biluo Palace killed their opponents in the last competition, they will lose their qualifications for the draw this time. Delay the 2 teams' tower climbing time by 3 hours, and they will start climbing from the 1st floor. In addition, their strength will be restricted. This is the punishment for playing in the game. The semi-finals have no restrictions other than the set rules of the game. Yi Exingchen said it all in one breath. The meaning of his words is obvious. The semi-finals are allowed to kill each other without any punishment. In this way, each team will definitely find ways to eliminate their opponents while climbing the levels. Lingyun Sect and Biluo Palace didn't pay much attention to what Yi Exingchen said. After other teams entered the Heaven Sacrifice Tower one after another, Lingyun Sect and Biluo Palace gathered together and took out many square tables. Then, fought a table. Playing with strange things. Most of the practitioners present had never seen Mahjong before, and they all cast curious glances at them, not even looking at the images of the game. What is this? Does it look fun? Some practitioners walked over directly and asked, but then they didn't understand at all. They watched intently. Thank you, Junior Brother 6th, for the 6 messages. Who? 4th Senior Brother, didn't I just beat you once? Do you really want to catch me playing cards? Junior Sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1002 Bad Luck Possessed Dagu Sword 1. Mu Chanju's eyes were filled with a joking smile. 6th Junior Brother, I can't stop my luck. I have no intention of targeting you. Bailey Wenyu glared at Mu Chanju and said, you are telling lies with your eyes open. If 5th Senior Sister hit you with Yuan in front of you, you would not act recklessly. If I hit Yuan, you would act foolishly immediately. 6th Junior Brother, if you can't afford to lose, you can ask the little brother next to you to come. You don't have many chips anyway, Mu Chanjue suggested. Bailey Wenyu glanced at the cultivator beside him and met a pair of longing eyes. The cultivator smiled like a flower and said, "Little brother, if you don't want to come, give me a hand job and I can reward you." When Bailey Wenyu heard this, he subconsciously looked at Ning Shiyu. Mu Chanjue was the first to speak. "Sixth junior brother, do you still need Shiyu to make a decision for you on such a matter?" Mu Chanjue's beautiful peach blossom eyes flashed with a dark light. Bailey Wenyu is always deliberately playing the cards that Ning Shiyu needs. Don't think he doesn't notice it. We cannot let them continue to cooperate like this. Fourth senior brother, what are you talking about? I naturally make my own decisions regarding my matters. Bailey Wenyu felt extremely guilty for some unknown reason. He stood up to give up his seat and said to the practitioner next to him, "Come and sit down. Do you know how to fight?" "I know how to do it. I see you guys have learned it, but you just haven't gotten started," the practitioner said and quickly got into position. When Bailey Wen saw this, he couldn't help but drag the other person up. After Bailey Wenyu stood up, he felt countless pairs of scorching eyes looking at this place, but most practitioners were afraid of something and did not step into this area. But there are also many practitioners who are getting closer and closer. "Aren't you going to watch the game?" Bailey Wenyu asked curiously. "The game screen is not more interesting than this." "We are watching the game. Master, where did this mahjong come from? It's quite novel," a practitioner said. "This Qinghe building is for sale, don't you know?" Bailey Wenyu said matter-of-factly. "Such a good pastime, why don't everyone know about it? So what do you do when you are tired from practicing? Is there such a thing in Qinghe building? They never seem to notice it. Qinghe building has everything, not only mahjong, but also cards and other games. If you are interested, you can try them all," Bailey Wenyu strongly recommended. Qinghe building is, after all, junior sister's place. The more people who go there, the more profits there will be. Hey. Bailey Wen felt melancholy the more he thought about this. As the sixth senior brother, he is actually not as good as his junior sister. The little junior sister was really involved in cultivation, even trying to make money, which almost gave him no way to survive. Bailey Wen complained more and more, but he was still very proud to have such a junior sister. After all, it won't be long before he can rely on his little junior sister to walk sideways in the fairy world. LDE looked at the laughter of Lingyun sect and Biluo Palace and unconsciously pulled off a handful of his beard. This was the semi-finals, why could they be so leisurely and contented? And have they forgotten that they're limited to half of their strength? LDE looked at Yi Xingchen. Yi Xingchen was still sitting upright, his brows furrowed and his whole body full of fierce aura. But taking a closer look, I found that Yi Xingchen pursed his lips tightly and frequently glanced at Lingyun sect. LDE first thought that Yi Xingchen also disapproved of Lingyun sect's behavior. However, when LDE was about to speak, he realized something was wrong. The direction Yi Xingchen was looking at was Degu Jianyi's card. When Degu Jian plays mahjong, it is just like his temperament, stay away from strangers, lonely and indifferent. Degu Jianyi is always unable to touch the cards without saying anything. What's even more sinister is that the cards he wants to wait for don't come. As long as the cards are played, they will come one after another. Weird. So Degu Jianyi never won a game from beginning to end. On the other hand, Goddess Qingqiong sitting next to him was playing tricks frequently. LDE shook his head and suddenly realized that the serious swordsman ancestor of his family was actually watching this. Although Degu Jianyi is the apprentice of the sword ancestor, he always feels that this is very inconsistent. As if aware of LDE's gaze, Yi Xingchen glanced at him. His sharp eyes made LDE tremble and he decided not to care. Lingyun sect didn't lose heart by playing with things. After 3 hours of playing, they stood up and gave their place to other cultivators, then turned around and went to the Heaven Sacrifice Tower. A group of more than 30 people entered the first floor in a mighty manner. The scene in front of me changed instantly. Tens of thousands of monsters trapped Fang Qingran and others in one place. Behind them is an abyss, and in front of them are tens of thousands of various imperial monsters. Fang Qingran held the Qingluan sword, held a sword flower, and the blade flew out. Wherever the sword blade passed, the Emperor Demon Beast's body was in different places. In a few breaths, only one imperial demonic beast was left lying on the ground, looking at Fang Qingran with confused eyes. Fang Qingran's eyes flashed slightly and she stared curiously at the imperial demonic beast in the distance. The Heaven Sacrifice Tower was given to her by Ling Tianyun. Everything in the tower is an illusion and has no spiritual intelligence. So what's going on with this beast in front of me? Fang Qingran's consciousness echoed with the message from the tower secret. Master, this is not from the tower. It hid here just now. Do you want to deal with it? No, just put it on the first floor. The second floor of the Heaven Sacrifice Tower. What is tested is the ability to discern. All the teams were broken up and each went to one place. If you want to pass this level, you must find your teammates before you can go to the third level. But the teammates you find are most likely not real teammates. If you can't tell them apart, you will be stuck on the second level forever. No, we can't take action now. Lingyun sect's current strength is unfathomable. If we take action, we may fall short, Wen Yun said. Half of her face was covered by a mask. 2 contestants stood in front of Wen Yun. One is Wen Jingjun, and the other is a woman wearing a veil. The woman is Yi Jaman who Yi Xingchen is looking for. What lives in the body now is Su Yanran's soul. The woman's eyes were full of water, but if we don't take action this time, will there be a chance next time? This Heaven Sacrifice Tower belongs to the Jiang family. Only here can we have the opportunity to take action. Ranster, I know you are eager for revenge, but the soul-eating curse on Fang Qingran has been lifted. If we fail to confront her, there will be no way to escape. Wen Yun explained gently. When the woman heard Wen Yun's words, her eyes showed unwillingness. After Wen Jingjun listened to Wen Yun's words in silence, she already had some concerns in her heart. Wen Yun, you have contacted the High Priest before, what did she say? Wen Yun said, Mother said that Feng Qingren's destiny cannot be pried into. Not only Feng Qingran, but also other people in the Lingyun sect cannot see through the future. She wants us to stop plotting against the Lingyun sect. There is no place for God's abandonment. Success, I'm afraid it's even more impossible now. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1003 Spying on Luck. When Jingjun's lips curled up slightly and he smiled coldly, if we don't attack Lingyun sect, Xuanmen will not let them go. No prey targeted by Xuanmen will escape. We don't have to worry about Lingyun sect being able to stand up. However, there have been many powerful people around Feng Qingran recently, and they don't look like this plane. We have to find a way to get them to leave. Xuanmen's current strength cannot interfere with the fate of outsiders, so Feng Qingran cannot be allowed to have too much contact with outsiders. When Jingjun's words made Su Yanran happy for a moment. It was only for a moment. Immediately, Su Yanran seemed to have thought of something and said, all the things we want to seize from Feng Qingran conflict with Xuanmen. No, we only want Feng Qingran's luck and opportunities, while Xuanmen wants Feng Qingran's other things. When Jingjun said coldly. As for what Xuanmen specifically wants. When Jingjun didn't intend to explain. Why don't we leave Feng Qingran alone first, and wait until Xuanmen starts fighting with her before we intervene? Wen Yun suggested with a little worry, seeing Su Yanran's happy look. Of course Wen Yun also wanted to deal with Feng Qingran immediately. But Feng Qingran was too evil and had to be careful. Back in the land abandoned by the gods, they had laid a dragnet and blocked all of Feng Qingran's escape routes. In the end, Feng Qingran still found an opportunity to break free from all the constraints and come to the fairy world. They also laid many traps in the immortal world, trying to kill Feng Qingran before he could become an immortal, but they never thought that they would eventually be unable to deal with Feng Qingran. On the contrary, they almost all died in Feng Qingran's hands. Wen Yun thought of this and raised her hand to touch the mask. Originally, she could become the Lord of Heaven with just one face. But everything was ruined because of Feng Qingran. She hated Feng Qingran and wanted to destroy Feng Qingran more than anyone else. But it is precisely because of hatred that she becomes more rational. Only with rationality can she take revenge better. If Xuanmen and Feng Qingran start fighting, we're afraid we won't get anything. When Jingjun said coldly. Since the emergence of Xuanmen, its whereabouts have been mysterious and uncertain, but its style is extremely domineering. Don't look at it, the Jiang family has obviously destroyed Xuanmen. In fact, it was just Xuanmen who wanted to retreat and did it deliberately. Every move of this creature in this plane was based on Xuanmen's speculation. Su Yanran suddenly became nervous after hearing this. Feng Qingran's luck must be hers. Now she has gained the memory of reincarnation in the land abandoned by God. In those few lives, she successfully captured Feng Qingran's luck and opportunity, and her path to cultivation was smooth and everything went smoothly. It shows how strong Feng Qingran's luck is. But now Feng Qingran's strength has reached an unfathomable level, and his luck will definitely become stronger. As long as she can get Feng Qingran's luck again, her future will be smooth and smooth. Su Yanran's eyes flashed with greed. Maybe we can start with the people around Feng Qingran. Linyang, who ascended from the land abandoned by the gods, is related to Chu Chanji and Feng Qingran. She is our breakthrough. Father, I remember that Linyang was called Ms. Miaoyan before she ascended. With her cauldron physique, she attracted strong men from the land abandoned by the gods. Maybe there are also those in the fairy world or the divine world. She did it. As long as we find the strong person who attacked Linyang back then, we can easily provoke a grudge between Linyang and the other party. In this case, Feng Qingran will definitely intervene. By the way, Feng Qingran's enemies include Evil Dragon and God. As long as they are on the opposite side of Feng Qingran, our plan will be half successful. Even if Xuanmen wants to target Feng Qingran, it won't be under the attention of many forces. We will take advantage of the time when the Evil Dragon and God take action to seize Feng Qingran's luck. Su Yanran finished her analysis proudly. When Yun and when Jingjun, expressions darkened. A plan is a good plan. But don't plan it next time. After all, Wen Yun still felt sorry for Su Yanran and did not deny her directly. However, Linyang is not easy to deal with. She was able to escape from such a predicament back then, which shows that she is skillful. We are not as strong as her now, so naturally we can only use our wits. Pick. Wen Yun regretted it very much at this moment. She regretted exchanging her child with the child born to Wen Wanjin. Wen Wanjin was born into the Wen family and was considered to be of average strength, which led to her not learning any scheming at all. Coupled with the oppression of women in the divine world. What Wen Wanjin has learned is also very simple. He only has a proud body to support him, and nothing else can do it. Wen Wanjin indulged Su Yanran blindly and did not teach Su Yanran anything useful at all. As a result, Su Yanran got used to the days when someone planned for her. Gradually, I no longer think about the minutiae of a thing. Otherwise, Su Yanran would not have revealed such a plan and would have been content with it. But Su Yanran didn't listen to a word of Wen Yun's words. We don't need to take action in this matter at all, and it's not about strength. Wen Yun had the patience to persuade Su Yanran, but Wen Jingjun didn't have that much. Shut up. Do you think all the powerful people in the upper world are fools? Do you think Wugui Pavilion really doesn't exist? If you dare to do this, your existence will be exposed. Wen Jingjun warned coldly. He is both Wen Jingjun and Su Exingheng. When the Bailey family trained him, they wanted to be hidden, so they prepared a dual identity for him. When he goes to the God realm to handle tasks assigned by the Bailey family, he takes on the identity of Wen Jingjun. When something happened in the immortal world, he transformed into Su Exingheng and became the emperor of the immortal world. It was through his status as a member of the Wen family that he had the opportunity to seduce Wen Wanjin and get her to marry him. As for the real Wen Jingjun, his soul was swallowed by him on the day he was born. Su Exingheng's body, the mother of decay, was raised by him privately. He originally wanted to use the Mother of Decay to get rid of the Bailey family's control over his soul, but he didn't expect that the Mother of Decay became his talisman. Later, half of his soul was devoured by the Mother of Corruption. The other half returned to Wen Jingjun's body. But in the dark, he always had a feeling that the half of his soul that was swallowed by the Mother of Decay had not disappeared, and might still exist somewhere. Before he found the other half of his soul, he didn't want to expose himself at all. Feng Qingren's luck is important, but her soul is even more important. Xingheng, Rancer is just anxious, that's why you say this. We still have to continue the game. Let's go find our teammates. I will stabilize the Feng family. Wen Yun came out to smooth things over. Su Yanran was very unhappy, turned around and left. The Jiang family is indeed a useful chess piece. With the Jiang family here, she may be able to plan something on her own. When Su Yanran, Wen Yun, and Wen Jingjun left, a graceful figure stood where they were before. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1004 The Very Confident Overlord Black Dragon. That figure was dressed in luxurious brocade clothes. The clothes are embroidered with complicated dragon patterns, every stitch is meticulous, as if a real dragon is living in the clothes. Not only are the women dressed luxuriously, but their posture is also noble and noble. An interesting smile appeared on her lips, and her beautiful eyes gleamed. It's really a wonderful show. I didn't expect that the small plane could be so interesting. I just don't know where the territory lord and the others are hiding. A hoarse voice sounded, Master, if we come here secretly, will there really be no problems? Of course there won't be any problems. I just came here to find my lost things. By coincidence, I found the domain lord here. Is there any problem? The woman asked. But Master, I. The woman heard the contract beast's hesitant voice. Xiao Hei, is your throat stuck? Why are you hesitant to speak? The dragon pattern on the woman's body shook a few times, and she let out an extremely low dragon roar. Master, I am Black Dragon, not Xiao Hei. How can I maintain my majestic look when you shout? Black Dragon seemed a little angry, and his originally hoarse voice became rough. The woman nodded with satisfaction. Isn't this right? Xiao Hei, to be honest, I really regret taking you to the Blue Star Field. You didn't learn anything after going there, you only learned the boss's tricks. You said you are a dragon ancestor after all, and you should look mighty and domineering. Why do you want to learn from Long Ocean in those storybooks? Neither fish nor fowl. Xiao Hei, whenever you get rid of those bossy habits, I will ask you to take off your clothes. The woman raised her hand and flicked the dragon horn on her sleeve. The woman's clothes immediately changed from black to red. Master, it is written in the storybook that women love those words. I have been indifferent for how many years? I only learned those words to find the female dragon. Why do you want to stop me? Black Dragon was very confused and aggrieved. Ask. Those domineering words obviously make you feel good, okay? Like what? Female, you managed to get my attention. As long as you come home with me, all my treasures from now on will be under your control, including myself. Females, don't reject me, I can give you everything you want. Ellipsis. When these words were said, the females were still very moved. After all, it is the dominant Black Dragon, and the dragon clan's bloodline and identity are both noble and extraordinary. And it is the ancestor of most dragons. With such a noble and special status, he was willing to condescend to please those females. They couldn't help but be moved to tears. The more Hailong thought about it, the more he felt that Bazong literature was suitable for him. The woman, Yan Yue, felt the Black Dragon's thoughts through the contract. The corner of her mouth twitched, the corners of her eyes twitched wildly, and she regretted infinitely. She shouldn't have taken this stupid dragon to the Blue Star domain. You shouldn't even make a contract with it. Yan Yu flicked the Black Dragon's horn again and said speechlessly, you'd better stay on your clothes. I tell you, you are not suitable to see any female dragons for the time being. I'm afraid they will beat you and me too. Quote. The Black Dragon said aggrievedly, Master, my good master, you can't catch the domain lord on your own, and you want me to be alone with you. Why were you hesitating just now? What's wrong with you in this plane? Yan Yu decisively changed the subject. She didn't like to be exposed further. When Hailong heard Yan Yu's words, his attention was immediately diverted. The Black Dragon said cautiously, Master, in addition to Xuanchu, this plane also has another name called Taichu. Do you still remember the dragon on the boundary monument? Remember, you actually dared to stop me and not let me in. If some fool hadn't attracted its attention for me, I would have been blocked out of the plane. Yan Yue said. The Black Dragon said with a hint of guilt, Master, actually. It's not targeting you, but me. It only appears because you have my aura. Back then, What? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Yan Yu said in shock. Master, don't be angry, let alone be impulsive. I was the one who made the mistake back then. That's not what I mean. Yan Yu interrupted Hailong again, I mean, you should have said it earlier. You deserve the beating, so why should I bear it for you? If I had let you out before, it would have I will definitely hit you instead of me. Yan Yu was very upset. She actually took the blame for her contracted beast. I regretted my contract with the Black Dragon 10,000 times. This guy is not very capable, but he has many enemies. Basically in all the planes she has been to, there are black dragons that she can't deal with. Yan Yu said, Xiao Hei, tell me the truth, why do you have so many enemies? Did you make a contract with me to avoid death? The Black Dragon was silent. It's really kind of there for that. Yan Yu is in the immortal realm and is very powerful. Contracting with her will not only make enemies fearful, but also lead a stable life. Xiao Hei, you are so insidious. I didn't expect that I, Yan Yue, who was so smart all my life, would suffer from a moment of confusion. The regret on Yan Yue's face was not concealed at all. The Black Dragon didn't dare to say anything, thinking about whether to tell Yan Yu about the trouble it had caused in this plane. Yan Yu looked distressed and said, tell the truth, who do you have enmity with in this plane? When Yan Yu saw these people who had a grudge against the Black Dragon, they all hid and let him deal with it on his own. She was really too lazy to do anything. She followed the scents left by Mo Jinggong and Qi and searched for their path. And along the way, she was dealing with the Black Dragon's private grudges. If it weren't for the enemies of the Black Dragon, she would have come to this plane long ago. Master, I told you, will you abandon me? Black Dragon asked tentatively. There are a lot of enemies in this plane. If Yan Yue did not exist, it might die without a complete body. Yes, you are my contracted beast, and you will suffer both prosperity and loss. Don't worry, I will definitely stand with you. Yan Yue comforted. Ah. Just stand together. As for taking action, forget it. Correct. She will have to stand far away when the time comes to avoid harming her. These are Yan Yu's thoughts, so naturally she won't tell Hailong. After hearing Yan Yu's words, Black Dragon was immediately moved, and suddenly felt that it was too selfish to hide it. Hailong decided to tell Yan Yu honestly to avoid running away in time later. The Black Dragon searched his memory and said, Master, this place evolved from the beginning. You also know that the creatures born in the beginning are all creatures whose strength is incalculable. But don't worry, I didn't offend those early powerful creatures. Black Dragon secretly praised these two sentences of his own. Want to promote first restraint. Yan Yu must have breathed a sigh of relief. Next, Yan Yu will not care so much about the mistakes it made. After all, the life born in the beginning is enough to attract the Master's full attention. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1005, Making Trouble and Digging Up Ancestral Graves. After the Black Dragon secretly rejoiced at his own extreme, he continued, when I came to this plane, it was no longer called Taichu, it was called Xuanchu. In fact, all the universes we have seen now originally evolved from here, and they all have the shadow of the beginning. But something happened later, and the connection between Taichu and various universes was severed. From now on, very few people in each universe know about the beginning. Gradually, Taichu disappeared into the coordinates of the universe and was nowhere to be found. The creatures in each universe thought that Taichu collapsed because it was too old and its vitality disappeared. I have no idea that Taichu was renamed Xuanchu and is hidden in the deepest part of the universe. I came here when Taichu was about to be renamed. At that time, this place was in chaos. All kinds of powerful ancient beasts and a handful of gods were hiding here. They were constantly fighting for territory and fighting, which indeed caused the plane to almost collapse. But a rebellious lord appeared in the middle. She single-handedly suppressed the beasts, gods, and other powerful creatures, allowing them to find their own place. As a result, the plane maintained its vitality, did not collapse, and gradually became stable. But when I tried to look for that venerable again, she actually disappeared. I searched the entire plane but couldn't find her. It's strange, she seems to appear and disappear suddenly. When Yan Yu heard this, her beautiful eyes narrowed dangerously, and she asked softly, why are you looking for her? I'm curious, there is such a venerable person here, why is there chaos? Black Dragon replied subconsciously. That's it. Black Dragon felt guilty again. Yan Yu asked with a smile, do you still want her to be your master and wipe your butt? After all, the venerable is so powerful. If Hailong wants to say that he is not moved, Yan Yu will not believe it. However, Yan Yu said this in Tao Can's tone, so Hailong didn't notice the danger at all. I had this idea at the time, but unfortunately she left too quickly, and she also discovered my existence, but did not stop. As the only Black Dragon, I naturally have my own pride. How could I recognize such an arrogant master? Yan Yu thought of the scene when the Black Dragon made a contract with her. It seemed a little regretful at that time. So she is the alternative. Yan Yu's beautiful eyes flashed with a dangerous light. If you don't want to contract with her, why did you come to find her later? The Black Dragon was speechless. It's so embarrassing to have my little thoughts revealed. Why are you mentioning her? Aren't you talking about the trouble you caused here? Yan Yu deliberately dropped the topic, as if she didn't intend to embarrass Hailong. Hey, Black Dragon sighed, slightly sad. Speaking of this matter, it is really a waste of money. Black Dragon was a little embarrassed to say it. But having held it in his heart for so long, and revisiting his old place again, Hailong was really unhappy. The Black Dragon said angrily, I was just curious about who she was and wanted to find her, so I traveled through various worlds in this plane. In the process of traveling, I occasionally encounter some who want to contract with me, some who want to kill me, and some who believe in me. So I got into a lot of fights and had some conflicts with the beast tribe here. I could understand the behavior of some tribes. I was angry, not reckless. Anyway, I also dug up the burial places of many ancient beasts. I thought that the powerful venerable might be cultivating in those places. After all, there are so many heavenly materials and earthly treasures in those places, especially those bright and sparkling things. I like them very much when I look at them. My original intention was to find the venerable, but in the process, I also poached some things. When Black Dragon spoke up to this point, his voice was barely audible. But Yan Yu has already guessed what happened. The Black Dragon wanted to find the venerable man, but accidentally broke into the ancestral land of the beast tribe. Then he saw something he liked in the ancestral land and took it away. Isn't this just digging the graves of one's ancestors? No wonder they would become enemies with each other. The Dragon clan loves crystal silver jewelry and shiny things. This is engraved in the inheritance, and it is difficult for the Black Dragon to overcome it. But you can take these things anywhere. What's the matter with going to someone's ancestral grave to get it? Yan Yu poked Hailong's head and asked in an indifferent tone, after you dug up the other person's ancestral grave, did you leave some treasures as an apology? When I leave something, don't I tell the other party that I did it? So after I finished doing it, I ran away and moved to another place. They didn't know that I did it, but they started fighting each other. After Hailong said this, sometimes, I feel a little proud. So how did you get caught later? Yan Yu gave up on saving Hailong's brain. The Black Dragon's pride disappeared and he said sarcastically, well, it's just, they discovered something was wrong after beating him, because almost all the things thrown in the ancestral land were of the same category. 0. Also, I accidentally broke into the ancestral land of the Genshin clan. The Genshin clan is the guardian beast of this plane. There are special restrictions on their ancestral land. I didn't notice it. I left an image and they discovered it. Then all the orcs started chasing me. I originally wanted to return the things to them, but they were unreasonable and wouldn't give me a chance. They would beat me whenever they saw me. I had no choice but to fight back several times and injured many beasts in their clan. But I didn't kill a single beast. I saw that they really didn't welcome me, so I left this plane. When Yan Yu heard this, she couldn't help but roll her eyes gracefully. Dig ancestral graves. Unforgivable. It's already settled that they didn't use the ultimate move when they came up. Yan Yu complained in her heart, but had no intention of Black Dragon. The Black Dragon's voice continued, later, I counted the time and felt that their anger had dissipated, so I wanted to come back here and apologize to them. But the strange thing is that I can't find this plane anyway. Obviously it's still this universe and this direction, but I just can't find the plane. So I just gave up apologizing and walked around. Master, this plane has really changed compared to before. At that time, there were treasures of heaven and earth everywhere, and great powers gathered together. Now this place is a bit dilapidated. There are very few strong people, and the orc tribe is even more in decline. Black Dragon felt regretful and very lucky at the same time. If they are weak, there will be no way to take revenge on it. When Yan Yu heard Hailong say, can't find the location, her beautiful eyes flashed with deep light. She followed the auras of Mo Jinggong and Qi and almost didn't find this plane. If Ling Tianyun and the others hadn't left and the boundary monument of the Xuanchu plane had not lit up, she would not have been able to enter. A plane where you can hide is nothing shocking. However, a plane where even the Lord of the Void cannot detect the breath is terrifying. This proves that there are huge secrets hidden in the plane. What's more, there are existences beyond the Tau body in this plane. Could it be that the Venerable never disappeared, but the Black Dragon just couldn't find it? Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1006 Wanted in the Boundary Sea. If the Venerable had never disappeared, how to find her? Yan Yu thought about it, and suddenly couldn't help but think too much. Would a venerable person who could save a plane be an apostate? If the Territory Lord and this Venerable faced off, who would win? A tangled look appeared on Yan Yu's brows. She was definitely not the opponent of that Venerable man. If the Territory Lord really wanted to lose, would she go up and help? Okay. You can follow the domain owner. But if you want to get beaten for him. Yan Yu suddenly felt that she might give up following him temporarily. Master, Master, Hailong called several times in succession, finally pulling Yan Yu out of her thoughts. Xiao Hei, you know you can't defeat the enemy, why do you still attack? Yan Yu asked tangledly. Isn't that stupid? Who could be so stupid? Say it and make me laugh. Ouch. Master, please be gentle. The Black Dragon roared, and one of its beards was removed by Yan Yue. Yan Yu glared at it and decided that the Black Dragon looked good embroidered on her clothes. At this moment, Yan Yu noticed that a powerful aura was approaching her. Yan Yu Jijue entered a cracked space. As soon as Yan Yue disappeared, a light cyan figure came here. It was Feng Qingran. She was accompanied by Feng Si, Wanling and Little Box. Feng Si, there's nothing here. Feng Qingran said crisply, standing in the air. Impossible, this nasty smell is definitely it. Feng Si spread the power of his consciousness and carefully explored the surroundings. Feng Si affirmed again, Master, where is it hiding? That guy has many tricks. Boss Fengqi, who is the enemy you are talking about? Xiao Zhang asked curiously. Once on the second floor, Feng Si eagerly asked Feng Qingran to bring it to him, saying that he had revenge to take. However, who the enemy is? Feng Si refused to reveal a word. He's a nasty thief. Feng Si really didn't want to mention the guy's name. Feng Qingran probably guessed who Feng Si was talking about. Since Feng Si was sure that the other party had not gone very far, he wanted to find a way to find the direction in which he left. Feng Qingran raised her palm, and a gorgeous purple butterfly appeared. Juyu, use time and space to reverse. Yan Yu, who was in the space crack, heard Feng Qingran's words, and for some reason, a bad premonition arose in her heart. Time reversal is slightly different from time reversal. When looking back in time, only using time as the line, what you see is very simple and there are many limitations. The weak cannot go back in time to the strong. In other words, in retrospect, the weak cannot change anything about the strong. And time-space reversal can see things in time and space. Reversing time and space can bring everything back to where it started. Even if you hide in a space-time rift, you can't avoid the reversal of time and space. Of course, time and space reversal also follows the rules of strength and weakness. The weak cannot use time reversal against the strong. Logically speaking, Feng Qingran also knows these rules. And this Feng Qingran doesn't look like an idiot. You should have guessed that she is stronger than Ju Nether Butterfly when she is hiding. So what is the significance of Feng Qingran letting Ju Yumingdi use time and space to reverse time? Yan Yu always felt that something was wrong, so she did not hesitate to use the highest level isolation formation before Ju Yumingdi started the time and space reversal. He also conveniently erased all the auras of her and the Black Dragon. Avoid capsizing in the gutter. This also caused Feng Qingran to find nothing after the Ju Yumingdi's space was reversed. Feng Qingran took the 9 Nether Butterfly back into the void space. Feng Si found that there was no such annoying aura and was a little frustrated. Forget it, maybe it's the remaining aura from before. Master Feng, let's go back. Xiao Zhang heard Feng Qi's words and comforted him. Boss Feng Qi, it's okay. Tell me, who is your enemy? I'll shout in the Boundary Sea, so that I can get it as long as it passes through the Boundary Sea in the future. News. Jedi. Fang Xi's eyes lit up. Yes, that guy will definitely pass through the Boundary Sea. It's just that, the other party is slippery, and it's too difficult to capture its scent. All the little box's words fell into Yan Yu's ears. After listening to the little box, Yan Yue picked up one of the black dragon's whiskers and said sadly, "What enemies have you offended? I can even control the Boundary Sea. Do you want to kill me?" The Boundary Sea is a place where no one can escape. No matter how transcendent your strength is, you always have to travel through the World Sea, so that you can go to other places faster. There is no way for anyone to avoid the Boundary Sea. It hurts, it hurts. Master, I don't know either. I have to live with the Genshin clan. There is no way I can offend the weird creatures in the sea. Black Dragon argued. Even if it is full and sustained, it will not offend the strange creatures in the sea. As long as the creatures in the Boundary Sea are not offended, it is generally absolutely safe to travel through the Boundary Sea for a short period of time. But once you offend the strange creatures inside, it will be extremely dangerous if you want to use the laws of space in the future. Oh, they have issued a wanted order for you, and you are still making excuses. Now go out and apologize to me. If you don't get their forgiveness, don't say you know me. Yan Yu did not hesitate to pull the black dragon's horns. Pull it off your clothes. There is no need to offend a strange creature for a stupid dragon. Even though there is not only one family of weird creatures in the World Sea. Yan Yu didn't want to offend either. They both live in a dark space, and who knows if the other person will be related. If that little box is known to everyone in the sea of billions of universes, wouldn't she be in danger every step of the way? Yan Yu threw the black dragon mercilessly. As a result, Black Dragon was completely confused when he went out. However, Fang Qingran, Fang Xi, Wanling, and Xiao Zhang suddenly sensed the aura of the Black Dragon. Fang Qingran turned around in a few moments and stared at the Black Dragon with alert eyes. After Black Dragon saw Fang Qingran's face clearly, his eyes were full of shock, and he said in surprise, "Sir, it's you. Do you still remember me? I was. Thief, how dare you show up?" Fang Xi's angry voice interrupted Hailong's words, and he flapped his wings and rushed towards Hailong. Black Dragon noticed Fang Xi's attack and wanted to fight back, but thought that Fang Xi was Fang Qingran's contracted beast, so he just avoided it. Fang Xi apparently lost his mind and used the power of law to surround the Black Dragon. Seeing Fang Xi rushing towards him, Little Box also stepped forward to help. Chirp, 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 Wanling shouted several times, trying to suppress the Black Dragon with the power of his bloodline. Fang Qingran pressed Wanling's fluffy little head and said, "Fang Xi, it is a Black Dragon. The power of your bloodline has no effect on it. Don't forcefully suppress it, otherwise you will be injured. The king of all spirits and beasts also has limits. The beast clan it can command does not include those beasts that existed before the dawn of time. For example, Black Dragon, Yinglong, Zhu Juyan, Zhu Zhao, etc. They are all uncontrollable by all spirits." Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1007 Fang Yu takes action. Wanling listened half comprehensively, tilting his little head, his black bean eyes full of confusion. "Master, am I not the king of all beasts? I saw in the inheritance that I can use the power of my bloodline to suppress all beasts, and if they disobey me, they will suffer heavenly punishment." It was obviously able to suppress the five-clawed golden dragon it saw before and was not injured. The bloodline power of the black dragon in front of me is indeed stronger, but they're both dragons, so why is there such a big difference? All spirits, the black dragon has its own lineage. The power of its bloodline is equivalent to your bloodline. In addition, its strength is terrifying and unpredictable, so you cannot control it for the time being. Fang Qingran explained. There will always be blood suppression between the orcs and the orcs. Just like snakes and dragons, no matter how powerful they are, as long as they encounter the blood of a true dragon, they must surrender. And flying beasts like the eight-headed heron must surrender once they encounter the true phoenix bloodline. These are the laws of heaven and earth that cannot be reversed between beasts. If there is a violation, at least it will suffer backlash, and at worst, it will attract heavenly punishment. But all spirits are different. The power of bloodline makes it unnecessary to submit to any power of bloodline. So as Wanling gradually grows and becomes stronger, one day it will be able to lead the dragon and phoenix clan. "Master, is there something wrong with my inheritance?" Wanling asked. Yes, Fang Qingran didn't hide anything. Wanling heard this and said, "Master, I will definitely find a way to find the complete inheritance, and then truly control all beasts." Wanling saw a scene in the inheritance. If you want to break the domineering bloodline rule among the beasts, you must use the power of your bloodline to control all beasts. Then use the power of your own bloodline to dissolve the constraints of bloodline laws. By that time, there will no longer be a distinction between lowly and noble bloodlines in the beast tribe. It all depends on strength. I believe you can do it, Fang Qingran praised with a smile. At this time, Fang Xi and Little Box faced the Black Dragon. Fang Xi and Little Box were completely defeated. The Black Dragon is so powerful that Fang Xi can't even touch it if he doesn't challenge it head-on. The small box occasionally encounters the Black Dragon, but the Black Dragon can always avoid the small box flexibly. Dodging, Hailong saw the special colorful feather on Fang Xi's wings. Recalled some things. Black Dragon immediately said, "You're a junior of the Genshin clan, right? I have some misunderstandings with your ancestors. I really didn't dig your ancestral land back then." After listening to this, "What's there to say? Wasn't it you in the image back then? Didn't you steal the treasure inside?" Fang Xi asked coldly. "Well, I took the things, but I really didn't touch your ancestral land. When I went there, the formation had been destroyed. I just went in to take a look. When Black Dragon went in, he really didn't pay attention to these." But being chased by Fang Xi at this moment reminded him of what the other party said when he was fighting against the ancestor of Zhen Shen. The other party mentioned the formation and asked for the treasure to protect the formation, as well as some other things. But it didn't take anything the other party wanted. I can't hand it over at all. But the ancestor of Genshin didn't believe it at all and insisted on handing it over. At that time, it saw that the situation was not good and had no choice but to leave the plane. The misunderstanding remains until now. It must be lifted. Black Dragon doesn't want to take the blame anymore. After all, the venerable person it is looking for is Feng Xi's contracted beast. Hailong thought about this and continued to explain. Feng Xi, the destruction of your ancestral land really has nothing to do with me. I was just passing by and went in to pick up a few things. If you don't believe it, I will give you everything. Yan Yu heard Hailong's explanation in the space and raised her forehead again. Stupid dragon. Doesn't saying this make the conflict worse? Yan Yu hesitated. If Hailong was allowed to continue, the situation would be even worse. Just when Yan Yu was thinking about whether to go out, Feng Qingren's eyes fell on her hiding place and smiled. Can you come out? Your contracted beast is indeed very powerful, but that doesn't mean we can't hurt it. Yan Yu. She has been discovered. How can it be? Even though her strength is suppressed now, she was the Lord of the Void before. Feng Qingren had never even reached the realm of Sant, so how did she find herself? After Feng Qingren finished speaking, after waiting for a few breaths and not noticing any special aura, she flicked her sleeves and released Feng Yuyu. Feng Yuyu is now an adult, and her chubby body looks more innocent and cute than before. Feng Yuyu hugged a fresh bamboo and looked at Feng Qingren. Yuyu, I leave that black dragon to you. Beat it first and then capture it. Feng Qingren patted and supported a dull hair on Feng Yuyu's head and said. As for why the iron-eating beast has dull hair, Feng Qingren didn't know either. When Feng Yuyu heard what Feng Qingren said, she solemnly handed the bamboo to Feng Qingren, and then jumped out with lightning speed. Then, Void grabbed hold, and the black dragon that was originally hovering in the sky was pinched by Feng Yuyu. The whole black dragon was confused. What's going on? Ow. A miserable dragon roar pierced the sky. The black dragon received a claw on its body, and several blood marks appeared. The black dragon wanted to beg for mercy, but found that it howled and could not make any sound. It can only send a message to Yan Yu, Master, save me. Save me. If you don't save me, the iron-eating beast will tear me into pieces. The iron-eating beast is the nemesis of almost all powerful beasts. The iron-eating beast's claws can ignore any protective barrier and directly touch the flesh. If it were any weaker, the iron-eating beast could directly tear its soul apart. This is why all races keep a distance from the iron-eating beasts. Even if the iron-eating beasts are extremely rare in number and their strength is slowly improving, no one will underestimate the iron-eating beasts just because they're weak. Fight beyond levels and still win. It is a common occurrence for iron-eating beasts. The black dragon was really scared now. The suppression of the true dragon's bloodline has no effect at all on the iron-eating beast. Master, if you come out again, you will no longer have a cute little hay. I really don't want to be torn into pieces. Master, Hailong howled with his soul, transmitting the sound into Yan Yu's sea of consciousness. Yan Yu felt distressed and helpless. After all, it was her contracted beast, so it was impossible to say that she didn't care at all. But the current situation is completely caused by the black dragon. Yan Yu sighed softly, adjusted her mood, took out a veil and put it on, raised her noble posture, and stepped out of the space. Stand in the air. He and Feng Qingren looked at each other across the sky. Yan Yu originally wanted to use her aura to show that she was not someone to be bullied. But after she glanced up and down at Feng Qingren, she couldn't think of anything else. She only had one thought: why is this Feng Qingren prettier than her? His aura was even stronger than hers. Yan Yu suddenly forgot that she was going to save the black dragon. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1008. Throw away the treasure directly. Yan Yu released more powerful pressure and secretly competed with Feng Qingren. She is the leader of the immortal domain. How can you lose momentum in other planes? Yan Yu's beautiful eyes were indifferent, as if Feng Qingren in front of her was not worth mentioning, and her attitude of gazing at the sky was very dignified. However, Yan Yu was used to being casual and did not like this posture of always holding a dignified posture with her back still. She put one hand on her waist in front of her, not moving at all. And the hand behind her back made many small movements. Yan Yu felt that she couldn't hold on for long, but the little girl opposite was not scared by her yet, so she had to continue to maintain a dignified appearance. She is an old thing who has lived for an unknown number of years. If she can't suppress even a little girl who is less than 10,000 years old, if this is transmitted back to the immortal realm, she will not be laughed to death. Feng Qingren was originally wary of Yan Yu. But as time passed, Feng Qingren discovered that Yan Yu was rubbing her hands nervously. Master, save me, why don't you ask for mercy on my behalf? Your Majesty is very kind. As long as you ask, she will definitely agree. Black Dragon said in pain. Yan Yu suddenly came to her senses, she seemed to have come out to save Xiaohe. You. The moment Yan Yue opened her mouth, she felt that she was too serious. Yan Yu coughed and spoke in a soft voice, little girl, there must be a misunderstanding between Xiaohe and your contracted beast. I will pay you all the debt it owed back then. Can you make the iron-eating beast be gentler? A smile flashed across Feng Qingren's eyes, do you know what debt it owes? I can compensate for the gold, silver, jewels, glazed jade, etc. that were taken away from the ancestral land. After all, it was still young at that time. Yan Yu said this, and she felt guilty. Yan Yue paused for a moment, then forcibly changed the subject and said, I am Yan Yue, the master of the Black Dragon. I will control it from now on, and it will definitely not make the same mistakes as in the past. Yan Yu felt that something was wrong the more she spoke. Having been an overlord for a long time, I am used to giving orders, but now I have to use an apologetic way to negotiate, so Yan Yu always has trouble organizing the words. Yan Yu glanced at the black dragon with disgust. What kind of contract did she make? No matter what he does, he will be the first to get into trouble. But there is a soul contract between her and it, so she has to protect it. Yan Yu felt awkward in her heart for a while. She really felt that this kind of discussion was not suitable for her, so she simply threw a storage ring to Fang Qingran. Little girl, this is the treasure that will stop that iron-eating beast. Fang Qingran held the storage ring with her breath and checked the items inside. As expected, they came from the same place and were all equally generous. The storage ring is filled with all kinds of rare treasures, as well as hundreds of millions of fresh bamboo shoots. The power contained in these bamboo shoots is very strong. The treasures in this space, taken out at random, can be regarded as treasures of heaven and earth, which shows that Yan Yu is full of sincerity. Yu, Fang Qingran called out. Fang Yu stopped beating the black dragon, dragged the black dragon to Fang Qingran, and looked at Fang Qingran obediently. Fang Qingran took out a bamboo shoot and gave it to Fang Yu. Snapped. Fang Yu threw the black dragon out with her hand and fell heavily to the ground. Fang Yu stepped forward and hugged the bamboo shoot, and said happily, "It turns out to be a Yuanxian bamboo shoot. Master, I like it very much. Okay, I'll give you everything here." Fang Qingran gave the storage ring to Fang Yu and rubbed its head. At this moment, another storage ring flew in front of her eyes. At the same time, Fang Si and the small box both had a storage ring. Yan Yu said domineeringly, "This is compensation for you. If you have other special needs treasures, you can ask and I will try my best to find them for you. By the way, little girl, I heard here before that 3 cultivators wanted to plot against you, 1 man and 2 women. You have to be careful. As for Xiao Hei, I'll take him away first. Xiao Hei owes the Genshin clan. When it recovers, it will come to deliver it in person." After Yan Yue finished speaking, she flicked her sleeves and disappeared with the black dragon. This time she left no breath behind. Master Fang, she and Brother Ling come from the same place, right? Many treasures here should not exist in this world at all. Fang Si was shocked. The things in the space were basically treasures from ancient times. There is even an innate treasure of body protection. The innate treasure alone is enough to offset the losses of the Genshin clan. It's not right. How can the hatred of digging up ancestral graves be measured by value? FCK, this is actually, is. Fang Si was so excited that he transformed into a human form and rushed over to hug Fang Yu who was chewing bamboo. He picked her up horizontally and spun her around in a circle. Fang Yu pulled Fang Si and wanted to go down. "Fang Yu, you will be my boss from now on. Don't worry, I will definitely find more bamboo shoots for you." After Fang Si finished speaking, he waved towards Little Box, this is our boss from now on. You are not allowed to call me boss again. The small box was just a box with no expression, but Fang Qingran could feel the speechless aura on it. Fang Si's move left everyone present at a loss. Fang Qingran couldn't help but wonder what treasure Yan Yu had given her that could make Fang Si lose her mind. "Master Phoenix, I'm going into seclusion. Don't worry, when I come out, I will lead you across the wilderness and rule the entire universe." Fang Si returned to the void space after finishing the message. Fang Qingran's mouth twitched, becoming more curious about what Yan Yu gave her. "Master, keep the things in this space for me. I want to go back to the Boundary Sea." Xiao Zhang handed the storage ring to Fang Qingran and said goodbye. "Little box, what's in this space?" Fang Qingran asked softly. "There is something that can change my future path. The master will know about it later. It's not that Little Box doesn't want to tell Fang Qingran, but there are secrets about strange creatures here. Little Box doesn't want to tell them before they're sure." The small box gives off a touch of black atmosphere. The breath fell into Fang Qingran's palm and turned into a small box mark. The mark gradually disappeared. The small box said, "Master, this mark can deter most strange creatures. If you encounter something that cannot be suppressed by the mark, you must be extremely careful. I will follow this mark to find the master. Master, there is no need to worry." After explaining the small box, he tore a crack in time and space and got in. "Master, take care of it." As the small box's voice fell, the crack closed. Fang Qingran put away the things given to her in the small box, looked at Fang Yu, and felt relieved when she saw that she was only concentrating on eating bamboo shoots. She didn't like this parting scene. "Yu, will you stay outside from now on?" Fang Qingran and Fang Yu discussed. "Can I eat bamboo shoots and fairy fruits when I stay outside?" Fang Yu knew that everything she ate was very rare, so she didn't dare to come out to avoid trouble. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1009 Results. "Okay, you can eat as much as you want," Fang Qingran said with a smile. Fang Yu said in a cheerful tone, "Then I will follow the master outside from now on. By the way, the master probably knows why Fang Si went to retreat in a hurry." Why? Fang Qingran was really curious, especially what Fang Si said before retreating, which made Fang Qingran feel that things were not simple. Fang Yu looked around, put up a barrier and said, "Master, I actually know that Black Dragon. It had a disagreement with the ancestral dragon during the prehistoric period, so it broke away from the dragon clan. At that time, the Zulong, Yuanfeng, and Shiqilan clans were fighting for something, and a war was about to break out. That thing is the fruit of the word. As a result, only the beast race can take the Tao fruit. After taking it, you will no longer be trapped by the laws of the Tao. The beast race can practice the 3000 Tao just like the human race. This is a huge temptation for the 3 tribes. After all, the beast tribe is limited by rules and has limited traditions that can be repaired. If things continue like this, the beast tribe will definitely be weak and may even become a vassal of other tribes. Both Zulong and Yuanfeng are arrogant and cannot allow this situation to happen. Shiqilan didn't want to fight. He thought we could discuss and decide the fate of the Tao fruit, but Zulong and Yuanfeng didn't listen. They only believed in themselves and would never give in. Only Black Dragon agrees with Shi Qilin's point of view and believes that the emergence of the result is a conspiracy and there should not be internal strife over this. However, no one in the Dragon Clan is willing to listen to Black Dragon's opinion. Instead, they think it is a traitor. The Black Dragon broke away from the Dragon Clan in a fit of anger and went out to wander. Later, the war between the three clans began. Yuan Feng died during the battle, and Zulong and Shi Qilin were seriously injured. At this time, a group of mysterious people appeared and attacked the three tribes. The Phoenix tribe was almost completely wiped out, while the Qilin tribe was forced to sign a master-servant contract and was oppressed. And when the mysterious man attacked the Dragon Clan, Zulong passed all his power to the Dragon Emperor, allowing him to lead the Dragon Clan to escape. Zulong used sacrifices to stop the mysterious man and save a few dragons. At this point, the result is back in the hands of the mysterious person. And hundreds of millions of years after this incident happened, the Black Dragon brought a woman back to the ancestral land of the Dragon Clan. Only then did he know the outcome of what happened back then. So the Black Dragon and the woman killed all the mysterious people who existed in that plane. It is rumored that the result fell into the hands of that woman. When Feng Yuyu said this, her round eyes stared at Feng Qingran. That woman is Yan Yue, and Feng Si got the Dao fruit, but why didn't she give it to Hailong with such a precious Dao fruit? Feng Qingran couldn't help but feel confused. The Black Dragon has already taken the Dao fruit, and it has multiple Dao Qi in it. Feng Yuyu said. The Black Dragon's strength was too high, so it was normal for Feng Qingran not to notice it. However, Yan Yu is really generous and might actually give away the fruit of fruition. The result is that the fruit of the Tao is transformed from the scattered lotus seeds of the green lotus of creation. One lotus seed can only produce one fruit. It is said that there are only 72 lotus seeds left over from the creation green lotus. Many of them have turned into innate treasures, so very few can turn into fruits. Besides, if refining a green lotus seed of creation can obtain the power of going against the path, who would use such a precious thing to turn it into the fruit of the path? Nothing in this world can escape the constraints of the law of Tao. Tao is the rule for everything. To practice Taoism is to learn to control the rules and make use of their powerful body. But no matter how you control it, you are still within constraints. There are always strong people who want to overthrow the constraints of the rules and become the makers of the rules. These strong people are called rebels. If you want to become a rebel, you must first have the power to rebel. Therefore, the things left over from Chuangshi Qinglian are all being fought over by various powers. No one would easily use such precious lotus seeds to turn them into fruits. In Feng Yuyu's inheritance, there are no more than 3 Dao fruits. Feng Yuyu seemed to have thought of something again, and said, Master, Yan Yue should be from the immortal realm. During the prehistoric period, she led the Black Dragon to chase and kill the mysterious person. The noise was too great, disturbing the peace of many universes, and disturbing the Chaos Realm. However, the Chaos Realm really had no way to deal with her, so it thought of the Immortal Realm and asked the Immortal Realm to lock up Yan Yu. The Immortal Domain was originally created to imprison those beings who harm the universe. Yan Yue does not meet the standards for imprisonment in the Immortal Realm. She only kills those who come out of the Chaos Realm and will not harm innocent people. She even protected many innocent people. The mysterious people in the Chaos Realm also know this, and they began to plot against Yan Yue. Yan Yue took the initiative to enter the Immortal Realm at this time, because she killed everyone she could kill in the Chaos Realm, and the rest were those that could not be killed or had nothing to do with what happened back then. I heard that Yan Yue also caused a lot of trouble after entering the Immortal Realm. It is said that she took the initiative to enter the Immortal Domain because she fell in love with the Domain Master of the Immortal Domain. After Feng Yuyu said this, she secretly glanced at Feng Qingran. In order to say this sentence, it has laid out so much, the Master should be able to understand Yan Yu, right? This Yan Yu can be regarded as the Master's rival. Yan Yue, Gu Ming, Immortal Realm, Chaos Realm. Feng Qingran murmured. Her reaction was completely beyond Feng Yuyu's expectations. Feng Qingran didn't care who liked Mo Jinggong, let alone worried about these things. Feng Qingran always felt that Feng Yuyu's words gave her a feeling of enlightenment. The Chaos Realm is where the group of Chaos Law Enforcers exist. Those who come out of the Immortal Realm seem to have trouble dealing with the Chaos Law Enforcers. The Chaos Enforcers are looking for the creation Qinglian. The strong men in the Immortal Realm, regardless of their previous character, are all unrivaled beings in the past and present. They must be a threat to the Chaos Law Enforcers. Enemies of enemies can cooperate 1 or 2. Yan Yue's strength is probably too much to give in to Gu Ming's. If Yan Yu joins the Xuanchu plane, there will be one more bargaining chip here when dealing with the Chaos Realm in the future. Feng Qingran suddenly became energetic and geared up. Master, Feng Yuyu called tentatively. Yuyu, do you have Yan Yu's hobbies in your inheritance? What kind of place does she like to stay? Feng Qingran asked. The dull hair on Feng Yuyu's head shook, and she recalled solemnly. The owner finally wanted to find a way to deal with the powerful enemy, and it had to be stronger. At the same time, while Yan Yu was healing the Black Dragon, she kept poking the dragon's horns. You really can cause me trouble. I either want to revenge you, or I want to wipe your ass. Master, woo. It hurts too much. I will definitely stay away from the iron-eating beast in the future. Fortunately, I have not dug the iron-eating beast's grave, otherwise I might have been broken into pieces. Black Dragon's voice was originally rough, but now he was crying on purpose, which was really inexplicably beautiful. The veins on Yan Yu's forehead jumped. Shut up. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 10 Leave. Hailong felt even more aggrieved when he heard Yan Yu scolding, and looked at Feng Yan Yu with wet eyes. Yan Yu met Hailong's pitiful eyes and instantly softened her heart. Master, I was wrong. I will never dig my ancestral land again, and this place is really the last debt I owe. Hailong said cautiously. Yanyu obviously didn't believe it, but she didn't show it on her face. While healing the black dragon, she casually asked, "Did you call Feng Qingran your venerable before?" Hearing this, the black dragon moved its body and wanted to fly into the air. The pain in his body made black dragon take a breath. The black dragon lay down obediently and said with great interest, "Master, I am very sure that Feng Qingran is that venerable person. Her aura and appearance are exactly the same as that venerable person. Even the iron-eating beast following her is the same. Exactly the same." "Really?" Yan Yue looked suspicious. "Yes, I recognized Feng Qingran as the venerable master back then at the first sight. How could I be wrong?" Black Dragon said firmly. The suspicion in Yan Yu's eyes deepened. "Are you sure you recognized her at first sight? When she turned her back to you, you seemed indifferent, right?" Black Dragon has a special obsession with that venerable. Logically speaking, it should have noticed everything as soon as Feng Qingran appeared. Instead of waiting until Feng Qingran turned around and saw his appearance, he determined Feng Qingran's identity. Faced with Yan Yu's question, Hailong pondered for a moment and said, "The aura is the aura of the venerable, and the appearance is also the appearance of the venerable. It's just that the strength is too far apart. I dare not admit it. After all, the venerable could control thousands of things with one hand back then. Rule. Nowadays, even the Sun realm has not been reached. Simply incredible. Could it be that His Holiness likes to keep a low profile and deliberately hides his strength?" The more Black Dragon thought about it, the more he felt like this. So Ladindian said to Yanyu, "Master, why don't we follow the Lord? It's not convenient for her to show her strength for the time being. Let's take this opportunity to protect her. She will definitely thank us in the future." Yanyu rolled her eyes speechlessly. The dignified tyrant of the immortal domain was actually trying to catch up. What is the intelligence of her contract beast? Yanyu even felt bad. Who are you trying to protect like this? It's just enough to be funny. She has an iron-eating beast by her side, so she still needs you. The Black Dragon had no idea that Yanyu was jealous and said, "Master, that's not what you said. The iron-eating beast is strong, but the number of enemies it can deal with is limited. What if the venerable master is besieged by the enemy? Xiao Hei, I'll give you a chance. Do you want to terminate the contract with me?" Yanyu asked coldly. "Why do you want to terminate the contract? I don't know what other dragons are like, but I, Xiao Hei, will only contract with one owner for life, and it is impossible to change it." The Black Dragon raised his head and bowed. "Such a good host. Only a fool would replace it. The venerable person you have longed for has been found. Are you sure you don't want to change?" Yan Yue said this, but the corners of her mouth curled up unconsciously. The Black Dragon affirmatively shook his head. "If you don't change, you won't change in this life. No matter how good the Lord is, he is just a white moonlight, belonging to the past tense, but you, Master, are my sole contractor, the one who will never betray." Yan Yu's beautiful eyes narrowed dangerously. She patted Hailong's head gently and said, "Okay, never betray. If you dare to betray, then your ashes will be raised. Xiao Hei, you go back to the contract space to heal your wounds first, and I'll look for traces of the domain lord." Yan Yu sent Hailong back to the contract space without waiting for a reply. Then he left the Heaven Sacrifice Tower. The reason why she entered the Heaven Sacrifice Tower was because when she first entered the fairy world, the Heaven Sacrifice Tower opened, and she caught Ling Tianyun's aura on the tower. Those old monsters in the immortal domain were all ruthless and ruthless, but they only protected Ling Tianyun like eyeballs. Treasures are delivered in piles. All kinds of techniques are taught to each other. Ling Tianyun was carefully taken care of by the old monsters, but they also formed another kind of restraint on him. They were not prepared for him to leave the immortal realm. The old monsters are well aware of the dangers in the outside world. And they themselves could not leave the immortal realm, so they simply used various excuses to trap Ling Tianyun and prevent him from leaving. With the methods of those old monsters, it was easy to trap a little Ling Tianyun. Therefore, Ling Tianyun will appear here. It must be the deliberate result of the old monsters. Why did they let Ling Tianyun leave the immortal realm? The purpose is easy to guess. Use Ling Tianyun to find the traces of the territory lord. This also explains Ling Tianyun's motivation for appearing here. She was not afraid of Ling Tianyun, but she was worried that there would be other existences following Ling Tianyun here. That's why she immediately entered the Heaven Sacrifice Tower to look for traces of Ling Tianyun. As a result, Ling Tianyun didn't find it, but he watched a good show and even gave away a lot of things. Yan Yu turned around and glanced at the majestic Heaven Sacrifice Tower. The tower contained the aura left by Ling Tianyun, but the contractor was Feng Qingran. It seemed that Xiao Ling had a close relationship with Feng Qingran. At the same time, extraterritorial. Lord Tianyu stopped Mo Jinggong and Gu Ming. "Fellow Taoist, we are just passing by. We haven't done anything bad. Don't do anything." Gu Ming was the first to speak. "I know." After the Lord Tianyu responded to Gu Ming, his eyes fell on Mo Jinggong. Lord Tianyu sent a message to Mo Jinggong. "Lord Mo, people from the immortal realm frequently come in and out of this plane. What's the matter?" Divine Lord Tianyu is currently guarding this plane on behalf of Feng Qingwu. Naturally, he was particularly concerned about the whereabouts of the unexpected visitor. Mo Jinggong sent a message. "They have all left, there is no need to worry." "Okay, Lord Mo, do you want to leave this place too?" Lord Tianyu asked through a message. "Ah." After hearing this, Lord Tianyu bowed respectfully and said, "Farewell. Also, thank you Lord Mo for your help." Mo Jinggong nodded and accepted the gift, then led Gu Ming out of the plane. Mo Jinggong stood in the dark void, his starry eyes looking towards one place, where was the boundary monument of the plane. The power hidden in the boundary monument is still majestic, but it is not enough to deter the strong men in the void realm. Mo Jinggong made a hand seal, and the shadow of a flower from the other side appeared in his palm. There are ancient talismans circulating in the shadow of the other shore flower. The flowers on the other side are mysterious and mysterious. Mo Jinggong sent the other side flower into the boundary monument, and another ray of light flew out from the boundary monument and fell into Mo Jinggong's palm. It is the special mark. Thank you. This is a mark unique to this plane. You can find this plane according to the mark. An old and slightly tired voice came into Mo Jinggong's sea of consciousness. The Xuanchu plane can hide from the prying eyes of many great powers. In addition to the unique concealment function of boundary monuments, it is also related to the movement of planes. After all, staying still in one place is more dangerous. Yes, Mo Jinggong put away the mark and responded lightly. Don't be obsessed with the results. What you seek will eventually make a difference. After the boundary monument finished transmitting the message, the aura belonging to the Xuanchu plane disappeared into the void. Gu Ming seemed to feel something, and said in great surprise, Lord of the territory, what is going on? A plane can disappear in an instant. Gu Ming was very sure that the plane was not hidden, but disappeared. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 10-11 Yanyu is trapped. Extraterritorial. Lord Tianyu looked at the place where Mo Jinggong left with a complicated expression. His previous gratitude to Mo Jinggong was firstly to thank Mo Jinggong for taking action in ancient times to drive away the mysterious beings who invaded the plane. The second is to thank Mo Jinggong for setting up a defensive array outside the territory. This array can block most outsiders. The third one is to thank Mo Jinggong for helping Feng Qingbran. Back then, before Feng Qingbran was born, he and Wu conducted many deductions about Feng Qingbran's future. However, they speculated that no matter which path Feng Qingbran took in the future. After all, it is impossible to escape the situation of body and soul. There is only one way to survive. On this road, he and Wu could not interfere in the slightest with Feng Qingbran's growth. But even before Feng Qingbran was born, he was already being targeted by Xuanmen people. This way of risking his life to survive was probably hopeless. It was at this time that he thought of Mo Jinggong. The strength shown by Mo Jinggong is no longer something Xuanmen can calculate. How to get Mo Jinggong to save Feng Qingbran was a problem. He spent half his life cultivating, but still couldn't get any chance. The simple path for existences like Mo Jinggong was beyond his ability to calculate. In the end, he could only choose to prepare the best thing for Feng Qingbran, and found the colorful mysterious bracelet, which was hidden in the double spiritual bracelet worn by Feng Qingbran. If Feng Qingbran can overcome the calamity of death, he can contract a colorful mysterious bracelet. If Feng Qingbran did not escape certain death, then the colorful mysterious bracelet could save a trace of her soul at the critical moment. It can be regarded as leaving a trace of life. But the development of things ultimately exceeded his expectations. After Feng Qingbran was born, he could no longer enter the land abandoned by the gods, and he had no way to learn any news about her. He suddenly realized that Xuanmen might not be the only one scheming against Feng Qingbran. Because only one Xuanmen would never have this kind of strength. So he could only let go of his worries about Feng Qingbran. Be prepared to assume that Feng Qingbran will inevitably escape from the calamity of death. Xuanmen wanted to control the entire plane, so he destroyed Xuanmen's plan. The powerful forces in the sky are ready to make a move, so suppress them and prevent them from causing chaos. In the process, he discovered that the entire plane was riddled with holes. The Great Tao gives birth to the 7 emotions and 6 desires just like human beings. There is a clone of the Mother of Corruption hidden in the body of the Emperor of the Immortal World, and there are also problems with the source of the Immortal River in the Immortal World. Although God has the enchantments and formations left by Feng Qingwu, the 8 major families within him have tried the best to leave. There are also countless outsiders in the plane. Ellipsis. Time flies by. Unknowingly, the road to ascension opens in the land abandoned by God. Feng Qingbran successfully entered the fairy world and followed the guidance he left behind to find the source of the fairy river. Then Feng Qingbran killed Su Exingheng and Su Yanran. He actually wanted to stop Feng Qingbran from killing Su Exingheng. After all, the other party had the Mother of Decay in his body. What if the Mother of Corruption chooses to destroy everything and awaken the corruption in all worlds? The entire plane will become a purgatory on Earth. But I also thought that if the Mother of Decay is immortal, it would also be a disaster sooner or later. When he was struggling, Scholar Danqing let Su Exingheng and Su Yanran go. Later, he felt relieved when he watched Feng Qingbran enter the battlefield of the gods. There are ancient techniques hidden in the battlefield of the gods. Obtaining those means that Feng Qingbran will successfully step into the ranks of real strong people. In this process, he has not made a single move. It doesn't count as interfering with the other person's growth. However, he did not dare to follow him anymore. He always watched Feng Qingbran in danger, and he was afraid that he would not be able to help but take action. This in turn affects Feng Qingbran's growth trajectory. "Oh Wu, our daughter has grown up, and she is very good," Tianyu murmured softly. The power of Tianyu's divine consciousness spread and enveloped the entire outside area. As long as this place is kept well, Feng Qingbran can be given more time to grow. Fairyland. Ling Yunzong. Yanyu was trapped. She sat on the ground with a piece of spiritual grass in her mouth, and sighed helplessly. Why is there a formation set up by Gu Ming here? What is that bad old man doing here? Is he looking for Ling Tianyun? The black dragon has almost recovered from his injuries. Master, think about it from another perspective. Since Gu Ming is here, it proves that the domain lord you are looking for is also here. This is a good thing. Yan Yue felt itchy with hatred when she thought of Gu Ming. Ha, what a good thing. As long as I meet Gu Ming, nothing good will happen. Outside, he and I are fighting for control of the universe, and they are fighting for territory in the immortal domain. If I hadn't given face to the domain lord, I would have beaten him to the point of paralysis. Got it. The black dragon was silent for a moment. What the hell is hemiplegia? However, if a fight breaks out, the old man is really no match for the master. So it's still okay to make the opponent yell when you hit him. Master, do you have a way to break the formation? Black dragon changed the subject. No, the best way to encounter Gu Ming's formation is to lie down and wait for the energy in the formation stone to be exhausted. Yan Yu stepped back and looked above. The corner of Yan Yu's lips curled up slightly, and she continued, "Don't tell me, the scenery in Lingyun sect is not bad, and the stay is not bad." The black dragon tentatively said, "Master, you always stay in the formation, how can we go to the venerable to repay the debt? It also hopes to change its image in the eyes of His Holiness. Co hey, only debt collectors will come to your door, those who pay debts can just wait," Yan Yue said nonchalantly. She felt very relaxed at the moment. Lingyun sect has the aura of the territory lord, as well as the formation laid down by Gu Ming. So she just needs to wait here for the domain lord to come back. As for Gu Ming, there are plenty of opportunities to deal with it. So Yan Yu really lay down in the formation, until a bright and clear face appeared in her sight. "Miss Yan Yu, hello, see you again," Fang Qinggran said with a smile. "Girl." Yan Yu was stunned for a moment when she heard this title. It seemed that girl sounded a little better than old witch. "Little girl, I'm sorry for stepping into Lingyun sect without permission." Yan Yu apologized sincerely. It was only after she entered it that she realized that this was Fang Qinggran's territory. Fang Qinggran stretched out his hand. "Hello, let me introduce myself. I am Fang Qinggran from Lingyun sect." Yan Yue stood up immediately, stretched out her hand, and said friendly, "Hello, I am Yan Yue from the Immortal Domain. I wonder how long Miss Yan Yu plans to stay in this plane?" Fang Qinggran asked. "She has to count the time and reach cooperation with him. I came here to find our territory lord, so I can't be sure for the time being," Yan Yu said frankly. Fang Qinggran's eyes twitched when she heard Yan Yu's words. Yan Yu came to see Mo Jinggong, but Mo Jinggong had already left. Fang Qinggran was thinking about whether to tell Yan Yu this fact. Yan Yue asked knowingly, "Miss Fang knows where our territory lord is?" Fang Qinggran nodded and said, "I don't know where he is because he has left this plane." Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 10-12 Perfect Miss. When did you leave? Yan Yu's mouth twitched, she was really speechless. This has happened countless times. Every time she followed the territory lord's aura to a plane and looked for traces of the territory lord, she found that the territory lord had left first. Why is it always one step behind? Yan Yu was very crazy, but she was afraid of scaring Fang Qinggran, so she held it back. Fang Qinggran saw the annoyance and helplessness in Yan Yu's expression. Fang Qinggran said, "Probably when the Heaven Sacrifice Tower is opened." Yan Yu. The Black Dragon sent a message, "Master, I feel that you and the territory lord are destined to have no fate. You entered the immortal territory to follow him, but as soon as you went, he and Mr. Qi left the immortal territory, and then, the master chased him all the way, but he didn't even see the face of the domain lord. This is the so-called cause and effect. Nothing is determined by strength." "Shut up. Who am I doing this for? As long as you don't cause more trouble, I won't miss the domain lord every time." Yan Yue finished the message angrily and smiled at Fang Qinggran opposite. Yan Yu sat on the floor again, then patted the place beside her and said, "Xiaofeng, do you want to hear something interesting?" "I'm very happy." Fang Qinggran sat neatly next to Yan Yu. With a wave of his hand, a square table appeared in front of the two of them. Various spiritual foods and tea sets are placed on the table. Yan Yu glanced at what Fang Qinggran had prepared, raised her hand and added some fairy fruits, and then began to say, "The eras the practitioners are familiar with are mostly divided into Taichu, chaos, prehistoric, ancient, present. The Taichu period, also called Hongmeng, was also the early stage of the evolution of heaven and earth. Space gradually evolves from a state of nothingness and becomes differentiated. Immediately afterwards, there are creatures born from nothingness and possessing self-awareness. Since the emergence of living beings, the void space has accelerated its expansion and differentiation. And those creatures who emerged from the void also received some inspiration and learned how to practice and strengthen themselves. At that time, the chi between heaven and earth was extremely pure, and there would be no restrictions on living beings. As long as you are strong-willed and willing to endure the hardships of cultivation, you will definitely become stronger. Then, as the creatures became stronger, the world intensified its evolution, and entered the period of chaos from Hongmeng. During this period, the void space evolved into many worlds, and these worlds are collectively called the universe. The territory of the universe is occupied by creatures born in the beginning, and these creatures also gave birth to 7 emotions and 6 desires at this time. They are not satisfied with occupying only one part of the world. They want to occupy more space, and even dominate the entire universe. This period is chaotic, with creatures from all sides fighting, turning the universe upside down. They also discovered during the battle that the universe can also be divided. Just like the original world of one world evolved into many worlds. But universe divergence poses a problem. That means the chi between heaven and earth is no longer so pure, and it contains a lot of other things. These things are not conducive to the cultivation of living beings. They can even destroy the bodies of living beings, pollute their souls, and make their cultivation path difficult. In addition to the difficult path of cultivation, many creatures will lose their self-awareness and become monsters who only know how to kill. This situation will become more and more serious as the universe divides. The appearance of these monsters who only know how to kill has caused peace in all parts of the world. It was at this time that a unique existence appeared. He created another universe on his own and drove these monsters into that universe. Then he created the boundary sea to isolate the universe from other universes. When Yan Yu said this, there was obvious admiration in her eyes. She picked up the teacup handed over by Fang Qinggran, took a sip, her eyes flashed slightly, and continued, "From then on, the world became stable, and all living beings became accustomed to cultivating the energy of chaos. However, the worlds in all directions are still evolving, forming multidimensional universes, and the chi is becoming thinner and thinner. If this continues, the path of cultivation for living beings will become more difficult, and monsters will definitely appear. It was at this time that Pungo appeared. He did not stop the evolution of the universe, but incarnated all things and added vitality to the universes everywhere. Of course, some say that he encountered a conspiracy and had to incarnate into all things. After Pungo incarnated into all things, his cultivation methods changed, and some creatures discovered the path to cultivation. Cultivation of Taoism can make it not afraid of the impurities contained in the air, and it will not turn into a monster that only knows killing. Of course, there are also beings who refuse to practice Taoism. Because practicing Taoism means putting a yoke of rules on yourself, and you will face layers of constraints in the future. But there are also many souls who have chosen to enter the path of monasticism. There is no right or wrong, nor good or bad, between these two paths. At the time, they were both good. The path of monasticism appeared, the period of chaos ended, and the colorful period of prehistoric times entered. During this period, living things began to be differentiated into categories, and the universe became vast and numerous. This has also led to a shortage of cultivation resources. In order to compete for resources, various races are fighting constantly, and the universe is more chaotic than before. Although some races are not monsters that only know how to kill, they are more terrifying than them. Monsters will attack when they encounter living beings. They will never make compromises with any living beings. They will kill every living being they see, even members of their own kin. And some ethnic groups are still chatting and laughing with you in front of you, but in the next moment they can stab you in the back and kill you without even leaving your soul. In the world of good cultivation, in the end there are basically only some strong people who are playing tricks on their own. The path of cultivation that practitioners follow also begins to change at this time. The original Tao evolved just to give living beings more choices, and the restrictions and restraints were harmless. However, since the growth of those naughty races, the existence of Tao has changed. Some ascetics have used the power of Tao to rule thousands of universes, and gradually changed the path of Taoism beyond recognition. Later that race gave birth to a Taoist master. The emergence of Taoist master has directly caused some universes without the support of strong people to almost collapse. Either they surrender to the rule of the Taoist master, or they wait for the universe to slowly disappear. They will have no place to go and can only survive in other universes. But other universes aren't much better. The universe, supported by strong men, is no match for the Taoist master. It can only choose to linger. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1013 I want to kidnap you too. The Taoist master's overbearing behavior has caused dissatisfaction in many universes. At this time, the constraints of Tao rules will appear. The path of Taoist cultivation is based on Tao. In the process of ruling the universe, he involved too many living beings and caused countless murders. He directly allowed Tao to impose great karmic punishments. The Taoist master was severely injured as a result. The universes in all directions have had time to breathe, and those beings who previously refused to practice Taoism have also embarked on the path of Taoism. But there is only one exception, that is, the existence that created a universe before and trapped the killing monsters in a world. The strong men in the universe call him Lord Mo. Lord Mo is not a Taoist, but he takes care of all living beings better than any Taoist. During the chaotic period of the universe, he created a unique universe called the Immortal Domain. The Immortal Realm was originally created to accommodate those practitioners and some unique creatures who were persecuted by the Taoist master and were unwilling to go to other universes. Those cultivators have experienced the pain of the destruction of the universe, so after they became stronger, they began to capture some entities that harmed the universe and imprisoned them in the Immortal Realm. The previous Taoist master knew about the existence of the Immortal Realm and the existence of Lord Mo, and he was afraid of it, so he changed his way to rule the universe. The Taoist master followed the rules of Tao and created the Great Way. Then he created the Tao of Heaven under the Great Tao. Both the Great Road and the Way of Heaven rely on Tao, so naturally we must abide by the rules of Tao. As long as there are rules, there are always loopholes. That Taoist master used loopholes in some Tao rules to constrain subsequent ascetics and reduce their perception of the Tao. Or some special means are used to erase some ancient cultivation techniques in the universe, so that they cannot receive correct cultivation guidance. As a result, the strength of the cultivators is limited by the Way of Heaven and the Great Road. If there is no special opportunity, they will be trapped under the avenue forever. In this way, this Taoist master successfully avoided the great karma punishment of Tao, and thus ruled many universes. But there will always be ascetics who will break through the constraints of heaven and the Great Road and become true ascetics. These ascetics who have understood it want to use their own power to change some harsh rules. They are called those who rebel against the Tao, and the Taoist master will issue a death warrant against those who rebel against the Tao. This Taoist master has forgotten that Taoism is a realm. He regards himself as the master of Tao, thinking that he can control Tao sooner or later. But the Tao is the Tao, how can it be controlled by a greedy person? Later, the Taoist master seemed to wake up and realized that he could not become the master of the Tao, so he actually wanted to restart the era, and even wanted to go back to the beginning of time and directly create his own Tao. To this end, this Taoist explores various universes, looking for a way to return the universe to a state of nothingness. When Yanyu said this, she stopped, picked up the tea, took another sip, looked at Feng Qingbran and asked, "How is it? Aren't these interesting?" "Yes," Feng Qingbran nodded. Feng Qingbran didn't ask Yanyu why she said this. Because with Yanyu's strength, many creatures in this plane can be traced back to their origins. Yanyu should know that this plane has been invaded by Chaos Law Enforcers. The leader of the Chaos Law Enforcers is very likely to be the original Taoist master. Feng Qingbran raised her hand and poured Yanyu another cup of tea. "I want to hear your story more than the Taoist master." Yanyu did not mention herself during her narration. But Feng Qingbran could guess that Yanyu's identity was not simple. "My story," Yanyu murmured in a low voice with a strange look in her beautiful eyes. Immediately, Yanyu put down the teacup, stared at Feng Qingbran, and said, "Before I tell my story, Xiaofeng, please answer my 3 questions first. Was this tea given to you by the Territory Lord?" You and the territory lord, what's the relationship? Also, what do you want from me? Fang Qingran looked sincere and said, you guessed the first question correctly. I can't answer the second question for now. The third question is that I want you to cooperate with me to deal with this Taoist master. Why can't you answer the second question? Yan Yu asked curiously. Except for Qi Neng, he was lucky enough to drink tea from the territory lord occasionally. Other old monsters in the immortal domain can only smell it. The relationship between Qi and the territory lord can be called a good friend. The territory lord now actually gave something in his hand to Fang Qingran. Yan Yue would never believe it if he only regarded Fang Qingran as a friend. She wanted to chase the domain lord, but that was after knowing that he was ownerless. Once the domain lord has someone he likes, she will choose to let go immediately. She doesn't like the stolen affection at all. So Fang Qingran's answer made Yan Yu a little dissatisfied. The journey of cultivation has not yet been completed. When we meet at the top, we will be honest, Fang Qingran said with a slight smile on his eyebrows. Yan Yu has not yet responded. The envious voice of the black dragon first sounded in Yan Yu consciousness. See, wow. Your Majesty is so romantic. This should be about going their separate ways, but don't forget each other. Yan Yu's face suddenly darkened, and she wanted to throw this stupid dragon out. She also wanted to reminisce about her past days of following the territory lord, but it was all destroyed by the black dragon. This time, she didn't feel sad at all. When Fang Qingran saw Yan Yu's expression change, countless scenes of jealousy flashed through her mind. Say something. Apart from Kang Xuanji's incident, Fang Qingran had not heard of many people who were trapped by feelings. In her opinion, the purpose of practicing is to become stronger. You can talk about feelings on the way to practice, but if it delays your practice, you shouldn't. If they want to last long, they must stand on the same level. There is ample time. The years of a cultivator are endless, and one should not focus on temporary happiness. During this time, Yan Yu gave the black dragon in the contract space a good beating, feeling much better and looking better. The corner of Yan Yu's lips curled up slightly. Xiao Feng, you are not kind. You actually want to hide such a big thing from me by kidnapping our domain lord. Well, can I turn you over here too? Fang Qingran blinked her almond-shaped eyes and asked seriously. Guo Jingong, she has no confidence for the moment. After all, he has the immortal domain to be responsible for. Me, you want me to be your subordinate? Yan Yu asked in shock. Fang Qingran said honestly, no, we are friends and we can cooperate. I have a grudge against the Taoist master. Ha ha ha. Yan Yu suddenly laughed. Xiaofeng, you really don't hide it at all. Are you afraid that you have cooperated with me a long time ago? Correct. When Yan Yu heard this answer, she smiled all over her face. Cooperation is okay. You should listen to my story first and then decide whether to cooperate. Remember the monster I mentioned before that only knows how to kill? Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 10-14 wants to become the sect master. Fang Qingran responded, remember. Yan Yu's beautiful eyes turned slightly, and she smiled calmly and said, I am their leader. When Fang Qingran heard this, she looked surprised and said, but you are not a monster, and you don't smell of bloodlust. A strange light flashed across Yan Yu's eyes, and she looked at Fang Qingran with burning eyes. She met all kinds of ascetics. After they heard that she was the leader of the monster-killing monsters, they either chose to run away, attack her, or beg for mercy. In short, no one could continue to talk to her after hearing that she was the leader of the monster-killing monsters. Fang Qingran was wondering whether she was acting, or whether she really didn't care who she was. Yan Yu suddenly felt that things had become interesting. She picked up a fairy fruit and threw it into her mouth. At this moment, she really relaxed. Yan Yu looked around. Lingyun sect was surrounded by mountains, green shades, and all kinds of color embellishments. This scenery is much better than the immortal realm. Xiaofeng, your place is very suitable for retirement. I wonder if I will be lucky enough to live here in the future. Yan Yu sighed. If you are willing to stay here, Lingyun sect happens to be short of a great elder. How about you take over? Fang Qingran's apricot eyes seemed to be shredded with starlight, shining brightly. Yan Yu thought for a moment, who is the sect leader of your Lingyun sect? Will this sect leader listen to me? Yan Yu is really excited about joining Lingyun sect. But when I think about having a sect leader on top, I don't like it for some reason. No matter where she goes, she has always been the boss, except of course the immortal domain. Although she is not the domain owner in the immortal domain, she still has a territory that she rules. We don't have a sect master. Fang Qingran said matter-of-factly. There is no sect leader. Then who founded this sect? Yan Yu doesn't understand how a force can have no boss. Could it be that somehow, this position of sect leader was reserved for her? The Lingyun sect was founded by Jingong. The previous Lingyun sect was in the lower realm. Later, as we ascended, I moved the Lingyun sect to the fairy world. Fang Qingran didn't want to mention Yi Wenshan again. The founder of this sect is indeed Mo Jingong. However, Mo Jingong did not want to expose himself too much, and Yi Wenshan was an important executor of the emperor's plan, so Mo Jingong found Yi Wenshan to serve as the sect leader. After Yi Wenshan became the sect leader, he experienced their experiences firsthand. So he saved them instead. But because of guilt, I don't want to face them. Then he ignored Lingyun sect and gave full power to Mo Jingong to handle the sect's affairs. Especially after she entered the sect, Yi Wenshan seemed to have paid off her debt, and was even less willing to return to the sect. Even when he ascended, he didn't leave any news for them. Therefore, it is very reasonable to say that Lingyun sect does not have a sect leader now. When Yan Yue heard that it was the Lingyun sect founded by Mo Jingong, and that there was no sect leader here yet, her eyes suddenly lit up. If she becomes the sect master and the domain master wants to develop with Fang Qingran in the future, wouldn't the domain master be regarded as her disciple? Thinking of this, Yan Yue said to Fang Qingran, Xiao Feng, what I like most is managing the sect. As long as you hand over the sect to me, I guarantee that all of you will at least be the creators of the world and travel around the universe. That's it. In addition, I can also provide resources to all the cultivators in our sect to ensure that all the techniques are at least ancient. As for your feud with the Taskmaster, I will also find a way to get you back. Yan Yu unknowingly promised a lot of benefits. Anyway, these things are all available to her. After she used up what she had in hand, she went back to the immortal realm and grabbed some from the old monsters. The old monsters occupy all kinds of natural materials and treasures, but they also get ashes. Might as well take it out and contribute. Yan Yu felt that everything was reasonable, and she was just about to become the leader of Lingyun sect. Xiao Feng, what do you think? Does my proposal work? If it works, I can become the leader of Lingyun sect today. In the future, our Lingyun sect will definitely become the first sect in thousands of universes. Yan Yu said with high morale. Her sect must be the best. Fang Qingran fell into silence. She didn't seem to say anything unnecessary, right? But if Yan Yu wants to become the leader of Lingyun sect, she must inform the senior brother and the others about this matter. I originally wanted to recruit a great elder to take charge of Lingyun sect, but I didn't expect that I would find a sect leader in one step. This would be better. Miss Yan Yu, it's not up to me whether you want to become the sect leader. I will summon the senior brother and the others to come back for discussion. Fang Qingran said and took out the communication order. Yan Yu raised her hand to stop Fang Qingran. Wait a minute, I haven't finished talking about my life experience yet. After I finish talking, you call them back. Yan Yu thought for a while and said, 3,000 gods and demons appeared during the chaos period. Their strength was terrifying, and they refused to obey anyone, so they started fighting. But fighting with them was too boring, so I chose to quit the melee and wander around the universe. That's why I broke into the place where the killing monsters are kept. To be honest, those monsters were quite fun at first. They only knew how to kill. Even if they knew they couldn't beat me, they would rush up and try to tear me apart. But as I kept killing, I found that the monsters had changed. They seemed to have gained sanity, and were even afraid of me. Then, as long as I was around, they all lived in peace, and they were no longer the killing monsters they were before. Look like. And where I can't see them, they still look murderous and bloodthirsty. Only then did I realize that they seemed to regard me as their leader. As long as they were in front of me, they could restrain their killing nature and completely obey my orders. Since I can control them and prevent them from killing, they shouldn't be trapped in one world. After all, the races outside are no better than them. I just want to take them out of that universe. But it doesn't work at all. I can't break the boundary sea, and there is no way to take them away. I can only leave by myself. I just wanted to go out and find the rumored Lord Mo and ask him to remove the boundary sea from the killing universe. However, when I left the killing universe, I discovered that there is a boundary sea almost outside the outer universe. With this boundary sea, the invasion of powerful men from other universes has been blocked. They began to unite and want to attack Lord Mo. I also had itchy hands at the time, so I joined their team. There were tens of thousands of strong men on our side at that time. As a result, Lord Mo was more powerful than we imagined. We were defeated by him, and we were defeated miserably and without dignity. We even became the laughing stock of every universe for a time. Then can I endure this humiliation? I challenged the then Mo Lord many times, but let alone defeat him, I used all my strength, and he defeated him easily. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 10-15 The Origin of Yan Yu. Later, when I was about to give up on the matter of killing the universe seal, he took the initiative to find me and told me that he could lift the seal of the killing universe. But correspondingly, I must control the killing of monsters and stop killing creatures indiscriminately. And he also wants to kill monsters and enter the boundary sea to prevent strong people from maliciously destroying the boundary sea. In addition, monsters in the boundary sea cannot actively attack living beings. For the freedom of killing the universe, of course I agreed. Yan Yu was embarrassed to say that she originally wanted to refuse, but also put forward a condition. After all, controlling and killing monsters is not a simple matter. But she didn't have the strength to refuse or make conditions. There is no difference between agreeing after being beaten once and agreeing after being beaten many times. Therefore, after she received a beating, she readily agreed. After I agreed to Lord Mo's conditions, he lifted the seal of killing universe and left a special restriction. Killing monsters cannot be killed on their own initiative, but if they encounter those who attack them, they can be destroyed. This is a bit harsh for killing monsters, but it is still better than being trapped in a universe. After that, the killing monsters entered the boundary sea. In the boundary sea and the various universes, the energy inside was chaotic. There was something in it that allowed the monsters to successfully evolve and gain higher sanity and wisdom. They could preserve their own sanity without my deliberate suppression. Only now did I know that Lord Mo had this intention in letting them enter the boundary sea. But that's fine. In this way, I can continue to be free. Later, I found out that the immortal realm was created by Lord Mo, so I joined it. It's strange to say that none of us who have come from the chaos period seem to have any feelings like love between sons and daughters. We are all focused on improving our strength and dominating all forces. Until the prehistoric times, all kinds of creatures were created, especially those that relied on gods. After the birth of the created human race, there seemed to be more love, hatred in the world. There are several beings who can clearly shake one party, but they insist on torturing themselves beyond recognition or even destroying them for the sake of feelings. And even if they torture themselves, they will also implicate other innocent creatures. Whenever I encounter this kind of existence, I will ask the killing monster to take care of it. As long as this kind of existence dares to cross the boundary sea, it will definitely suffer a lot. Today's killing monsters can already manage themselves. There is no need for my intervention at all, and there will be no problems in the boundary sea. By the way, the small box that was with you before was evolved from the killing monster through the sea of the world. That's where I come from. After Yan Yue finished speaking, she drank all the tea in the cup with bold movements. But the black dragon roared in Yanyu's sea of consciousness, Master, you actually lied to me. Why didn't you tell me your true identity, and why didn't you make the decision for me when I was wanted by Little Box? After all, he is the leader, and it is just a matter of one sentence. Yanyu said in a message, because I don't want to be discovered by the killing monster, let alone cause unnecessary trouble. As the killing monsters continue to evolve, some will always disobey her rule. The part of the killing monster that obeys her is very dependent on her and always wants to follow her whenever he sees her. The part that doesn't obey her also likes to follow her and look for opportunities to kill her at any time. She didn't like playing such tricks. Simply put down the problem and let them fight on their own, as long as it doesn't delay the mission within the realm. They live up to expectations. Even if they fight fiercely, they still know their mission. That's enough. She doesn't need to go back to kill the universe. Master, aren't you their leader? Why are you still afraid of being discovered? Black Dragon asked in confusion. Shouldn't the leader be a person who responds to every call, takes life and death, and leaves no room for criticism? Yanyu was too lazy to pay attention to Hailong's questions and answers. After she told her experience, she signaled to Feng Qingbran that she could call Liu Kanglan and the others back. After a while, several figures appeared not far from Feng Qingbran and Yanyu. Little junior sister, I heard that we are going to have a sect leader. Is it true? Bailey Wenyu kept glancing at Yanyu when he spoke. Feng Qingbran put away the things in front of her, stood up, and introduced, this is Yanyu, the strongest among the strongest, who has volunteered to become the leader of our Lingyun sect. Yanyu had already stood up, calmed down her momentum, and said kindly, I am Yanyu, and I want to become the sect leader of Lingyun sect. I will lead you to become the first sect in the universe. Everyone in the Lingyun sect looked at each other, and they would not object to Feng Qingbran's selection of the sect leader. Is this sect leader a little too idealistic? They don't even have the strength to rule the plane, so how can they talk about the universe? Feng Qingbran noticed something was wrong in the atmosphere, pulled Yan Yue up, took a few steps forward, and said, Yan Yue, this is my senior brother, Liu Kanglan, who is good at formations. This is my second senior brother, Bigu Jianyi, a sword cultivator. This is my third senior sister Qin Hanyan, an alchemy cultivator. Ellipsis. After Feng Qingbran introduced them one by one, Yan Yu also got to know each of them. Among them, Luin Jin and Qingqiong goddess Feng Qingbran were introduced last. Yan Yu didn't hear the ranking of Luin Jin and Qingqiong's disciples, so she asked, are they the elders of the sect? No. What about the other members of the sect? Yan Yu asked curiously. Miss Yan Yu, didn't junior sister tell you that our sect only has one guardian beast, disciple and Luin Jin? Mu Chanjue folded his fan and waved lightly. Yan Yu's expression froze for a moment. The sect founded by the territory lord was so miserable. With this configuration, how did Feng Qingbran and the others get to where they are today? Yan Yu organized her speech and said, then who guides you in your daily practice? And who explains the various techniques to you? Guidance. Why does cultivation need guidance? Aren't we all practicing by ourselves? Bailey Wenyu touched the back of his head and asked in confusion. The voice of the Black Dragon sounded again in Yanyu's sea of consciousness. Master, they are indeed the senior brothers and sisters of the Venerable. They are also outstanding. They don't need supervision and guidance in cultivation. When I was like them, I know how to enjoy it. Yanyu is not as optimistic as Hailong. Liu Kanglan and the others are extremely qualified. If such peerless resources are channeled, the upper limit will be higher in the future. And if this kind of qualification is not taught correctly, it is a very dangerous thing. If they are not careful, they will embark on the wrong path of cultivation and ruin the path of cultivation. However, it was obvious that Feng Qingbran and the others had not taken the wrong path. They have all chosen the right path of cultivation, and they are all outstanding. Thinking of this, Yanyu looked at the Lingyun sect and asked extremely seriously, what are your requirements for the position of sect leader? Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 10:16 Sect Master Order. Everyone in the Lingyun sect looked at Feng Qingbran. That look clearly said, you invite the sect leader back, and you come to set the conditions. A smile flashed across Feng Qingbran's eyes, and her gaze fell on Liu Kanglan. Senior brother, our sect didn't have a sect leader before, so we all listened to you. Now the sect leader's request is naturally up to you. Liu Kanglan glanced at Feng Qingbran helplessly. With Yanyu's domineering temperament, if he proposed some conditions that the other party was not satisfied with, would he be shot away? The younger junior sister is really a good candidate, and it is inevitable to take risks. Liu Kanglan gathered his thoughts, saluted Yan Yue, and said warmly, Senior, this sect only has 3 requirements for the sect leader. First, he must not harm any living beings belonging to the sect. Second, the sect master can arrange the sect's major and minor matters and formulate some sect rules. We will cooperate with the sect master, but we must also have the corresponding freedom and respect each other's actions. Third, if you become the master of Lingyun sect, we will sincerely trust you, and you should also keep trust in us. I hope you can swear an oath that you will never take advantage of us or let us become victims. The above are our requirements for the master of Lingyun sect. Liu Kanglan's words were as gentle as jade, but Yanyu could hear the perseverance and uncompromising momentum in his words. Hearing this, Yanyu frowned slightly and asked in a low tone, are you sure this is all you want? Elder brother's decision is our decision. Mu Chanjue was the first to respond. Several others nodded, indicating that they agreed with Liu Kanglan's proposal. Master, are they scared by you? This request is the same as if you didn't mention it. Aren't these the most basic requirements for becoming a sect leader? Black Dragon said in a message. There was a cold light in Yanyu's eyes, and she sent a message to Hailong. The reason why they're like this should be related to their experiences, and maybe it is also related to the previous master of Lingyun sect. A sect can still exist without a sect leader. It shows that the disciples within the sect are united, and at the same time reflects from the side that they don't care whether there is a sect leader or not. Yan Yu looked at Liu Kanglan and said, Liu Kanglan, I can do all the things you said. However, these are not requirements. Even a sect leader can do it. You can also mention some more about sect construction and management. Requirements. In addition, after I become the sect master, I will also care about the development of the sect and your cultivation. I will teach you everything I know. I am only responsible for teaching and guiding. As for whether you want to listen or not, that is your business. I will not force you. I did not create this sect. Now I want to be the sect leader of this sect. It is I who want to join you, not you who want to join me. You can make bold demands and don't have to be so cautious. Yan Yu looked at Liu Kanglan and his party, and couldn't help but think of Ling Tianyun. Although Ling Tianyun is much older than Liu Kanglan and the others, they are actually juniors on the same path of growth. But Liu Kanglan and the others were far more mature and steady than Ling Tianyun. Master, when you say this, I feel like they're even more afraid to make demands. Black Dragon said in a message. The master is used to being in high positions, and the pressure he inadvertently exudes is very terrifying. In addition, the owner seemed to be in a bad mood because of Liu Kanglan's experience, which caused the air pressure around her body to be slightly low. He doesn't look like a good person, he always seems to be here to cause trouble in Lingyun sect. "So hey, am I fierce?" Yan Yue asked via voice message. "Yes, very fierce. If they don't understand you, they will definitely be scared by you." The Black Dragon really wanted Yan Yu to become the master of Lingyun sect, so that it would have the opportunity to get close to the venerable master. It really wanted to learn from the venerable dragon taming skills of the past. Now that the dragon clan is withering, those dragons are hiding in separate places and unwilling to gather together, which gives the Black Dragon a headache. The Black Dragon wants to gather all the dragons together, so that the dragon clan can multiply and grow. Otherwise they would always be scattered and easily eliminated one by one. The Black Dragon is really afraid that after endless years, he will be the only dragon left in the dragon clan. So it must find a way to make those dragons listen to it, follow it, and rebuild the dragon home together with it. And if the dragon clan is together, it will be more conducive for it to find a female dragon to mate. Black Dragon thought about the beautiful life in the future and once again sent a message to Yan Yu, "Master, let's." At this moment, the power of the soul released by the Black Dragon heard Liu Kanglan and the others calling their master the sect master. The master happily praised each of them. The Black Dragon was confused for a moment, as if it had missed something terrible. "Master, what did you say just now? How did you become the sect master?" Black Dragon anxiously transmitted the message. The next moment, it discovered that Yan Yu had blocked it. Completely ignore it. Liu Kanglan and the others recognized Feng Qingbran's choice of sect leader in their hearts. After all, after experiencing Gu Ming's teachings, they also discovered that as their realm improves, having the guidance of their seniors will indeed make the path to cultivation easier. The cultivation experience of those powerful people is equivalent to a precious inheritance. Obtaining these inheritances will deepen their understanding of magic, and lead them to a broader path. Feng Qingbran handed over the Lingyun sect master's order to Yan Yue and said, "Sect master, please take good care of me in the future." Yan Yu accepted the order from the sect leader and asked with a smile, "When are you going to participate in the finals of the fairy world?" 3 days later, Feng Qingbran replied, "Okay, I have observed the participating teams before. Based on your strength, you must be the first. There are 2 teams. You need to pay attention to the teams of the Wen family and the Feng family. They have weapons that can restrain your strength." After Yan Yu finished explaining, she waved her hand and went to inspect Lingyun sect. She was going to wait for Feng Qingbran and others to come back from the competition and give them a surprise. Seeing Yan Yue leaving, Liu Kanglan and the others immediately surrounded Feng Qingbran. "Little junior sister, our sect leader and senior Gu Ming are from the same place, right? Senior Gu Ming also wanted to be our sect leader before, but you refused. How come you agreed to become the sect leader now?" Bailey Wen became more curious, asked. Feng Qingbran blinked and asked, "Sixth senior brother, why don't you guess it yourself?" Mu Chanjue on the side calmly analyzed. Gu Zhenzhen's intention as the sect leader was to bring us back to where he came from, while Yan Yu chose to stay in our Lingyun sect. Comparing the two, Yan Yu was naturally chosen. Senior has come to be the sect leader. Smart. Feng Qingbran gave Mu Chanjue a thumbs up. Gu Ming's kindness towards them came first from his love for talents, and secondly from Mo Jinggong. But Gu Ming's inner allegiance was always to the immortal domain. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 10:17 Which pot can't be opened and lifted. If it is really agreed that Gu Ming becomes the sect leader, Lingyun sect is likely to be merged into the immortal domain and become a subsidiary of the immortal domain. Of course, it is also possible to rely on the immortal domain to become powerful. Neither of these are the results she wants to see. It wants every being in Lingyun sect to be independent and powerful forever. Everyone can become a strong and proud person. She didn't want their future path to spiritual cultivation to be shrouded in a shadow. What are your thoughts on the next finals? Liu Kanglan asked aloud. In the semi-finals of the Heaven Sacrifice Tower, they met not many teams. They didn't deliberately eliminate any teams. In the end, there were 6 teams that reached the 7th floor. In addition to Lingyun sect and Biluo Palace, the other 4 teams were the team led by Feng Qingqiang of the Feng family, the team led by Jiang Changfeng of the Jiang family, the team of the Wen family, and then the team of the underworld led by Yan Miyu. Both teams in the demon world stopped at the 6th level. I heard that it was Tang Chongzhu who ordered it. After the semi-finals, he and the demon world hurriedly left the fairy world. As for the 2 teams from the Buddhist world, they were very unlucky to meet them. They were all eliminated by Lu and Jin. Feng, Jiang, and Wen were the ones they deliberately kept until the finals. The competition rules for the finals have been released. The team issues a challenge to the team. The number of players in a team is determined by each team. Of course, you can also designate a certain contestant to challenge, so that only one of the 2 parties can compete. There are 3 teams on their side. The Feng family, Jiang family, and Wen family must be dealt with separately. Therefore, the order of this challenge naturally needs to be arranged. In this final, our Biluo Palace will challenge the Feng family. Luin Jin said coldly. The underworld chooses the Wen family. Yan Moyu's dark eyes showed murderous intent. He had already made a guess about Wen Jingjun's identity and would not let go of the opportunity for revenge. Fang Qingran heard this and said with a smile, then Ling Yunsek will choose the Jiang family. In the finals, if you lose one game, you will be eliminated. Once these 3 teams are eliminated, we will draw lots to decide the top 3. It is good. It is good. Luin Jin and Yan Miyu agreed at the same time. In Fairyland, the area around the competition square was crowded with spectators. Many cultivators from the God realm came here specially to watch the game. They stand proudly among the many spectators and can be noticed at a glance. 4 teams from our God realm have entered the finals this time, and the first place in the end will definitely be from our God realm. Yes, they must be from our God realm. Based on the background of the Jiang family and the Feng family, how can the Ling Yunsek be comparable to them? The divine realm is mighty. The divine realm is mighty. The divine realm is mighty. The spectators in the immortal realm immediately became dissatisfied when they heard the noise and shouting from the divine realm. Bah, why are you so powerful in the God realm? You probably don't know that Luin Jin, the master of Biluo Palace, and Yan Miyu from the underworld are both from the Ling Yun sect, right? It's obviously a 3-on-3 situation. Why are you, God realm, so confident? Yes, what this fellow Taoist said is very reasonable. You gods in the world looked down on Biluo Palace before, and even insulted the master of Luanjin Palace. Why are you thinking so beautifully now? It's too late. Belated deep love is worse than evil spirits. A spectator in the immortal realm rolled his eyes and shouted in the direction of Luin Jin below. Palace Master Luin Jin, we male and female cultivators in the immortal realm have equal status and the distribution of resources is fair and just. Do you want to consider bringing Biluo Palace to us? Fairyland. When the other male cultivators in the immortal world heard this, their eyes suddenly lit up. Why didn't they think of the plan to abduct people? So many cultivators in the immortal world shouted, Palace Master Luanjin, we all welcome you to the immortal world. Emperor Yi Chan of our immortal world is upright and powerful. He cares for all cultivators and is worthy of your choice. Besides, our heavenly emperor is extremely handsome and has no Taoist companions. For a time, all the spectators in the fairy world showed their magical powers and used all kinds of strange reasons to lure Luin Jin Dai Biluo Palace to join the fairy world. Completely ignoring the people on this side of the god realm, their expressions were terrifyingly gloomy. They do not respect female cultivators, but this does not mean that they are willing to allow female cultivators to leave the divine realm. Almost all the female cultivators in the god realm are in Biluo Palace. If Luin Jin really brings Biluo Palace to join the immortal world, then there will be few female cultivators left in the divine world. By then, wouldn't there be no successors in the god realm? Absolutely not. The spectators from the god realm glared angrily at the immortal realm contestants who were shouting. A cultivator in the god realm said with an arrogant expression, "Shut up, all of you. Who told you to blatantly rob cultivators? They were born in the god realm, so they can only stay in the god realm. It is impossible to go to the immortal realm, and the laws will not allow it. You, the immortal realm, are really dreaming. Why are the female cultivators trained by our god realm sent to your immortal realm?" A cultivator in the immortal world smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist, the word, send, you use is too ugly. Biluo Palace is full of female cultivators with self-awareness, and they have their own choices." The faces of all the powerful men in the god realm turned green. When it comes to respecting female cultivators, they're really not as good as those in the immortal world. After all, since the fall of the Lord of Heaven, the leaders of the god realm have always been worried about the emergence of another being like Fang Qingwu, so they will deliberately suppress the growth of female cultivators. Over time, they forgot to respect female nuns. It has improved somewhat now. But this kind of thing cannot be changed overnight, and they're also working hard to change it. Emperor Yi Chan, don't you care? Fang Qingqiong said with an ashen face. Even if Biluo Palace is protected by Luin Jin, as long as they are still in the god realm, they will be subject to the rule of the Fang family. He would never allow Luin Jin to take the entire Biluo Palace to join the fairy world. Master Fang, Biluo Palace belongs to your god realm. The spectators in our immortal realm didn't say anything too harsh. They were just a little more enthusiastic about Biluo Palace. Elder Yi replied. This kind of problem is not worthy of their sword ancestors' attention at all. Fang Qingqiong was very dissatisfied with Elder Yi's answer. In front of us, you are asking cultivators from the god realm to join your immortal realm. This is sowing discord between the two realms. Oh, really? Elder Yi touched his beard carelessly. Do we still need to instigate the relationship between the god realm and the immortal realm? By the way, Master Fang, for such a big event in the finals, why didn't the god king of your god realm show up? Body. You. Fang Qingqiong's heart became even more angry. It really is a pot that cannot be opened without mentioning. Ever since the invasion of the evil dragon, the god realm has become like a god-killing king. Previously, Ling Tianyun was elected as the god king of the god realm. However, after only a few days, that guy abdicated and gave way to Qin Hanyan. How can a woman become the leader of the god realm? So they united and targeted Qin Hanyan and the Qin family everywhere, and then Qin Hanyan actually abdicated the throne and no longer continued to be the divine king. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 10-18 Extremely Arrogant, Additional Update 1. But what they didn't expect was that not only did Qin Hanyan abdicate as the god king, she would actually take the entire Qin family with her and withdraw from the god realm. Go to the fairy world. Even the married female cultivators of the Qin family were taken away by Qin Hanyan. As a result, several factions lost their mistresses. There are even some family heirs who run away with the head matron. Of course, these are not the most hateful things. What is even more hateful is that some of Qin Hanyan's behaviors are very similar to Feng Qingwu's back then. Under her leadership, many female cultivators escaped from the family's control. The divine world was turned upside down by Qin Hanyan's hand. Can't settle down at all. Under such chaos, they had no way to elect a new divine king. In addition, they had to participate in the fairy world competition, so the election of the new divine king was delayed. After all, the God realm has always been ruled by the Jiang family and the Feng family. Even if there is no Shenzhen, as long as the Feng family and Jiang family are there, the superficial peace can still be maintained. Feng Qingqiang has already discussed with Jiang Changfeng to wait for the fairy world competition to end. Whoever gets the most prizes will be the new god. There is no divine king in the divine world, and everyone in the world knows it. But now that Elder Yi has said this, it is equivalent to directly tearing apart the things covered by the God realm. Jiang Changfeng's smile was no longer humble. After the finals are over, I will discuss your proposal with everyone at Biluo Palace before making a decision. Luanjin's voice sounded in the square. The spectators in the fairy world cheered. Palace Master Luanjin, you must think carefully. Our Yi Tiandi is so handsome and noble in character. As long as you come, you will definitely not suffer. Jiang Changfeng and Feng Qingqiang looked at each other gloomily. Also looking bad was Liu Kanglan. Mu Chanjue half covered his face with a folding fan, approached Liu Kanglan, and said through a message, Senior brother, Luanjin is quite popular. All fellow Taoists seem to be obsessed with using Yi Xingqian's beauty to lure Luanjin to the fairy world. Qianju, you remember that you are about to break through, right? Yeah, what's wrong? Be careful if you are struck by lightning next time you break through. Liu Kanglan smiled meaningfully. When Mu Chanjue heard this, a chill suddenly ran down his spine. Liu Kanglan had this expression every time he wanted to trick someone. But it's just about surviving the thunder tribulation. What's so scary? He is protected by a small cauldron, so he doesn't have to be afraid even if hundreds of thunderbolts come. What's more, he can break through at most dozens of mines next time. Where would Liu Kanglan plot against him? Bailey Wenyu, who originally wanted to make a few jokes, shrank his neck instantly when he heard Liu Kanglan's warning and remained absolutely silent. No matter how noisy the parties are. Everyone in the God realm looked so embarrassed. However, Yi Xingqian remained firmly seated in his high position without saying a word. When the gods and immortals realized something was wrong and stopped, they realized that Yi Xingqian seemed to be waiting for something. They looked at Yi Xingqian curiously. Emperor Yi Qian, when will the finals start? A disciple of the Feng family stood up and asked. Wait, Yi Xingqian replied lightly, and no matter what they asked again, Yi Xingqian would not respond. Some spectators' eyes fell on the vacant area in the square. Do you think Emperor Yi Qian is waiting for someone from heaven? This is the last competition, how could they give up? It's really possible. Now that they're here and we can't defeat them, do you want to resist? The result will be the same regardless of whether you resist or not. It would be easy for God to kill me. At this time, a space-time rift appeared in the sky of the fairy world. Several figures stepped out. The terrifying coercion emanating from their bodies instantly enveloped the immortal world with a layer of pressure. Many spectators who had the strength to stand in the air immediately fell down after they appeared. There are also some people with low strength who feel extremely oppressive and cannot straighten their backs. Yi Xingqian flew into the sky and said coldly, put away the pressure. The leader of those heavenly beings was a young man who looked to be no more than 12 or 13 years old. The young man seemed to be inexperienced in the world. He opened a pair of pure eyes and said, Uncle, isn't pressure a symbol of strength? Why should I put it away? Do I want to hide my strength? The few standing behind the young man were obviously secret guards. They looked at Yi Xingqian with disdain and sarcasm in their eyes, and they had no intention at all. Just a tiny ant. To still want to threaten the young master of their Wuma family is really overestimating one's capabilities. If the head of the family hadn't specifically told them that this was an invitation and no killing was allowed, they would have left Yi Xingqian stunned when he opened his mouth. After the young man asked, without waiting for Yi Xingqian to respond, he ducked to the square below. He didn't take Yi Xingqian seriously at all. Several secret guards immediately caught up with the young man. Only one looked apologetic and said to Yi Xingqian, Emperor Yi Qian, our young master is still young and has a naughty temper. Please forgive me. Arrived at the square. The pressure on the young man did not restrain at all, but instead released even stronger pressure. Many cultivators are unable to withstand this pressure, but they are unwilling to kneel down to God. Some who cannot bear the pressure simply crawl or lie on the ground, but none of them kneels down. The young man looked around, his delicate brows slightly wrinkled, somewhat dissatisfied with the scene. A group of ants were unwilling to kneel down and worship him. The young man glanced from outside the square to inside the square, and then he noticed that half of the contestants seemed not to be affected by his coercion. He first looked at the Jiang family and the Feng family in the God realm. These two families were the hub of God's control over the outside world over the years. They were loyal and obedient. When Jiang Changfeng and Feng Qingqiang looked at each other so well, the young man suddenly felt bored. He glanced at the Wen family hastily. It was better not to worry about Bailey's little pet. Okay. Why are there so many female cultivators among the contestants in the God realm? The young man looked at Luan Jin. Feng Qingqiang saw this scene and sent a message to the young man. Young master, this is Luan Jin from Biluo Palace. He disobeys our discipline and leads many female cultivators into bad ways. She came to participate in this competition without permission because of the support of Lingyun's sect in the immortal world. We can't do anything about her. She even wants to join the immortal world with the forces of Biluo Palace. We are worried about it. After listening to Feng Qingqiang's message, the young man didn't care about the affairs of Biluo Palace at all. Anyway, there are many cauldrons secretly cultivated by God in Biluo Palace. Just because of this, Biluo Palace cannot escape the control of God. Instead, he was interested in Lingyun's sect. However, he would not be as cautious as Feng Qingqiang. The young man directly asked, "What new force is Lingyun's sect? Why have I never heard of it?" Feng Qingqiang hesitated for a moment. How could the young master of the Wuma family not know about Lingyun's sect? They had already passed the news about Lingyun's sect to God. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 1019 Wuma Ji. How could God not know about the existence of Lingyun's sect? The 8 major families in the sky each have their own power in the God realm. These forces will always report the situation in the lower world to God on time. Logically speaking, if a sect like Ling Tianyun suddenly appeared, and there was something about the bloodline of the Lord of Heaven, it was impossible for them not to pass it on to God. Feng Qingqiang remembered that when he first met Feng Qingran, he sent God news about her. After that, the various developments in his immortal world, as well as the emergence and development of the Lingyun sect, were passed down to the heavens by the Feng family. The young man in front of him is the heir of the Wuma family. When the family received such news, it was impossible not to tell him. If he does not know the existence of Lingyun sect, it can only mean that the news related to Lingyun sect has not been sent back to God, and all the forces have failed to send the news back. Feng Qingqiang recalled the past and realized that it seemed that only the news from Lingyun sect was not received by God. This is a terrible thing. After all, they use special jade slips to convey news to various families. Before, God had seals and formations. It is a completely closed world, restricted by laws, and ordinary sound transmission tools cannot be used at all. Only by taking out the divine seal from the cultivator's body, making jade slips out of its bones, and then carving the divine seal into it and using secret methods to create the sound transmitting jade slip can the message be transmitted to or from God. But the owners of the divine seal are almost rare. Therefore, the person who controls the jade slip must be like a confidant or a crucial member of the various forces. In this case, their messages can also be intercepted. There is probably an extremely terrifying force behind this Lingyun sect. Feng Qingqiang immediately thought of the power left behind by Feng Qingwu. Back then, Feng Qingwu dared to fight against the entire God and God realm, and the forces behind her also played a huge role. However, after Feng Qingwu's death, those forces went into hiding and disbanded, giving them no chance to destroy each other. Thinking of this, Feng Qingqiang's face turned pale, and her eyes looking at Feng Qingran were full of fear and vigilance. It's really not enough for just one Lingyun sect to fight against God. But if Feng Qingran has gathered the power that Feng Qingwu once had, even if he is really the enemy of God, he may still have the courage to fight. Feng Qingqiang unconsciously felt more fear in his heart, causing him to forget to answer young Master Wuma's question. The young man had not received a response from Feng Qingqiang for a long time and was very dissatisfied. The secret guard beside him immediately noticed the young man's emotions, his eyes fell on Feng Qingqiang, and secretly attacked Feng Qingqiang's soul. Feng Qingqiang's soul felt a tingling sensation, and as if waking up from a dream, she sent a message to the young man, "Little master, everyone in the Lingyun sect is very strong, and one of them is of the bloodline of the Lord of Heaven. They just sit in that area of the fairy world." Feng Qingqiang still used sound transmission very cautiously. He was afraid that other cultivators would discover that the Feng family had a long-standing connection with God. The young man heard Feng Qingqiang's message and looked in the direction of Lingyun sect with interest. Seeing this, the young man was a little surprised. The person with the lowest strength in the Lingyun sect had also reached the level of the co-master of heaven and earth. Neither he nor the secret guard noticed them immediately. Do they have treasures that hide their auras? The young man stepped in the direction of Lingyun sect, with an innocent smile on his face, but his attitude was condescending. "Are you all from Lingyun sect?" Feng Qingran raised her eyes and glanced at the young man, remaining silent. Liu Kanglan and the others seemed more like they didn't hear the boy's words, and didn't even look at each other. Seeing this, the young man still kept his innocent smile, as if he didn't mind Feng Qingran's rudeness at all. However, the next moment. Pooh! A secret guard next to the young man spit out a mouthful of blood, and his whole body became chaotic. "If you want to fight, just do it properly. Otherwise, you'll get backlash and you won't be able to reason with it," Feng Qingran said casually. When the young man saw that the secret guard was injured, he stopped smiling and stared at Feng Qingran carefully with dark eyes. Immediately, he realized that he couldn't see through Feng Qingran's cultivation level. He couldn't even detect the fluctuations in her aura. In the entire Lingyun sect, he can only see through the strength of 2 people. This also means that other existences are higher in cultivation than him. How can that be? How could there be such a talented person in the lower realm? Wuma Ji had a look of disbelief in his eyes, looked at the other secret guard beside him, and asked directly, "What are their cultivation levels?" The secret guard responded, "Back to young master, the young master in white is the first level of the holy master, the young man in black is the peak holy master, and the woman in purple is the first level of the Taoist saint. There are 3 of them whose cultivation I can't see through. I think their strength should be above mine." After the introduction, the secret guard sent a message, "Young master, this group of practitioners from the Lingyun sect seems to have suddenly appeared as strong men, so we'd better not offend them." The secret guard's own strength is at the peak of the Taoist saint. Even in heaven, such strength is outstanding. The realm of Taoist saints can actually appear in such a scarce resource situation in the lower realm, which shocked the secret guard and made him a little afraid. Although I don't know why the news of these cultivators has not been sent back to God. But these existences of Lingyun sect are a threat to God. Therefore, there are only 2 outcomes waiting for Lingyun sect, one is to belong to the power of God, and the other is to be wiped out. The Lingyun sect's group has good qualifications, and they can be recruited into the Wuma family. Therefore, the secret guards did not want a conflict between Wumazi and Lingyun sect. After listening to the Dark God's analysis, Wumazi understood the Dark God's subtext, so he suppressed his dissatisfaction with the Lingyun sect, put away his viper-like eyes, and smiled again. The powerful people in the immortal world felt chilled when they saw the speed of Wumaji's change of expression. Wumaji looked at Feng Qingran and said, "Sister, I am the young master of the Wuma family, Wuma Yi. I came to the fairy world this time to invite the practitioners of the fairy world to go to heaven to participate in the exchange competition. We don't have any malice." Feng Qingran said calmly, "To invite everyone from the immortal world to participate, you should go to Emperor Yi Qian. Our Lingyun sect is just a small sect and cannot make decisions for everyone in the immortal world." Wumaji was not angry after hearing this, and still smiled innocently. "Sister, you misunderstood. I want to invite your Lingyun sect to compete alone in the name of the Wuma family. In this case, if your Lingyun sect goes to heaven, you will be protected by our Wuma family. The ancestors of our family are in the late Saint realm, and their strength is ranked among the top 5 in God. As long as our Wuma family protects you, the forces in God will be afraid of you, and no one will dare to bully you openly." Quote. When Wumaji mentioned his ancestor, his eyes clearly showed pride. Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore. Chapter 10:21 Bamboo pole whipped away. Sund realm. Live with heaven and earth. Almost close to the cultivation level of Tao. Just one thought can determine the life and death of the entire world. The 8 major families in the universe have been able to maintain a special balance over the years. It's because every family has strong men with Sund level strength. Families can fight back and forth, as long as they don't risk genocide. Once the clan is exterminated and the Sund is provoked to self-destruct, not to mention God, the entire upper world will perish together. The Sund is the anchor of a force. It is also an existence that can destroy heaven and earth and deter all powerful beings. Wumaji has this self-confidence. As long as the Lingyun sect agrees to become a vassal of the Wuma family, no one in heaven will dare to touch the Lingyun sect. Wumazi probably felt that his proposal was like a gift to Lingyun sect. After all, after entering the realm of 9 heavens and 10 emperors, you will understand how terrifying a Sund is. As for the Lingyun sect, the worst among them is the cultivation of the co-masters of heaven and earth. Naturally, there is no need for him to go one step further to introduce what the Saint realm is like. Bah, it's so embarrassing to pretend to be young. You are obviously 1,000 years older than Xiao Ranran, but you still have the nerve to call her sister. Yan Yu came through the air and happened to hear Wumazi's previous words, saying with great disgust. Wumazi's expression was momentarily distorted, and he looked at Yan Yu with gloomy eyes. Yan Yu was dressed in luxurious brocade clothes, with a domineering black dragon embroidered on it, lifelike. And Yan Yu's own aura is so powerful that she doesn't need the black dragon on her clothes to set it off. She just stood there and looked down from a high position, which made Wumazi's secret guards feel a chill to their bones. They immediately surrounded Wumazi and erected a protective barrier. "Who are you?" Wumazi asked. "When I'm walking outside, I have a title. Just call me ancestor, and I won't take advantage of you," Yan Yue said coldly with a smile on her lips. Wumazi really has never suffered from such anger. He was shaking all over and said to the secret guard, "Kill her. A little ant in the netherworld. Do you really think he doesn't dare to take action? Even if he sorted the entire cultivators in the immortal world, he still had his ancestors supporting him, so why would he talk nicely to them here?" A group of ants who toast and refuse to drink as a penalty. As Wumazi finished speaking, several secret guards looked at each other. Except for the one who vomited blood before, another one was left to protect Wumazi, and the remaining 5 went to attack Yan Yu together. Yan Yue has not made any move yet. A sharp sword flew towards the secret guard first. Yi Xingchen was holding a fairy sword, with a fierce aura around him and a determined look in his eyes. He knew that the secret guard was much stronger than him, but he still did not intend to show fear. Yi Xingchen's confidence to face the 5 secret guards came from the sword in his hand. It's not reckless. The art of swordsmanship. Fighting across levels is a piece of cake. Moreover, this is the fairy world, he is the Emperor of Heaven, and he can also borrow the power of laws. Although he can kill the 5 secret guards, he could seriously injure them and drive them out of the fairy world. Yan Yu looked at Yi Xingchen who came out to block her, and twitched the corner of her mouth. Is this person trying to be heroic? It's really hard to criticize someone who still wants to be a hero and save a beauty even though he knows he can't defeat her. Black Dragon sensed Yan Yu's thoughts and said silently, "Master, you deserve not to be able to chase the territory lord. You are not suitable to have feelings at all." Yan Yu sent a message and said, "Why am I not suitable for having feelings? I think back in the prehistoric times, when so many strong men chased me, I never looked back. When you meet anyone, they always say, you are not worthy of unsheathing my sword, you are rubbish. Go back and practice again. How can they not chase you and beat you?" Black Dragon said in a voice message. Black Dragon didn't even want to mention Yan Yue's creation of many forces in the ancient world. Fortunately, during the primeval period, Yan Yu was busy with other things and had no chance to travel around the universe. Otherwise, the prehistoric times back then would have been a different kind of prehistoric time. In short, the master back then really made all the powerful men in the prehistoric era very angry, but they couldn't defeat the master. You also said that I didn't do that just to help you quickly select your enemies. If I didn't use this method to find my enemies one by one, wouldn't it be the year of the monkey and the month of the horse? Yan Yu said in a voice message. She always likes to keep a low profile. If you act in a high profile manner, it will definitely be a last resort. Yan Yu took the time to say hello to Feng Qingran and the others below, and in a blink of an eye, she saw a secret guard trying to sneak attack Yi Xingchen. A bamboo pole appeared out of thin air in Yan Yu's hand. Snapped. The bamboo pole slapped the secret guard in the face, knocking him backwards and flying out. When the practitioners watching the show below saw this scene, their mouths opened wide and they looked at Yan Yu in horror. Are they right? With a flick of an ordinary bamboo pole, a strong man who descended from the sky was whipped away. Next, they saw Yan Yu holding the bamboo pole and gently moving it around, and all 4 secret guards flew out. The secret guard flew out. But he didn't come back. Yan Yue looked at Yi Xingchen and said, "Boy, your method is too gentle. Just kill him with 1 strike." Yi Xingchen had a dull face, so speechless for the first time. "Everyone, I, Yan Yue, am the master of Lingyun sect. If anyone dares to bully my disciples of Lingyun sect in the future, I will destroy them physically and mentally." After Yan Yue finished speaking, he shook the bamboo pole in his hand a few times. The practitioners below were confused. Yan Yu's eyes fell on Wu Meshi, young master of the Wuma family. "I will let you go today and go back to tell you about that ancestor. If he dares to touch a blade of grass in the immortal world, I will root out the entire Wuma family. Disappear." Yan Yu's words fell for a moment. A crack in time and space appeared behind Wu Meshi, and he, along with the 2 ANs beside him, were pulled into the crack and disappeared. Yan Yu clapped her hands and said, "Okay, the matter is settled. They will not be able to enter the fairy world within 100 years. You continue." Yan Yu left and threw something to Yi Xingchen. Yi Xingchen took it and saw that it was an invitation with the mark of God. The God Exchange tournament begins 100 years later. Yi Xingchen's sharp eyes flashed with dark light. Yan Yu and the 5 outsiders must have been together. An outsider with terrifying strength is willing to become the leader of Lingyun sect. What is his intention? Are these people from the Lingyun sect extremely talented? In the world of cultivation, the most important resource is obviously cultivators, especially outstanding cultivators, who are a resource that all walks of life compete for. But Yan Yu's request may be in vain. As long as Fang Qingran is here in Lingyun sect, they will never be able to go anywhere else. After Yi Xingchen thought about this, he ducked back to the square and sent a message to the elder of the Yi family, asking him to deal with the bodies of the 5 secret guards just now. The body of a strong person is the target of many evil spirits. Especially empty bodies with intact bodies are even more popular. Elder Yi took the order and left the square. Yi Xingchen then began to announce the finals. "Junior sister, we really can't roll anymore." Chapter 10:20